and sincerity towards the noise. Xuanhua, you don't need to face bankruptcy, and Jingliu Entertainment can allocate resources to Xuanhua. Mr. Wan, you can return to the entertainment industry and use Jingliu Entertainment's resources to pave the way for a bright future. The words fell. Everyone immediately started talking. They had originally felt that Wan Qian had gathered everyone together today just to announce the company's bankruptcy. And this was related to their jobs. But now, Jingliu Entertainment is willing to take over Xuanhua's mess, and also expressed its willingness to allocate resources to acquire it at 3 times the price and retain Xuanhua's golden signibird. It's a good deal no matter how you think about it. But some elders who knew the inside story frowned slightly. Because they knew Xuanhua had been secretly sold out by Wan Qian. The noise no longer belonged to Wan Qian. There's no point saying anything. But some people didn't know, especially the artists. A little excitement flashed across their faces. According to what Li Chengyu said, if Jingliu acquired Xuanhua, and they will be considered as artists under Jingliu Entertainment and can enjoy Jingliu's resources. If Wan Qian is made into a top star by Jingliu, then they will undoubtedly be able to benefit from it. For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on Wan Qian. Although many people are resistant to Jingliu Entertainment, they still have to bow their heads in the face of facts. They are just employees even if they have feelings for the hustle and bustle. It cannot support the car loan, mortgage, and the survival of the whole family. Li Chengyu seemed to have expected this situation, and continued, in fact, President Wan also knows that President Liu has always admired you. If you nod, President Liu will come from Kyoto in person to finalize the contract details with you. What do you think? Finalizing contract details? Someone shook his head. Everyone knows what Liu Cg wants to do. In the entertainment industry, which is a big melting pot, such things happen all the time and are no longer new. They looked at Wan Qian as she nodded. Then in the future, there would be a few more words added in front of Xuanhua Music Company. Jingliu Entertainment Xuanhua Music Company. However, the noise will also change its appearance and stand up again. Everything depends on Wan Qian's thoughts. Li Chengyu was not in a hurry. In his opinion, it was only a matter of time before Wan Qian nodded. The entertainment industry is like this, a pure and innocent girl? That won't work. The rules here are all about cannibalism. If Wan Qian complies with the unspoken rules, not many people will scold her. Instead, many people will envy her for being able to comply with the unspoken rules. This is the entertainment industry. Many people try their best to squeeze in. But for some people, all they need is a face. In the eyes of most people, it is worth it for a woman to use her best years to exchange for a lifetime of wealth. Chapter 250 H1 Yang Music Company. So, I am also the savior of the noise. Li Chengyu smiled and sighed in his heart. Wan Qian is indeed beautiful, but he has no way to deal with a woman like her. Only someone like Mr. Liu has the ability to control her. He looked around and suddenly saw a tall but somewhat shy girl. He had never seen this girl before, although she was wearing a mask. Li Chengyu could tell that a girl with such charming eyes and a face shape must be good looking. Is Xuanhua signing a new artist? He couldn't help but smile. If that was the case, that would be great. He had no way to deal with Wan Qian. But could it be that he had no way to deal with this new artist? As long as Wan Qian agrees to the merger, she will also be in charge of the noisy agency department. It would be very easy for her to take advantage of a new female artist. His eyes watered on Shang Xian without a trace of restraint. This also made Shang Xian angry. Suddenly, Wan Qian looked at Li Chengyu and said jokingly, "Who told you that I called everyone here to declare bankruptcy?" What? Hearing Wan Qian's words, Li Chengyu was stunned for a moment. And others also looked at Wan Qian. I have always thought that Wan Qian held this meeting today with the intention of declaring bankruptcy. Even some veterans who knew the inside story did not have much hope for this meeting. Even if it wasn't bankrupt, Xuanhua had already been sold and didn't belong to Wan Qian anymore. He was probably here to announce his resignation. But what does she mean by this? Li Chengyu narrowed his eyes and couldn't help but sneered. So you still want to continue to carry on with the noise? Of course. Wan Qian's firm attitude also made Li Chengyu's smile freeze. Boss Wan, you must be aware of the influence of our Jingliu Entertainment in the entertainment industry. Since Xuanhua has fallen to this point, there seems to be no possibility of a comeback. Don't hold on any longer. The fish is dead and the net isn't broken. Why doesn't the net break and the fish return to the sea? Wan Qian smiled. What do you mean? Li Chengyu saw the confidence between Wan Qian's brows and couldn't help but feel something was wrong. And he stood there in shock. This is our company's meeting. Logically, a traitor like you shouldn't be attending. But I'm not in a hurry to send you away today. Wan Qian became more and more confident. And was not in a hurry. She sat down directly and said slowly. Listen carefully, so that I can report to your master. You are just a begging dog. If you refuse to leave, then don't leave. Li Chengyu became furious when he heard Wan Qian scolding him. And he didn't know what to scold. If Wan Qian really became Liu Ziji's woman, and they would settle the score later, wouldn't I be? His face was gloomy and he stopped talking. He wanted to see what tricks Wan Qian was playing. Seeing Wan Qian's attitude, many people couldn't help but straighten their backs and felt a lot more confident. Wan Qian smiled and ignored Li Chengyu, asking everyone to quiet down, and began to say, "In fact, you may not know that we had already handed over the ownership to the Zhu family auction to deal with it a month ago because of our noise. Noise was successfully sold at the auction dinner a month ago." As the voice fell, the whole audience was in an uproar. The noise has actually been sold? As employees, they were completely unaware of this. Li Chengyu was also stunned when he heard the news. He had been staring at Xuanhua, but he had no idea that Xuanhua had already sold it to someone else. How is this possible? Why would Wan Qian sell Xuanhua? Even if it's going to be sold, it should be sold to Jingliu. Why does this seem a bit off? In fact, although Jingliu is a wealthy family, its head office is in Kyoto, and its business in Jiangdu is not that big. Li Chengyu or the people from the Jiangdu branch are not qualified enough to attend the auction dinner. Most of what happened that day revolved around the story of Xiaoyang and Fang Jingyang. There was some news, but as for the noise, no one cared. All those present were wealthy businessmen with a net worth of hundreds of millions. They didn't care at all about a company worth only 1 or 200 million. So, Li Chengyu really didn't know about this. The company did a good job of keeping confidentiality, and the few veterans who knew about it never revealed it. Seeing everyone's reaction, Wan Qian didn't find it strange at all. Li Chengyu couldn't help but ask, "Who did you sell it to?" Wan Qian glanced at Li Chengyu but ignored him and continued. "So, I am no longer the real boss of the company, but the boss trusts me, and allows me to continue to run Xuanhua. In addition, there will be a large amount of capital injection. We Xuanhua will return to the entertainment industry. No one can stop Xuanhua's resurgence." The corners of her mouth rose slightly, and she continued, "The company will usher in a new look. And the focus of today's meeting is on this. The noise will not only not dissolve, it will only get better." She was full of confidence, and as soon as she spoke, the whole audience burst into applause. "So you're not going to declare bankruptcy? A large amount of money. What does that mean? Tens of millions?" Everyone couldn't help but feel a little excited. They could clearly feel that Wan Qian was different. She was smiling and full of confidence. "I haven't seen this in Xuanhua for a long time. This kind of self-confidence is contagious, and for a while, they will also rise again. First of all, Xuanhua will undergo a comprehensive reform. In addition to a new look, Xuanhua will also disappear into the long river of history." As the voice fell, the whole audience was in an uproar. The noise disappears? Almost everyone present knew what the noise meant to Wan Qian. Disappearance? What does this mean? Wan Qian let out a long sigh. This was the decision she had made after thinking about it all night. The noise meant a lot to her. But she also thought it through and realized that noise is just a name. Wherever she is, there is noise. As long as she doesn't succumb to Liu Ziji's tyranny, the noise will last forever. She looked around and sighed. From now on, Xuanhua will be officially renamed Xuanyang Music Company. When the voice fell, Wan Qian didn't know why, but she felt relieved. As if a stone in her heart had fallen. Noisy seems to sound better than noisy. The corners of her mouth rose slightly. But Li Chengyu was confused. The noise is gone? But the one who bought the noise was not Jingliu. Xuanyang, what the hell is that? Okay, quiet down. There may have been some shock in the audience. But there was no resistance. Most of them felt that Wan Qian herself could get through this. So as employees, there was no reason for them to resist. The second thing is, since the company has changed its name, the outdated system must also be changed. The following is the system reform of the artist department. Another decision was made, and the whole audience was in an uproar. Third, Wan Qian spoke one thing after another, and everyone was stunned. Did you change the company? The key point is that there are so many institutional reforms and various relocations. Change equipment? Change player? Salaries and benefits to be revised and artist contracts to be re-evaluated. How much is this? 100 million, 200 million. How much money does it take to make Mr. Wan so confident? For a moment, even Li Chengyu was looking forward to it. Wan Qian, what kind of financial sponsor did you find? Chapter 259 Confidence. Everyone was stunned. They never thought that Wan Qian would sell Xuanhua, let alone change the name. All of these were decided by Wan Qian after she spent an entire night planning. No one would object, because with such noise, no, it should be said that it was clamoring. It seemed that things were getting better. Okay, Li Chengyu. I think what you've heard should be enough for you to report to your master. Li Chengyu frowned slightly but said nothing. Tell him to get out of here. Wan Qian waved her hand, and soon someone came forward. I'll go by myself. Li Chengyu snorted coldly, feeling a little embarrassed. Wan Qian swept around at this moment, like a queen. I know a lot of people in the company have connections to Kyo or Yu. But I don't care. I won't pursue who notified Li Chengyu this time. But there won't be a next time. Wan Qian snorted coldly. All departments should now deal with what I just said. Manager Liu, Supervisor Li, XIN you stay. Suddenly, the whole company became busy and looked very motivated. The company's relocation cannot be rushed, and a good location must be found. The most urgent task now is to fire the first loud shot. At this moment, there were still some people left in the conference room. Except for Shang Xin, they were all veterans of the company. Needless to say, they were very loyal. They had known about the sale of the company for a long time and were not as surprised as others. Boss Wan, can I ask who is the boss of our company now? You don't need to know this, I'm still the one in charge of the company now. Wan Qian thought about it and decided not to mention Xiaoyang's matter for the time being. Anyway, he let her have full authority to handle the company's affairs. So she might as well just treat herself as the boss. Boss Wan, have you calculated the amount of funds needed for the things you just mentioned? I've roughly calculated it, Wan Qian nodded. That would be a lot of money. I know, I kept you here just to talk about these things. Manager Liu, you are a noisy elder. My father trusted you the most when he was alive. And I believe in you too. You're too polite, Mr. Wan. Manager Li was filled with emotion. He was also old and was good friends with Wan Qian's father. They opened this company together, so there was no problem with their loyalty. The company needs to grow bigger and stronger, and it can't be as messy as before. I need you to quickly formulate and improve the company's rules and regulations, and take the lead in implementing them seriously. In addition, you have to work harder starting today. The head of the Human Resources Department will recruit relevant professionals to fill the company's vacant positions and staff first. Good? Manager Li, you are also very familiar with the artist department. I hope to enrich our artist department as soon as possible. Boss Wan, you also know Jingliu's status in the entertainment industry. They have been suppressing us for a long time, whether it's resources or artists. I'm afraid it will be difficult for us. Everyone shook their heads. This is the truth. Not only has Xuanhua been suppressed by Jingliu over the years, but his reputation outside has also been maliciously smeared by some media. It is not an easy task for him to recruit artists. Everyone in the circle basically knows that joining the noise is equivalent to going against Jingliu. There are many companies in the entertainment industry. Why go against Jingliu for this? Wan Qian frowned slightly. Indeed, this has led to a lack of young artists, and the reason is that Jingliu has suppressed them too harshly. But as the saying goes, money makes the world go round. Now Wan Qian has no shortage of money in her pocket. So she is quite confident about this. She smiled and said, the media smeared me, Jingliu suppressed me, but in fact, I am not strong enough. Jingliu is not alone in covering the sky. And we are not the noisy ones we used to be. Manager Li didn't know what Wan Qian meant by this. He frowned slightly, thought for a moment, and asked, Boss Wan, can I know how much money the company has injected? This will also give me some idea. Signing an artist requires money after all. So Manager Li naturally needs to know the company's strength and what kind of artist it can sign. Wan Qian knew what he meant and thought about it as she said 5 billion. It would really make people drop their jaws and would also make the outside world suspect that it was an exaggeration. 10 billion. After thinking of a suitable number, Wan Qian spoke directly. 10. Manager Li thought he had misheard. So he swallowed his saliva and quickly leaned forward to confirm again. Did you say 1 billion? That's right. JPY? Wabai. All of a sudden, except for Shang Xin, everyone else gasped and stood there in shock for a long time. 1 billion. This is too exaggerated. They knew that Wan Qian never exaggerates. And if she said 10 billion, it was definitely more than that. Now, do you feel confident? Wan Qian raised the corners of her mouth slightly. Got it. Done it. What Jingliu Entertainment is, let's take care of it. The two veterans, Supervisor Li and Manager Liu, were also stunned and their fighting spirit was immediately high. Should the funds be paid in installments or? It's already in my account. After the words fell, several people were surprised again. 1 billion was shocking. Generally speaking, such investment will be paid in installments. After all, it is equivalent to an investment before seeing the benefits. The investor may interrupt the investment at any time. Therefore, in the market, people generally do not inject all their capital, but transfer money in batches to reduce risks. And it is unbelievable that 1 billion yuan was directly injected in full. Such liquid assets are really too generous. Seeing everyone like this, Wan Qian was very satisfied. This is only 10 billion. If I say 5 billion, you would probably faint. I'm going to look for a new address for the company now. Now that we have money, we will find a good location and make sure the company's appearance is good, Won Ki-on said. Don't worry, Mr. Won. I will now recruit members from various departments to expand the company. After receiving Won Ki-on's affirmation, the heads of various departments immediately prepared to concentrate on their work. Won Ki-on hadn't seen such a scene for a long time. Before this, the company had always been in a state of decline and seemed like it would collapse at any time. This is the noise. That's how Xuanyang should be. Won Ki-on clenched her fists, full of fighting spirit. Manager Liu, this is Shang Xin, the artist I hired specially. I will handle her contract and agent myself. Shang Xin? Manager Liu searched his mind and seemed to have never heard of this name. But he still stretched out his hand and shook hands with Shang Xin. The first thing our company has to do is to make her famous. Here is Shang Xin's information. Send someone to contact the media to create hype. Also, ask all departments to cooperate, quickly organize the company's equipment and fully support Shang Xin. Clear. By the way, I asked you to find Teacher Chen and the others' phone numbers this morning. Yes, I have sent it to your WeChat. Understood. Now you can help Shang Xin get familiar with each department. And then quickly draw up a contract for me. What about the level of the contract? Manager Li asked, puzzled Lai. The highest artist contract is S level. Chapter 260, Big Deal. After Won Ki-on finished giving instructions for everything, she started calling composers and lyricists in the office. Shang Xin's album needs to be completed as soon as possible. On the other side, Li Chengyu received a call right after he left the company. Master Liu. Li Chengyu's attitude was extremely respectful. Completely different from when he was making noise earlier. How's it going? When the voice came, Li Chengyu took a deep breath and tried to organize his words. Master Liu, it's not done. What? Didn't you tell me it was a sure thing? Liu Cg was silent for a moment, then angrily asked. This bitch would rather dissolve the noise than bow her head? Hearing Liu Cg's voice, Li Chengyu also had a headache. He had no choice but to whisper, Young Master Liu. The noise has not dissipated. Not disbanded. Yes. According to Won Ki-on, they will continue to run the business. And even change the company name from Xuanhua to Xuanyang. What's the meaning? It seems she sold the company to someone else and got a lot of money. What did you say? This bitch is unwilling to give in even if she sells the company to someone else. Liu Cg's anger grew even louder. I asked you to keep an eye on Xuanhua. And now you tell me Xuanhua was sold to someone else. From what she said, it should have been sold. Should? I received a call from you early in the morning, saying that you could buy Xuanhua and make Won Ki-on surrender. Now you tell me you should. As soon as the voice fell, Li Chengyu's legs almost weakened, and he hurriedly said, Don't worry, Master Liu, I will go and find out who bought Xuanhua now. I have no patience left, damn it, he is just a woman. You have wasted so much of my time and energy, you are a fucking dog. You have to bring her to my bed, do you understand me? I heard it clearly, I heard it clearly, I heard it clearly. Useless trash. After cursing, Liu Cg hung up the phone. From the first moment he saw Won Ki-on on the screen, Liu Cg was attracted to this woman. As the young master of the Liu family and the helmsman of Jingyu Entertainment, he never thought that there would be a woman who would reject him. If I had known earlier, I would have used force, otherwise there wouldn't have been so many troubles. It's been several years, and this bitch has no intention of giving in. Okay, you want to continue running the noise, right? Liu Cg shook his head. The entertainment industry was such a small place and he had never failed to get what he wanted. Notify the public relations department immediately and send out a message that Jingyu Entertainment will boycott bad artists and include the names of Won Ki-on and Xuanhua Music Company. Liu Cg immediately picked up the phone on the table and notified everyone directly. Although Jingyu Entertainment cannot cover the sky with one hand in the entertainment industry, no one would offend a behemoth for the sake of a second-rate music company. Once the news comes out, everyone in the circle, including the media, will probably side with Jing Liu. Liu Cg shook his head. It was really wrong for a woman to consume so much of his energy. He wanted to see how long this woman could remain tough. How can a company that is always losing money continue to operate? On the other side, Li Chengyu went straight back to the branch after hanging up the phone. For him, now he had to quickly find out who dared to buy Xuanhua. He had no idea what was happening right under his nose. Won Ki-on has already contacted Chen Zichilong, a famous composer in the circle. Chen Zichilong is one of the best composers in the circle. He has created many hit songs and is considered a hot composer. The cost of commissioning songs is also very expensive. In the past it would have been unthinkable for her to commission a composer of Chen Zichilong's caliber to write a song for her. But now that my pockets are full, nothing is a problem. After agreeing on the high price, Won Ki-on breathed a sigh of relief. But the composer of this level, the quality of the song would not be bad. There is no need to worry about the album's title song. Another phone call was made, and Won Keon contacted some other composers and lyricists. An album like this is enough to show Xuan Yang's sincerity. Won Keon said confidently. Such a configuration is considered luxurious for Shang Xin. It is quite rare in the entertainment industry for several top composers and lyricists in the industry to work together to complete an album. Such a production can be said to be unprecedented. But the money is not small. And I'm afraid that even if the song sells well, it will be difficult to recover the cost of producing the entire album. But for her, she has to make this album well even if she loses money. The first shot of Yang Yang's comeback must be earth-shattering. As long as Shang Xin becomes famous, she won't have to worry about not being able to recover the cost of the album. At this time, Shang Xin and Manager Li had also returned to Won Keon's office. Manager Li looked at the names on Won Keon's desk and couldn't help but shudder. These are all big names in the circle. Are you planning to let them work together to create an album for Shang Xin? This is really unprecedented, and what a grand deal. He took a deep breath, took out the drafted contract, and said slowly, Mr. Won, this is Shang Xin's signing contract. Won Keon picked up the contract and started reading it. Xin, if you have any questions, you can ask them now. You can't go back on your word after signing the contract. No problem, Shang Xin said quickly. The terms of this contract also stunned her. Freedom and benefits are all maximized. She doesn't need to report to the company when she goes out to do commercial performances, and only needs to pay a small portion of the income. As for the salary, the starting amount is 1 album per year, and all resources are provided by the company. The income includes salary plus dividends. This is simply a dream contract. What could she be dissatisfied with? Okay, sign it then. But in a short while, the contract was signed. Manager Li did not leave at this moment. Instead, he looked at Won Keon and said hesitantly, are these composers that Mr. Won is looking for planning to create Shang Xin's first album? That's right, Won Keon nodded. So many big guys. Just to create 1 album? Yes. Isn't this a bit too big? Manager Li took a breath. Won Keon knocked on the table and said slowly, this is the first move after Xuan Yang's return, so it must be done in a big way. They must win the Original Music Award after the new year. Music Storm Award. Manager Li and Shang Xin's eyes widened immediately. This is just a domestic music award of lower standards. Won Keon let out a long sigh. It has been a long time since she dared to covet these domestic music awards. When the hype was at its peak, she had some ideas about various domestic awards. Now, even a lower-level music award requires such a big effort to compete for. It's really fucking. Winning the award and making Shang Xin famous is the first step for the company. Won Keon sighed. Manager Li had no choice but to nod. Just then, there was a knock on the door. Come in. Boss Won, this is Bad Jingliu has spoken out on Weibo. Taking the lead in boycotting us. Now many celebrities in the circle have reposted it. And it has become a hot topic. Chapter 261 Band 3rd Update. Won Keon's face suddenly turned gloomy. Jingliu Entertainment has been suppressing them for a long time. And she has been prepared for this. But I didn't expect it to come so quickly and violently. The circle is so small, especially the music circle, which is even more niche. These celebrities' reposts also led to a large number of fans' boycotts. Jingliu is planning to die before he even achieves anything. What now? Won Keon shook her head. She didn't know what to do about Jingliu's suppression. But the entertainment industry is like this. If you want to ride the wind and waves and face difficulties, you can only rely on your strength. Ignore it and don't make any noise. I have a huge influence. Let's wait and see, and then we can take advantage of the momentum when the album comes out. At this moment, the internet is in an uproar. Won Keon's screen image used to be good, but in the eyes of Jingliu Entertainment and various media, she has become an image of playing big and scheming. After the news broke that the one causing the uproar was Won Keon, many fans signed a joint letter on Weibo to boycott the group. I used to think she was pretty, but her character was really bad. You are still young. I never thought such a beautiful girl could be so kind-hearted. What is Noisy Music Company? I've never heard of it. I promise that any album released by this company will never appear in my playlist. Of course, there are also Won Keon's die-hard fans. These fans can be considered old fans. Although Won Keon has not released any new works for so many years, her past screen image is still deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. But two fists cannot beat four hands with so many celebrities jointly boycotting. Won Keon's small group of fans can't cause any waves at all. However, this was not enough. Soon a group of very aggressive fans appeared on Weibo, frantically attacking the artists and celebrities who reposted the message. In fact, anyone with a little common sense can see that these so-called die-hard fans of Won Keon are deliberately playing the opposite role. But when the tearing started, the rhythm was also brought up. What kind of star has what kind of fans? What kind of quality is this? I suggest they should be banned. Yeah, you can't even tell the truth to others. You're just a scheming bitch who acts like a big shot. There was a lot of criticism online. But for Won Ki-yeon, none of this matters anymore. She is very clear that she cannot reverse the current direction of public opinion by herself. Having been in the circle for a long time, she is also very clear about this. What they want is for her to refute, and once they find fault with her words, they will launch endless personal attacks. Now, the other party is just boycotting and saying things without any factual evidence. To be precise, these are all groundless rumors, so just ignore them. This is not the first time. Now, what she needs to do is to take care of the company and album matters first. Everyone has been contacted. The hotels where the composers would stay were also booked one after another. The office location, the equipment of the recording studio, and even the photographer for shooting the MV, all these things need to be taken care of. By the evening, Won Ki-yeon was so tired that she slumped in her chair. I casually flipped through Weibo and smiled helplessly. There were all kinds of comments about her, but after looking closely, I realized that she herself didn't even know that she had so many shortcomings. Even when eating on the set, if a piece of vegetable falls on the ground, it has become considered a waste of food. 1IMA. If Won Ki-yeon hadn't experienced enough things over the years, her mentality would probably have collapsed. After packing up her things, Won Ki-yeon prepared to go home after get off work. Just then, a phone suddenly rang. Hello? Is it Mr. Won from Noisy Music Company? It's me, Won Ki-yeon nodded in response. Hello, I'm Mr. Chen Ziyai-Chai-long's agent. Oh, hello. Won Ki-yeon was very polite. After all, she had just contacted Chen Ziyai-Chai-long at noon today. And the other party also agreed to come to Jeongdo to do business in the next few days. But what does it mean for the agent to contact me? We have already made it very clear to Teacher Chen this afternoon. Is there anything else we need to do? We have booked the air tickets and hotel according to his itinerary, Won Ki-yeon said calmly. I'm sorry, Mr. Won, I'm calling here just for this matter, the other party said in a cold voice. Are there any other requirements? Won Ki-yeon asked doubtfully. Excuse me, Mr. Won, are you going online? The other party suddenly asked. What's the meaning? I think Mr. Won should have seen the news about Jingliu Entertainment and the joint boycott by various celebrities today. I contacted you this time because of this matter. Won Ki-yeon's face suddenly became heavy, and she had a bad premonition. Mr. Won's character cannot be measured by one-sided statements on the internet. But we don't interact much with you, Mr. Won. So what? Won Ki-yeon's voice turned cold. Don't worry, Mr. Won. We don't mean to reject you. What we mean is that the current situation is very controversial and everyone is talking about it. If Mr. Chen's work is perfect, it will be fine, but if there is a problem, it will be disadvantageous to both parties. So for us, the original conditions may need to be changed. Won Ki-yeon frowned and could only ask, how do I change it? Mr. Won is really a quick-witted person. I won't hide anything from you then. In addition to the conditions you and Teacher Chen agreed on earlier, we have some other requirements. First, the salary will increase by another 3 million. Secondly, we hope that the production and promotion of the song will not include the name of a noisy company, as this may damage Mr. Chen's image. Hearing this, Won Ki-yeon's face turned gloomy. But she didn't get angry, she just kept silent. Third, Mr. Chen's songs must be sung by at least first-tier singers. We don't want the quality of the songs to be affected by the singer's abilities. Fourth, before he finished speaking, Won Ki-yeon had already spoken. That's enough. Mr. Won, don't be anxious, we haven't finished discussing our conditions yet. The other party chuckled. No need to say more. Won Ki-yeon's voice was filled with a hint of anger. I have always thought that Mr. Chen is a famous person with both virtue and talent. But today I have learned a lot if I remember correctly. I had a very pleasant conversation with Chen Ziyai-Chai-long at noon today. And we had already made it very clear, but I didn't expect that he would regret it after only half a day. Your Teacher Chen is too shameless. Won Ki-yeon snorted coldly, not giving any face to this big shot in the circle at all. No one can accept such conditions, without adding any noisy names. Anyone who sings it must get your approval, and you even raise the price casually? I lad your mother. No matter how good her attitude was, Won Ki-yeon was still very angry at the moment. Mr. Won, are you exaggerating? The discussion you had with Teacher Chen this afternoon was just a verbal agreement. No contract was signed, there was no benefit during this period. Please do not verbally slander Teacher Chen. Get out. Won Ki-yeon hung up the phone directly. Needless to say, with such conditions, it is estimated that there is no intention of cooperation at all. So what is the point of talking? Before she could recover, The phone rang again. Hello. I am Emerella Yang, who is agent. The phone call was hung up. Ras. A usually gentle and polite Won Keon couldn't help but curse. Several calls came in one after another. Several big-name composers in the circle who had made appointments with me called me, all of them wanting to cancel their contracts. Won Keon slumped in the chair. The consequences of the ban on Jingliu Entertainment have arrived. Chapter 260. To no one can say Xuanhua. Fourth update. Teacher Chen. Won Keon refused. At this moment, in a villa, a middle-aged man in his 40s was lying on the sofa, shaking his head slightly. Won Keon will definitely not accept such conditions. The person who spoke was none other than a big shot in the circle. Chen Zhilong, a well-known composer. Sitting next to him was a man in a suit and tie, who smiled and said, Teacher Chen's words didn't leave any room for Won Keon. She must be very distressed now. Young man, why don't you offend anyone else? If you offend Jingliu Entertainment, you will have to suffer. Chen Zhilong shook his head. This girl is still too young. You refuse to? One of them is a well-known composer and the other is a famous lyricist. The two have been friends for many years and have created many popular songs. Won Keon also invited to people at the same time. But what she didn't expect was that they were rejected after just half a day. Of course, this was fueled by the internet, but the most important thing was the voice of Jingliu Entertainment, which made it difficult for the two big names to cope. Meanwhile, on the other side, Jingliu Entertainment Chengdu branch. The lights were on at this moment, and Li Chengyu was sitting in the office with a frown on his face. There were two other people sitting next to him. Dong Yan, a first-line singer. Lin Hang is an original musician, singer and lyricist who is very good and is also active in the singing circle. There are only these three people in this office. Coincidentally, all three of them came from a noisy background and are now artists under Jingliu Entertainment. If we were to rank people within Xuanhua, these three would definitely be in the top 5. As they are all traitors in the eyes of everyone in Xuanhua, the three of them sat together, drinking tea, each with something on their mind. Brother Yu, has Xuanhua really been sold? Well, it seems that there is also an investment, and the amount is not small. I received news that Won Keon has been contacting lyricists and composers, including Mr. Chen Zhilong and others. She wants to make a comeback. It's possible. Li Chengyu nodded. Won Keon still wants to debut? She has good talent if she has a few good songs. It won't be difficult for her to become a top singer. Dong Yan pondered. The three of them looked at each other and understood what the other was thinking. They all came out of the noise, and their role is actually to put an end to the noise. In fact, before UCG had any idea about Won Keon, there was not even such a thing as a Chengdu branch of Jingliu. Their existence is just UCG's attempt to put a thorn in Won Keon's heart. A first-line singer might be treated as a treasure by other companies, but Jingliu Entertainment has the resources. They have no shortage of first and second-tier singers, and there are many celebrities and superstars. If Won Keon had not given in and the commotion had not subsided, UCG probably wouldn't have cared about them. For a moment, all three of them were worried. If Won Keon's matter is not handled properly, UCG will be furious and may ban them. By then, no one would be able to withstand the wrath of Yu Xiao, the young master of Jingliu Entertainment. Several people couldn't help but frown. Won Keon can't be allowed to debut. A head office has already voiced its boycott on Weibo, and the effect should be good. But we can't just sit back and watch. Li Chengyu pondered for a moment, then suddenly asked, How are you two preparing for your new song? It's almost done. Ready to be released, Dong Yan said. In addition to being a singer, Lin Hang is also an excellent composer and lyricist. The two of them have been active on the front line for a long time and their abilities are outstanding. Based on my understanding of Won Keon, she made such a big move this time, probably to make a comeback. She contacts those lyricists and composers very frequently, and she is probably very eager to make a sensational start. Li Chengyu pondered. That should be the case. I think the investors behind her will probably put pressure on her. If the results are not good, they may interrupt their investment. Lin Hang and the other person nodded at the same time. And you have to win the award. The most recent award is the Original Music Award. I think Won Keon is most likely aiming for this. Several people pondered together for a long time, and Li Chengyu said, If that's the case. A challenge? Lin Hang asked. That's right, we want to compete with them and beat them. The requirements for the Original Songs Award are not high. It's the end of the year and not many people are releasing new songs. Moreover, many big names are not interested in the Songs Award. After all, it is a small award, but it means a lot to Won Keon. She needs this award to prove herself. So we have to beat her and not let her use this opportunity to make a comeback. That's right, I called you here for this, Li Chengyu said with a smile. I originally prepared this album for the Fengyan Awards. If it happened to coincide with Wan Qian's, it would really be a coincidence. Dong Yan said with a smile. But I'm a little worried. If the composer is Mr. Chen Zichai-long and others, the risk will be quite high. Mr. Chen's ability is still intimidating, Lin Hang expressed his concerns. He and Dong Yan are certainly confident about their album. But it also depends on who the right person is. If it is a top celebrity like Chen Zichai-long, it may not be the case. Even the winning rate is pitifully low. You don't have to worry about that. Mr. Chen Zichai-long's agent is a friend of mine. We just contacted each other. Mr. Chen proposed some very excessive conditions, which were rejected by Wan Qian on the spot. The two of them could not reach a cooperative relationship. And Teacher Li was drinking tea with Teacher Chen, and they both refused. As soon as the words came out, the two of them looked bright. If things go as expected, the joint boycott by the head office should be effective. Let alone big names like Mr. Chen. I'm afraid there are few composers in the circle willing to write songs for Xuanhua. They probably know it's not worth it to offend us Jingliu for a little money. Li Chengyu continued with a smile. If that's the case, and it's a problem whether Wan Qian can produce a song or not. Dong Yan laughed immediately. Yes, but we have to be careful about everything. We are waiting for Wan Qian's news. Once she decides on the release date of the album, we will immediately announce the release of the album at the same time. As long as we beat them, the initial buzz will be silenced, and their subsequent investments will surely stop. When the time comes, no one can save Xuanhua. Li Chengyu smiled. Dong Yan and the other man smiled at each other. No matter how noisy it is, it can never beat a behemoth like Jingliu. And at this moment, just as they thought, Wan Qian's face was full of distress. When I got home, it was already late at night. I rubbed my head and felt extremely irritated. All the composers and lyricists have expressed their refusal to cooperate with Xuanhua, so there is no way they can make a good start for Xuanhua. It is now a problem to fire the first shot. No one writes songs. This is the biggest problem. Both she and Shang Xian can only sing but not write, so it is even more difficult for them to write well. She looked at the ceiling and became sleepless again. Yesterday she couldn't sleep because she was too excited about Xiaoyang's 5 billion. Today, however, it was the exact opposite. I was too restless to fall asleep. Is there no one who can save Xuanhua? Chapter 263. I like to eat Changyan with ginger salt. Early morning. Xiaoyang reached out and scooped it up. Nothing at all. Because he was injured, he slept in a separate bed from Zhang Yan for fear of any conflicts. Besides, Zhang Yan also had to go back to school to train in tennis. After 2 days of loneliness, Xiaoyang couldn't help but let out a long sigh. A life of abstinence is never easy. Okay, get up and have breakfast. This time, it was Zhang Yan who took the initiative to wake up Xiaoyang. What are you cooking today? Porridge. What kind of porridge? Crab roe porridge. You can also cook porridge. Xiaoyang was full of surprise. It was crab roe porridge. Of course you underestimated me, didn't you? Zhang Yan raised her eyebrows proudly. Did you add salt? Release? Ginger and salt have been added. Including your favorite Zhang Yan, is that okay? But I still like this Zhang Yan. Xiaoyang stood up and hugged Zhang Yan, who smiled sweetly and tapped Xiaoyang's little head. Okay, let go. No, we are already an old married couple. Why should we let go? Zhang Yan blushed, saying that they were an old married couple. But every time Xiaoyang took advantage of her body couldn't help but soften and her face flushed. It's time to eat breakfast, or it'll get cold. It'll be hot again if it's cold. I just want to eat Zhang Yan. As he said that, Xiaoyang's hands became more unscrupulous. No, I have to go back to school soon. What should I do? I haven't had your special breakfast for a long time. Xiaoyang rubbed his head around Zhang Yan's belly. You old pervert. Zhang Yan patted Xiaoyang's head and pushed him away. Go find your Lin Q. No, Xiaoyu is still bleeding. Zhang Yan glared at Xiaoyang, and the latter had to let go. No, I'll sleep a little longer. You're so old and still staying in bed. Zhang Yan felt helpless seeing Xiaoyang having a childish temper. How about you help me? Seeing Zhang Yan relax a little, Xiaoyang's mouth quarters slightly raised. Why do you want my help? I don't want to be late for training again today. Xiaoyang pulled Zhang Yan over and whispered in her ear. Zhang Yan's face immediately turned red, all the way to her ears. Although they are an old couple, the most extreme thing they have done is just the guillotine or something like that. But what Xiaoyang requested? No, that thing is so dirty. I don't want it. And I'll go find Xiaoyu. Xiaoyang pouted and pretended to be angry. Xiaoyu would never do such a thing. Who said that? Gee, Xiaoyang almost blurted out. But Zhang Yan opened her eyes wide, full of disbelief. Little Yu? Xiaoyang nodded slightly. That's her business, then you can go find her. I don't want to. Zhang Yan turned her head away. but was stunned. Xiao Yu is so innocent. Such a lovely girl, actually. She gasped, immediately put her hands on her hips and scolded. Didn't you say you haven't had sex yet? That? Yes. That's right, but, Xiao Yang didn't know how to explain it for a moment. Then you can continue to stay in bed. I'm going to have breakfast first. I don't want to bother with you. Zhang Yan snorted and turned to leave the room. Xiao Yang secretly glanced a few times, and seeing that there was no movement, he had to give in. It seems that the revolution has not yet succeeded. Keep working hard. But just when Xiao Yang was about to get up, change clothes and have breakfast, a figure appeared again. Zhang Yan stared with her beautiful eyes and bit her lower lip lightly. This is just the first time. It won't happen again. Xiao Yang was immediately delighted, his lips curled up. This won't happen again. After a long time, Xiao Yang put on his clothes and went downstairs calmly. That's all. He let out a long sigh, full of courage. At this moment, Zhang Yan was brushing her teeth with foam in her mouth. She snorted and was quite dissatisfied with what Xiao Yang had just done. This guy actually. Can I eat that? Oh. Disgusting. When I went downstairs, Xiao Yang was already heating up the porridge. It was indeed crab roe porridge, but it had been stored for a long time and was a bit cold. After the food was heated up, Xiao Yang filled a bowl and placed it in front of Zhang Yan. Wife, it's time for breakfast. Xiao Yang scooped a spoonful of porridge and handed it to Zhang Yan. The latter glared at Xiao Yang, then opened his mouth with an exclamation. Suddenly she took a breath. Are you feeling sour? Xiao Yang chuckled. What nonsense, Zhang Yan cursed. Her mouth was really sour. Then don't move, I'll feed you. Xiao Yang said with a grin. Don't think about me doing this again. It's disgusting. Zhang Yan rolled her eyes at Xiao Yang. That's right, it won't happen again, never again. Xiao Yang kissed Zhang Yan on the face, and the latter then snorted to show her forgiveness. The crab roe porridge made by my wife is pretty good. Xiao Yang took a bite and gave a thumbs up. This is totally unlike Zhang Yan's style. He still remembers that yesterday's breakfast was also porridge. But it was lean meat porridge that was so thick that you could see the salt grains. Well, if you are nearsighted and your taste buds are damaged, maybe you can eat it. That's my learning ability. By the way, when did our family buy crabs? Isn't it okay what I bought yesterday? You're awesome. Xiao Yang smiled and glanced at the trash can. He saw that there seemed to be a bill in it. The big words, "Ayeli" me are quite eye-catching. However, Xiao Yang did not expose her, but continued to feed Zhang Yan porridge. They took a bite and soon finished most of it. Rest for a while. I'm going to school, Zhang Yan sighed. Be careful. Xiao Yang rubbed Zhang Yan's head and advised. You too, it's already like this, don't go out and mess around. Just stay home and wait for me to come back. Okay. Is there any reward? Xiao Yang suddenly asked. What other reward do you want? For example, what happened just now? Before Xiao Yang finished speaking, Zhang Yan gave him a small slap on the head. Bruh. Okay. Seeing Xiao Yang happily running to wash the dishes, Zhang Yan couldn't help but smile. It was early in the morning as well. Lin Qiyu, on the other hand, was not at peace at all. I told you it's impossible, so forget it. Lin Qiyu snorted coldly while holding the phone. Give it to me. Woo, I miss my goddess so much. Zhu Jiyu's voice came from the other end of the phone. Just give me his phone number, I'll take it as a plea from you. Dumb H. You can ask for it, even 100 meals will do. I will deliver meals to you every day, Zhu Jiyu said directly. Life without a goddess is so painful. What she didn't expect was that the goddess had secretly left the hospital, and the phone number she had given her before was no longer in service. I looked everywhere but couldn't find anyone. I haven't been able to do my work while these past few days. Even though I have ginger to lick, it doesn't taste like the goddess at all. Zhu Jiyu wanted to say something, but Lin Qiyu on the other end of the phone hung up. Lin Qiyu, Zhu Jiyu snorted, but there was nothing she could do. Lin Qiyu on the other end also looked helpless. What goddess? That's my male god, okay. She regretted that she should not have shared Xiao Yang's photos wearing women's clothing with her elder sister. This was completely a sheep walking into a tiger's mouth. After all, who would have thought that after being gay for so many years, she would actually become straight after meeting Xiao Yang? Exaggerate. She heaved a long sigh, not knowing when Xiao Yang's injury would heal, as her own bleeding had already lasted for 7 days. Chapter 260. For another day of getting rich overnight, Zhang Yan returned to school, but her home soon welcomed uninvited guests. Xiao Yang invited Lin Han Wen into the house with surprise, but the latter had a happy look on his face and held 2 bottles of red wine in his hands. Uncle Lin, what happened to you that made you so happy? I was just about to ask you, why are you so calm? Lin Han Wen looked at Xiao Yang in even greater surprise, and I felt relieved when I thought about it. He was wrong. A man like Xiao Yang was obviously more ambitious than Kunpeng. and he himself could not even catch up with him. What did I do? Xiao Yang couldn't help but sneer, looking confused. I'm still injured, so I need to eat and drink. How come you have time to come here? Xiao Yang also treated Lin Hanwen with special respect. Lin Hanwen was originally his elder, and now he had another identity. Lin Qiu's father and future father-in-law. He also helped the other person sit down. Okay, let's stop talking for now, let us sober up first. Today, I won't go home until I'm drunk, aha. Lin Hanwen put down the 2 bottles of wine. Then looked at Xiao Yang's wine cabinet and sighed. You said I came to hastily, forget about these 2 bottles of wine. The grade is not up to par, and it is not suitable for today's atmosphere. Your bottle looks good. As he spoke, he took out a bottle of 1980 to Lafite from Xiao Yang's wine cabinet and skillfully found the decanter. Xiao Yang's face was filled with black lines. Well, you're here to drink for free again. But it doesn't matter. I seldom touch the wine myself. It would be better to keep it and give it to my father-in-law as an honor. I've seen the video of you confessing your love for Shuoi online. Lin Hanwen sat down and directly brought up Lin Qiu's matter. Xiao Yang suddenly looked unnatural. Lin Hanwen understood his situation. If he had come a little earlier, Zhang Yan would still be in the room. This is nothing. The most important thing is that Lin Hanwen is still Lin Qiu's father. But it doesn't look like they are here to call for punishment. He sat upright, but didn't know how to start talking. Just like when he was listening to his elders talking during the New Year. He didn't say a word. Okay, don't act like that. I'm not here to blame you, and I are both men. We all know your little thoughts. Lin Hanwen patted Xiao Yang's shoulder and said with a smile. I have to say, you sing pretty well. It's all just random singing. Xiao Yang forced a smile. Lin Hanwen sat down, sighing. You are indeed quite capable, but I know my daughter well. She may seem easy to deceive, but she has her bottom line. I don't know where you got this ability from, kid. You really fooled everyone. Uncle Lin, that's your daughter. When you say lie, isn't that an inappropriate word? Xiao Yang also looked helpless. How about that? You are loyal and deeply in love? Lin Hanwen rolled his eyes at Xiao Yang. If I had this ability back then, I wouldn't have divorced Lin Qiu's mother and moved abroad. Xiao Yang was speechless. That's the reason. But as for this relationship, if you just say it directly, there will always be problems no matter how you think about it. Also, what does this excitement on your face mean? Xiao Yang was full of doubts at the time, but he didn't say it out loud. And the atmosphere was a little awkward. Seeing this, Lin Hanwen knew that he couldn't say more about this matter. He could tolerate this matter, but it was still considered a taboo in China. He said, okay, let's not talk about Shuoi. I came to you today because I have other things to do. You say. Xiao Yang wanted to change the subject to something else. It's about the earth. Earth? Xiao Yang frowned slightly. Is there a problem with the land you bought? No, it's your land. I'm wondering if you have a city planning map in your head. You can predict this. When the words fell, Xiao Yang was shocked. How do you know I have a city plan in my head? Don't you have a system too? After thinking about it, it should be impossible. Xiao Yang coughed lightly and said. What do you mean? There's news from above today. Xi district is seriously polluted. Gongming district has been hit hard by the disaster due to its topography. There is already news from above that Chengdu's economic and technological center will be moved to Xi district. After geological monitoring, there is no problem with the land. In addition, the Xi district is located at a high altitude and will not be affected by the flood of the Hui River. In addition, the University of Science and Technology, which was originally located in Gongming district, will also be relocated to the old city. The land you bought at the auction dinner will probably skyrocket in value. As he spoke, Lin Hanwen became more and more excited. The land in the old city was originally worthless. The land that Xiao Yang bought with the money at that time is estimated to have increased in value more than 10 times now. Originally everyone thought that Xiao Yang had acquired the land in the old city as a result of a fierce fight with Fang Jingyang, and that Xiao Yang had suffered a great loss. But now I see that this is not a loss at all. This is how you buy gold of equal quality with the price of scrap iron. Xiao Yang was also quite surprised to hear Lin Hanwen's words. Because of the city planning map, he knew that the ultimate beneficiary would be the old town, but I didn't know it would be so fast. And this matter is all related to the Fang family. So those lands are now more valuable than gold? Xiao Yang sighed. Indeed, but the news has not been spread yet, and the official has not announced it directly. But the prices in the old city will definitely increase as a result. Lin Hanwen smiled and said, in fact, I also bought some land in the old city. It turned out that after seeing Xiao Yang take over the land in the old city, and with the problems with the Fang family and the dam, he also became interested in the old city. However, he did not dare to buy too much. Instead, he bought a small piece of land. According to the geographical location, there should be no problem in building a medium-sized building. This is equivalent to picking up money, that's why I'm so excited. At this moment, Lin Hanwen looked at Xiaoyang more and more and liked him more and more. This kid's vision is amazing. Ever since he bought the land in District Tax C and was persuaded by Fang's family to resell it, it seemed that Xiaoyang had never missed a good opportunity. Because of the Fang family's affairs, the land in Gongming District was flooded. The key point was that the Fang family also bought a large piece of land at the auction dinner. For this reason, Gongming District is now shifting its focus. Although it is still possible to develop there, the dam must be repaired in the future. Otherwise no one knows when Gongming District will be flooded again. In the end, the old town got the best deal. It was the city center in the 1980s. Transportation is not a problem and the geographical location is not bad. With support from above, I am afraid that in a year or two, it will become the economic center of Jiangdu. This guy is really awesome. If you don't know him, you would think he has some kind of system. Lin Hanwen, who was reading online novels when he had nothing to do, also looked envious. But in this process, he also gained something. Because they are his own son-in-law, so he is happy. Come, have a drink. Xiaoyang was naturally very happy. Those lands were bought for 3 billion yuan. Such a large piece of land was developed into the city center. Basically, it can be said that they occupy half of the entire city center. How much does this cost? Unimaginable. Another day of getting rich overnight. Chapter 265. Everyone is looking for Xiaoyang Part 3. I guess a lot of people out there already know about the decision. The renovation of the old city is a major trend. Just this morning, the price of land in the old city has more than tripled. And it's not in the central area. I'm afraid everyone outside is looking for you now. I couldn't contact you either, so I came directly to your door. Lin Hanwen sighed continuously, his face full of excitement. He originally bought the small piece of land just to try his luck. But who would have thought that now every inch of land is worth a lot of money and the price has doubled? There's really no place to vent this uncontrollable excitement. So I might as well come to Xiaoyang's place and have a good drink. By the way, what are you going to do with such a large piece of land? Lin Hanwen suddenly asked. This question stumped Xiaoyang. He really didn't know what to do with such a large piece of land. In fact, there are only two companies under his control. Xingyang and Xuanhua. One is a food company, and the other is a music company. The land they use is not large, and he can open Xingyang barbecue buffets all over the old city. A music company doesn't need land at all it needs is an office building. This really put Xiaoyang in a difficult position. He pondered for a moment, but was not in a hurry. He smiled and said, I don't have any plans for now, I'll just leave it there and wait for it to appreciate in value. Lin Hanwen glanced at Xiaoyang and wanted to ask him some questions. But seeing him like this, he couldn't help but laugh and said, You are so cunning, kid. If you don't want to tell me, then forget it. What you said is not that I don't want to tell you. It's that I really don't know what to do. Xiaoyang took a sip of wine and smiled slightly. Lin Hanwen did not speak, but nodded slightly. But you are right. It is fine to just sit and wait for appreciation, but if you have any ideas that can cooperate with Uncle Lin, just speak up. This is also Lin Hanwen's purpose this time. In addition to the real estate company, he also has a small construction company and decoration company. No matter what Xiaoyang wants to do, he can always use them. Using such a large piece of land for commercial purposes is also a big project. Xiaoyang nodded quickly and had a plan in mind. Currently, Xingyang's development is relatively stable. Zhang Shangzu's ability is beyond doubt. She is definitely a strong woman. I have also received feedback from Zhang Shangzu these days. The decoration of the branches in Jiangdu has been almost completed. After they open, she will not be so stressed. When the time comes, I can ask her what ideas she has and maybe I can expand my business plan. Anyway, I won't run away from this place. At this time, Zhang Shangzu was indeed very busy. In addition to the work at Xingyang Food, Zhang Shangzu was very busy today. Just as he sat down, someone else walked into the office. Mr. Zhang, MRLI Hao, the chairman of Lingfeng Foreign Trade, wants to see you. Zhang Shangzu rubbed his head and said helplessly. Anything else? Fueling International. Fanghua Clothing. Zhang Shangzu frowned slightly. I don't know what happened today. And many people came to Xingyang Company to ask to see me. The key is that they have little intersection with Xingyang's business. She put the file down. At this time, the secretary was stunned again and said, Zhang Yiming, chairman of Saya N Group. Zhang Shangzu looked up immediately. What do they want? She thought for a moment and asked. Have no idea. Bring everyone to the conference room. I'll be there in a moment. Zhang Shangzu put down the work in his hands and spoke. Good. The secretary went out, but Zhang Shangzu felt a little tired. A work at hand is almost done now. I am busy with the opening of Xingyang Food. Once Xingyang Food is on track, I won't be so busy. She walked out of the office and rushed to the meeting room. At this time, someone was already waiting here. Zhang Shangzu took a look and didn't see Zhang Yiming. Boss Zhang. I didn't expect Ms. Zhang to be so young and beautiful. Boss Zhang is really a young and promising man. When everyone saw Zhang Shangzu, they all stood up and greeted her. Naturally, they did not dare to look down on Zhang Shangzu. And those who came here basically knew all the information about Zhang Shangzu, the second daughter of the Zhang family and Xiaoyang's sister-in-law. No matter what the name is, they cannot afford to offend. If you have anything to say, just get straight to the point. We, Xingyang, are a food company. I don't think we have any business dealings with you guys, Zhang Shangzu said coldly. This is her style of doing things. And everyone has heard about it, so naturally no one finds it strange. They sat down and said with a smile, it's like this. One of the purposes of our visit is to visit Xingyang and see if there is any opportunity for cooperation. The second is that I want to visit Mr. Xiao. Mr. Xiao? Zhang Shangzu frowned slightly. It's Mr. Xiaoyang. We really want to meet Mr. Xiao. We have met him once at the last auction dinner, but we couldn't contact him, so we came to bother Mr. Zhang. Please forgive us. Are you all here to see Xiaoyang? Zhang Shangzu pondered for a moment and said, I don't know where President Xiao is. He has basically never been to Xingyang. If you have any questions, I will find a chance to tell President Xiao. Several people looked at each other. They are all bigwigs from all walks of life who attended the auction dinner. It is no exaggeration to say that almost all of them have a net worth of billions and are owners of large companies. They all condescended to ask to see Xiaoyang, but who would have thought that they would get this answer? Okay, Mr. Zhang, please ask Mr. Xiao to contact us. After saying that, several people left their business cards. In the eyes of others, these business cards are rare resources and they all belong to big shots. Zhang Shangzu glanced at a few gold-plated business cards and nodded. They were all busy people, and since they couldn't see Xiaoyang, they all left. At this time, when several people were leaving the company, they saw Zhang Yiming, who just walked in. Boss Zhang. Hello, Mr. Zhang. MRLI, long time no see. Mr. Liu. You're welcome. Zhang Yiming greeted several people with a smile. After entering the meeting room, Zhang Yiming sat down. Mr. Zhang, is there anything I can help you with? Zhang Shangzu frowned slightly and closed the door of the conference room. Why? Can't you find my daughter if nothing happens? Zhang Yiming laughed, with a loving face. Please don't say that. Just tell me what you want to say. On TE, I know you. Zhang Shangzu shook her head. This company has been open for a long time, and this is Zhang Yiming's first time here. Usually, he is rarely seen here. So many people came to the company today, and he came to. How could it be such a coincidence? No one knows a father better than his son. Zhang Shangzu still understands his father well. He is probably just like those people just now, smelling something and coming here. Chaozu, you must be tired recently. Look at you, you look so tired. Zhang Yiming was not in a hurry, but said with a distressed look on his face. Zhang Shangzu curled her lip. She was already used to Zhang Yiming's behavior. She turned around and said, if you don't get down to business, I'll leave first. No. Zhang Yiming also understood his daughter's temper. He was afraid that she would really ask him to leave in the next second. So he stood up immediately with a smile on his face. Zhang Shangzu shook her head. Go ahead. Chapter 266. There is no regret medicine in the world. 4th update. Valentine's Day. I don't have a girlfriend, so I have to choose to add more. Don't be in a hurry. Sit down first. Zhang Yiming smiled, pulled Zhang Shangzu over to sit down beside him, and then said, this company has a good environment, but the place is a bit small. Would you like to consider moving the company to Saya N building? I will vacate a few floors for you. Seeing Zhang Shangzu rolling her eyes, Zhang Yiming quickly asked, is this company leasing office space also considered business? Zhang Shangzu knew that his father was a businessman who would not do anything without profit, and it was definitely not for this matter. He shook his head and refused. We are doing fine here, and the company has enough money to rent a few floors. If you say that again, I will ask you to leave. Zhang Yiming was helpless and could only shake his head helplessly. Okay, you and your sister have the same personality. I used to think you were the only one who was well behaved and obedient. But you. Okay, then let me ask you seriously. What is your relationship with Xiaoyang? Zhang Shangzu frowned immediately. Dad, what are you thinking about? I'm just an employee who helps him manage the company. If you insist, I'm at most his subordinate. At most, I can be considered your sister-in-law, so please don't let your imagination run wild. That's good. Zhang Yiming nodded, feeling mixed emotions. One of his two daughters was abducted by Xiaoyang, and the other is now working for Xiaoyang. It's unbelievable. Seeing him like this, Zhang Shangzu simply said, you are not here to see me today, right? Not exactly. I'm here to see you too. By the way, what has Xiao Yang been doing recently? Really? Zhang Shengzu seemed a little helpless. My father is like this. Prophet is everything. He previously forced his own daughter to marry into the Fang family. Now he is probably coming to me because of something Xiao Yang did. Those who didn't know would think that he really came to see her. But she was the only one who knew that he was the same as the previous few people who came here for profit. I haven't seen Xiao Yang for a while. If you want to find him, you should ask my sister, Zhang Shengzu said speechlessly. Your sister doesn't even pay attention to me. Yes, I was wrong to force your sister to marry into the Fang family. But it was also for her own good that father didn't want his daughter to marry someone of equal status. After all, the Fang family was a prominent family at that time. Zhang Yiming looked helpless. So what about the Fang family now? If it worked for Xiao Yang, who knows what would have happened to my sister because of all the trouble in the Fang family? Zhang Shengzu sneered at this matter. Who would have thought that Xiao Yang hid so deeply? Okay, stop beating around the bush if you want to talk to Xiao Yang about something. I can tell him for you. Seeing that Zhang Yiming wanted to say something, Zhang Shengzu interrupted him directly. It's like this. Xiao Yang still has some shares of the company. I know that. It's 40% of the shares. If you want to buy it back, and go find him directly. Others can't find Xiao Yang. But can you? Zhang Shengzu shook her head. No, I don't want to take back the shares. I want him to come to Saya N Group as the general manager. According to the shareholding system, he is fully qualified to work in Saya N Group. And he is also the only major shareholder besides me. What did you say? Let Xiao Yang work at Saya N Group? Zhang Shengzu looked surprised. Although I don't know how your relationship with Xiao Yang has progressed, he will definitely not go to work at Saya N Group, so don't even think about it. I know that, but I'm doing this to ease the relationship between us. After all, we are father-in-law and son-in-law. No matter what Zhang Yan is like, she is still my daughter. We can't be like this forever. Zhang Yiming said with a wry smile. Then just talk to him. What's the point of telling me? Zhang Shengzu didn't buy it. She knew her father too well. I can't see him. Looking for my sister. Your sister ignored me. And it's no use for you to look for me. I don't have the ability to ask Xiao Yang to come out. Zhang Shengzu refused directly. Zhang Yiming frowned. Still thinking. If you ask me, you shouldn't have broken up the couple in the first place. Now look what you have done. You must have been wrong. Zhang Shengzu shook her head. She didn't want to get involved in the mess at home at all. Just imagine, if he forced me to marry some playboy, I would probably end up like my sister. Yes, it's my fault that I misjudged you at the beginning. Zhang Yiming shook his head helplessly. He didn't expect Xiao Yang to hide so deeply. At least before today, he admitted that Xiao Yang was capable. And he was afraid that he might be hiding something even deeper at home. But who would have known that this guy was not only rich, but also had excellent vision? Who would have thought that such a shabby piece of land in the old city would be bought directly by him? The economic center of Jiangdu was directly transferred to the old city area. As soon as the news came out, almost everyone knew that every inch of land in the old city is now worth a lot of money. The piece of land that was originally considered expensive at 3 billion yuan may be worth tens of billions in a while. And the key is that it is still out of stock. Who could have thought of this? He didn't know whether Xiao Yang had already predicted this. But this ability alone was enough to make people take notice of him. That's why we wanted him to work in Saya N Group. But this was just a trick. He also knew that Xiao Yang looked down on Saya N Group. After all, 40 of the shares were given to Zhang Yan for her to handle. This is totally not considering money as money, let alone coming to work at Saya N Group. He said this just to find an excuse to ease the relationship with Xiao Yang. You are the same as those people, you act when you see profit. Zhang Shengzu suddenly said. It was like pouring a bucket of cold water on Zhang Yiming. Seeing this, Zhang Yiming couldn't help but rub his head. At this point, it doesn't matter that my daughter is gone. The key is that I still can't get Xiao Yang's support. If they had not been separated in the first place, this wouldn't have happened. Zhang Yiming sighed. Okay. If you meet Xiao Yang, please help me put in a few words. I didn't mean it at the beginning. You regret it now. But unfortunately there is no regret medicine in this world. If you want to say something nice, go ahead and say it yourself. I'm busy now. Seeing this, Zhang Shengzu shook her head even more. Her father had too much of a businessman, but he regretted it because of Xiao Yang's current financial resources. If the Fang family was still there and Xiao Yang was still the same, he probably wouldn't have any regrets at all. After she finished speaking, Zhang Yan turned around and left, leaving Zhang Yiming alone in the office. What is going on? He sighed, his face full of regret. Thinking back to the last time I saw Xiao Yang, it was at the Fang family's holiday villa. At that time, the Fang family was still at its peak, and Xiao Yang risked his life to bring Zhao Yan out of the Fang family. At that time, Xiaoyang told himself that the land in Gongming district might be the last straw that broke the camel's back for the Fang family. Now, everything has come true. The land in the old city has also appreciated due to the shift of the economic center. This is not a poor boy at all, he is definitely a rich son-in-law. However, she sent this wealthy son-in-law away, thinking that he was just a toad who wanted to eat us one. Now, not to mention him, all the merchants in Jiangdu want to meet Xiaoyang and get a share of the profits from his land in the old city. Zhang Yiming was not that serious, but he had already seen Xiaoyang's bright future. Unfortunately, in Xiaoyang's eyes, he may not be as good as those businessmen he only met once. Worry and regret. Unfortunately, there is no medicine for regret in this world. Ever since he decided to cut the Gordian knot and tricked Zhang Yan into going to the Fang family's holiday villa, their relationship as father-in-law and son-in-law had already collapsed. Chapter 267, I'm too into the play, classmate. Xiaoyang didn't know that so many people were looking for him outside. As for Zhang Yiming coming to see Zhang Shengzu didn't inform him either. After drinking with Lin Hanwen, Xiaoyang fell into a deep sleep. When he woke up, it was already night. Zhang Yan did not come back, but told him that there would be a campus warm-up friendly match the next day. She would train late tonight and stay in the school. After ordering some takeout and eating it, Xiaoyang fell into a deep sleep. The next day, the sun is shining brightly and the weather is only slightly cool today. Jiangdu Business School. Classmate, can you tell me how to get to the tennis court in your school? Is there any friendly tennis match today? The one who asked the question was Xiaoyang. He finally understood what it meant to miss someone so much after not seeing them for a day. Zhang Yan didn't come back yesterday, and she had nothing to do this morning. So she came here directly after eating. I didn't tell Zhang Yan because I wanted to give her a surprise. It is said that girls who do sports are the most beautiful. Xiaoyang also wants to see what Zhang Yan looks like when she competes. He didn't know much about tennis, but he knew how to read people. Sportswear should be better than blood drops. Xiaoyang drove all the bad thoughts out of his mind and asked the students passing by with a smile. The person asking the question was a girl. When the girl saw someone patting her shoulder, she was about to get angry, but when she turned around and saw Xiaoyang's pale face, she immediately lost her temper. Yes, our school has a friendly tennis match today, between the men's tennis team and the women's tennis team. Okay, can you tell me how to get there? Xiaoyang asked with a smile. For a moment, his handsome face made the girls blush. How can someone be this handsome? She pointed in a direction with a blushing face. Xiaoyang smiled, said thank you and walked in that direction. At this moment, many people around me were walking towards the tennis court, and my ears were filled with the discussions of passers-by. Zhang Yan should be there for the tennis-friendly match. Yeah, Zhang Yan hasn't shown up at school for a long time. I thought I'd never see her again. She is the sports goddess of our school. Colonel Zhang, if we can see her today, it will be a huge win. I don't know where Principal Zhang is gone. I haven't heard from her for a long time. But I heard that this friendly tennis match is between the school's men's tennis team and the women's tennis team. I'm afraid their strength is not even on the same level. Indeed, the gap between the physical fitness of boys and girls is really too big. There's a big gap in speed, reaction, and physical strength. But the strength of the women's tennis team is unquestionable. Last year, Colonel Zhang led the team to the national semifinals. The men's tennis team is not so strong and did not even make it out of the provincial tournament. It's just like football, men's football and women's football. Oh, it's all tears if I talk too much about it. Even so, the gap between men and women is still there, although I really want to see the women's team win. It's still difficult in reality. After listening to the discussion of several people, Xiaoyang roughly figured it out. It was a friendly match between men and women. However, in competitive sports, there has always been a significant gap between men and women. And I don't know how the men's team had the audacity to play against the women's team. It's just a friendly match, so winning or losing doesn't matter. Soon, Xiaoyang arrived at the tennis court. I don't know when this place was already crowded with people. Xiaoyang found an empty seat and sat down directly. At the same time, the cheers were louder and louder like waves, which shows the influence of tennis in this school. But it is true, every school has some strengths. I don't know if it's because of the wrong talents or what, but the business school's tennis team has always been ranked among the best in the country and is also known as Jiangdu Tennis Academy. Of course, most of this refers to the women's tennis team. At this moment, there are some people sitting on the sidelines. The boys wearing sportswear on one side should be the men's tennis team. On the other side, there were a few girls warming up. They must be the women's tennis team. At this moment, most people's attention was focused on the women's tennis team. Zhang Yan is one of the most watched ones. This tennis stadium is quite large. Otherwise it would not be able to accommodate so many spectators. Sitting in the audience, Xiaoyang was able to witness Zhang Yan's popularity in the school. Zhang Yan's name was hung on all the banners around, and many boys were shouting Zhang Yan's wife's name. Xiao Yang's face was full of black lines, but he also knew that these boys were just talking nonsense. There were many people in the University of Finance and Economics who fantasized about taking Lin Qiyu as their wife. But wasn't he the only one who succeeded? Xiao Yang immediately revealed a contented look. He is still proud of this. At this moment, Zhang Yan was on the court. Wearing a sports outfit and her long legs attracted countless eyes. Unlike at home, Zhang Yan had a stern expression on her face. She just casually hit the tennis ball, then stretched her limbs and did warm-up exercises skillfully. Even though they are an old couple, Xiao Yang still looks bright. This is a skin that has never been unlocked. Zhang Yan on the court undoubtedly gave Xiao Yang a different feeling. A charming and confident look, and the handsome and cold eyes are extremely heroic and unforgettable at first sight. Sure enough, girls who are exercising are the most beautiful. Mei Kuei, classmate. Someone squeezed over. Xiao Yang turned his legs and let him walk through the aisle. Thank you. As the boy spoke, he sat down next to Xiao Yang. This place is a bit at the back, and there are only a few empty seats. Brother, do you know tennis? I don't understand. Xiao Yang smiled and started chatting casually. I don't understand either. I came here to see my wife Zhang Yan. Yeah, she's my wife too. The boy immediately chuckled. We are a fellow traveler. We are different, Xiao Yang said casually. What's the difference? Most of the guys here are old perverts who don't know tennis. They just come here to see Zhang Yan. Aren't you one of them? Yes, I did come here to see Zhang Yan. That's right. No. What I mean is, Zhang Yan is really my wife. Xiao Yang looked at the beautiful figure on the field and said with an honest smile. You're too immersed in the role, brother. At this moment, soon, a whistle was heard. This should be the referee. He waved his hand, and everyone's eyes turned to the tennis court. The game is about to begin. I saw the beautiful figure on the field standing up, ready for battle. Damn it, a man bullies a woman. What's going on? Their physical strength and speed reaction are not on the same level. Don't you think, brother? Really? But it's just a friendly match after all. Xiao Yang smiled. All I can say is, he bullying my wife. What's the big deal? You are too immersed in the role. Classmate, Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile and looked into the distance. Chapter 268. My wife is so handsome. At this moment, on the field, a woman and a man were fighting against each other. Zhang Yan hadn't gone on stage yet, she was just sitting aside watching. The boy next to him kept chattering. In addition to Major Zhang, Junior Major Zhang is also very beautiful. I really don't know what genes they have. Each one is prettier than the other. The boy started talking about being a lecturer and kept making comments. Xiao Yang just smiled. Zhang Shengzu was indeed very beautiful. The two sisters indeed had the beauty of both Xiao Qiao and Da Qiao. And everyone here is probably at the level of Prime Minister Cao. Sure enough, there is still a big gap in physical strength between boys and girls. Just looking at the serve speed, there is a big difference. The boys' serve speed should be over 160 km per hour, while the girls is slightly slower, probably only around 130 km per hour. Xiao Yang looked at the boy in surprise. Didn't you say you don't know tennis? I know a little bit, the boy chuckled. Xiao Yang seldom watched tennis matches, but the competition seemed pretty good. However, like most boys, his eyes were almost always drawn to the long legs of the women's team. However, the anti-gravity skirt also has a significant effect at this moment. No matter how you fight, the skirt is always compressed in the mysterious area. But soon, I saw that the girl was running out of energy. Her breathing rate had become much faster and her forehead was covered with sweat. Looking at the boys, it is relatively relaxed. There was a big gap in physical fitness, and soon the women were 2 points behind. This first game, without a doubt, was crushed. Xiao Yang also nodded. Indeed, although he didn't quite understand it, anyone with a discerning eye could see that the women's team was bound to lose the first game. It's Zhang Yan's turn. Sure enough, on the field, Zhang Yan slowly stood up and moved her wrist. In the second game, the boys naturally had to make substitutions as well. At this moment, a boy's figure suddenly caught Xiao Yang's sight, and he looked familiar. Xiao Yang looked at it carefully and couldn't help but raise the corners of his mouth. What a coincidence. Zhang Yan's popularity is almost overwhelming. All around the stadium, people were shouting Zhang Yan's name crazily. All of a sudden, the whole venue became extremely hot. The boy next to him also suddenly became excited. Look, my wife. Xiao Yang didn't know how to respond, so he just nodded. That's my wife. When the whistle sounded, almost everyone's eyes were focused on Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan just glanced around, her face stern and heroic, and walked onto the court holding a racket. So cool. It was the first time that Xiao Yang heard someone praise Zhang Yan like this. She had her hair in a ponytail and was wearing a tennis hat. It's almost a perfect tangle no matter where you look at it. 3 times 60 degrees without blind spots, the light is dazzling. It's really handsome, Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. In his mind, Zhang Yan has always been labeled as lively, active, playful, but after the two of them got together, Zhang Yan was also considered to be the well-behaved type. Obviously, Zhang Yan from this angle really made Xiao Yang more moved. How can the wild smell as good as the one at home? Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile full of pride. This is his own wife. And Xiao Yang feels extremely satisfied. What do you think of this game? How strong is Zhang Yan? Xiao Yang suddenly turned his head and asked. Although this boy said at the beginning that he didn't know anything about football, what he said just now was quite logical and he probably knew a lot more than I did. Zhang Yan has always been the female ace player of our college. The serve speed of men's professional tennis is generally 180 km per hour, and the speed of top players can reach to 100 km per hour. The speed of women is lower, and the fastest speed recorded by women in the world is 206 km per hour. Zhang Yan's serve speed has reached the serve speed of men's professional tennis, with the fastest speed reaching 180 km per hour. So powerful, Xiao Yang said in surprise. So, Zhang Yan can be compared with male professional players? That's not the case after all, it's about overall ability. This is just her serve speed on the offensive end. Zhang Yan is comparable to a professional player, but her defensive ability is insufficient, and her physical strength is also weaker. There are many types of players, and ball speed is not everything, but Zhang Yan is already very strong. The boy sighed with admiration in his eyes. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. It seemed that he could make up for some knowledge in this area when he had nothing to do. At least he would be able to watch his wife play basketball when he couldn't even understand the game. Looking at Zhang Yan on the field, Xiao Yang thought secretly. What about the men's team? The boy couldn't help but chuckle. A bunch of rotten fish and shrimp. But it's not easy for the women's team to win. Xiao Yang nodded. As I said before, the physical fitness of men and women is still there. At the same time, the game here has already started. The girls will serve first. Zhang Yan will serve first. As we all know, Zhang Yan's serve is very aggressive. At this time, there was even a commentator holding a microphone and commentating on the game. Bang! The ball hit the tennis racket and immediately flew towards the opponent at an incredibly fierce speed. But soon, the man reacted and caught it steadily. Tennis is about taking advantage of your opponent's strengths and attacking their weaknesses, and keeping your own rhythm. From what we can see now, Zhang Yan is just using her strengths to attack frantically. But in doing so, her physical strength will also decrease significantly. The boy next to him was talking incessantly, and Xiao Yang understood what he said even though he couldn't understand it. Bang! Pops in! The boy next to him exclaimed. The tennis ball was seen moving quickly into the sky, and then suddenly falling down at such a speed that it was difficult for people to react. Bang! The tennis ball fell directly to the ground. The boy who caught the ball was stunned for a moment and failed to catch it. Zhang Yan scored a point. Suddenly, the whole audience cheered. Zhang Yan's lips curled up slightly, and she was extremely confident. So handsome. Xiao Yang also looked at his wife and was extremely satisfied. But this is only the first point of this round, and the format of this game is best of 5. Each player can only play 2 games at most. Zhang Yan can win 2 games. There is only one Zhang Yan. It will be very difficult for the women's team to win. Xiao Yang nodded slightly. The competition on the field has entered a white-hot stage. Just as the boy said, Zhang Yan's offensive ability is at its best. But her defensive ability is weak. The crazy running also caused his physical strength to gradually decline. At this time, she was already sweating profusely. The score is tied. The last point was still served by Zhang Yan. She just wiped the sweat from her forehead. The next second, the ball was thrown high. Bang! As the tennis ball hit the ground out of bounds, the whole audience cheered. Another positive spin ball. Zhang Yan's strength is beyond doubt. She successfully won the game. Xiao Yang was also excited about it. Looking at that beautiful figure, Xiao Yang was full of pride. My wife is so handsome. Xiao Yang took out his cell phone, took out the photo he had just taken, and sent a message. Chapter 216 Scene: I'm looking for my husband. Third update. At this time, Zhang Yan, who had just come off the court, took the towel handed over by her teammates, wiped the sweat off her face, and sat down. Pay attention. Keep your eyes on the ball. Zhang Ting, your advantages are your reaction speed and agility. You must catch the ball well and hold on for the game. Okay, captain. Pay attention to the rhythm, bring them into our rhythm, and magnify their advantages infinitely. Clear? After arranging the tactics, Zhang Yan sat down casually and flipped through her phone. Ding dong. A message was sent. Xiao Yang. Zhang Yan was stunned for a moment. But after reading the message, the cold expression on her face suddenly disappeared, replaced by a look of secret joy. When she was cold, she looked like an iceberg, intimidating. But when Zhang Yan smiled, it was as if the ice and snow had melted and warmth was blooming. She stood up and looked around. There were quite a few people who were paying attention to Zhang Yan. When they saw Zhang Yan's smile, the boys who were closer to her almost fainted. Fuck, Zhang Yan laughed. Colonel Jiang's smile is so beautiful. Did anyone take a picture of this? I want to use it as my wallpaper. It's so beautiful. For a moment, the cheers were like waves. All the boys became excited at the same time. Zhang Yan has been elusive for some time, so it's great to see her this time. It is even more rare to see Gao Lingxiao smile. Everyone swallowed at the same time. This is so fucking exciting. Colonel Zhang is so cool and beautiful. Zhang Yan must be looking at me. Ooh, I have no regrets in death. One boy was obviously drunk and waved at Zhang Yan with a silly look on his face. Naturally, there were quite a few people who did this. All of them winking at Zhang Yan frantically, hoping to attract Colonel Jiang's attention. It's so beautiful. My wife is looking at me, she is smiling. Oh my god, I have no regrets in this life. The mobile phones were all pointed at Zhang Yan, who continued to look out, as if searching for something. Captain, what are you looking at? Looking for someone. Zhang Yan said casually. Who is it? My husband. Zhang Yan whispered. Suddenly, her teammates were shocked as if struck by a bolt from the blue. Just, what is the captain saying? She said she was looking for her husband. Everyone couldn't help but gasp. Contest? How could the competition be more important than the captain finding a husband? Everyone couldn't help but follow Zhang Yan's gaze, wanting to see what the husband of the great Colonel Zhang looked like. But the boys didn't know this when they saw Zhang Yan looking over. They immediately stood up and were extremely excited. Seeing this, Zhang Yan frowned slightly. She knew Xiao Yang too well, and she was afraid that when others were making faces, he might be laughing behind their backs. How can we find him now that he has stood up? Zhang Yan immediately stomped her feet. Don't stand up. She snorted coldly loudly. At that moment, all the boys sat down unconsciously, and the boys who had no seats also squatted down at the same time. On this side, Xiao Yang was also stunned for a moment. I didn't expect Zhang Yan's influence to be so great. Just one sentence made all the boys present fall silent. This is too fucking outrageous. But this is my own wife. Am I envious? No need? Xiao Yang raised the corner of his mouth. Knowing what Zhang Yan was doing, the two of them seemed to be playing a game. One hiding and the other searching. Finally, Zhang Yan suddenly smiled. The spring breeze was like a painting, and all the boys were intoxicated for a moment. So beautiful. The boys in the audience who were closer to Zhang Yan felt their hearts beating faster. Was Zhang Yan looking at me just now, brother? Beside him, the boy who had been talking incessantly just now blushed and spoke to Xiao Yang excitedly. It seems so, but I probably feel like she's looking at me. Impossible, she smiled at me. Yeah, right? Xiao Yang let out a long sigh and did not refute. At this moment, Zhang Yan slowly walked up to a boy. Everyone stared at Zhang Yan with wide eyes. Who is that man? Why did the goddess walk towards him? The boy's neck was red. His face was extremely red, and his heart was pounding. Goddess Zhang is actually walking towards me. What is she going to do? She seems to be about to speak. Oh my god, this can't be a confession. The boy was extremely excited. Could it be that the scene in his dream was going to come true? Others also looked envious. Finally, Zhang Yan finished her words. Classmate, can you help me? Goddess you say we'll go through fire and water for you without hesitation. The boy couldn't even speak clearly. Zhang Yan took out her cell phone, flipped through it, and then handed it to the boy. Is this an active WeChat edition? Fuck, this is too much. How is it possible? I can't accept it. Yeah, why? That guy isn't as handsome as me. The boys were also confused and excited. Until he saw a photo of a man on his phone. In the photo, the boy and Zhang Yan were holding hands. The man is extremely handsome and the woman is all smiles. And their sweetness is almost overflowing from the screen. He's over there, could you please call him over for me? The words fell. At this moment, all fantasies were shattered. The boy's heart suddenly stopped. Looking at this beautiful face in front of him, the boy wanted to refuse and said, why, you are feeding me dog food. Right? He is not worthy of you, you should be mine. But he found that he couldn't say such words at all. When it comes to words, I'm afraid it will become, well, and you use the PYTI bot when you are together. So that I can feel involved. Is it okay? Zhang Yan said with a smile. Can. He took a deep breath and wanted to cry but couldn't. The goddess has found someone. But I can't refuse it at all. Ooh. The boy looked at the place Zhang Yan pointed with disappointment, and saw the boy on the phone at a glance. He let out a long sigh and ran quickly away. We can't neglect the things the goddess has asked us to do. He knew in his heart that if the goddess asked him to help book a room so that she could spend the night with that boy, he would probably rush to book a room and buy safety measures. There is no way if it's not love, who would be a bootlicker? Here, the boy soon came in front of Xiao Yang. Let's go. Before the boy could speak, Xiao Yang smiled. The boy was slightly stunned, his face full of helplessness. He was so close that he could see Xiao Yang's face clearly. Very handsome. I accepted the defeat sincerely, and the image of the two of them together appeared in my mind. They are indeed a perfect match. The boy sitting next to Xiao Yang was slightly stunned. Brother, what's going on? My wife is calling me. Xiao Yang responded with a smile. Who is your wife? Zhang Yan. The boy stood there in a daze, then looked at Xiao Yang's back. And the corner of his mouth twitched. Fuck. Chapter 270. Shattered Dreams. Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan. There were cheers all over the stadium. And no one knew what Zhang Yan had just said to the boy. They only know that Zhang Yan's gentle gaze and warm smile are unforgettable. This is probably what it feels like when the warm spring breeze blows gently. They danced and swung, trying to attract the attention of the number one goddess in the business school. But what they didn't know was that the goddess's eyes had always been on a boy. Xiao Yang walked over slowly, and behind him was the boy who was pulling his head and trying hard to express his feelings. Well, smile. Keep smiling. The boy looked up, but when he saw Xiao Yang, he couldn't smile. This difference in appearance is an insurmountable mountain. Soon, the two of them were near Zhang Yan. The empty seat of the boy was still unoccupied, waiting for its real owner to arrive. At the same time, another boy on the tennis court was stunned when he saw this figure. What the hell? No way. Finally, everyone's eyes fell on Xiao Yang. It was a tall and straight figure, and her profile alone was enough to instantly kill most boys. Everyone was stunned. What is this doing? Zhang Yan seems to be looking at him. What kind of look is that? No way. People have already guessed something. But in their hearts they are crazy, telling themselves that it is impossible. How is this possible? There is no way Zhang Yan would like other boys. She is a unique one in Jiangdu Business School. Finally, the two figures came closer and closer. The whole audience was silent. Even the game was over and everyone was looking at the two of them. Why are you here? Zhang Yan raised the corners of her mouth slightly, but pretended to be arrogant and turned her face away, as if she was trying to hold back a smile. Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. This must be a dream. This is all an illusion. Everyone's heart was in tautness, full of disbelief. At this moment, Xiao Yang smiled. Why can't I come? My wife is competing, of course I have to be there. The voice fell. Neither big nor small. Others may not be able to hear it, but people in the nearby rows can hear it clearly. Your wife? How is that possible? That's my wife. Hey, brother, don't get too involved. Do you know what happened to the last person who called Zhang Yan his wife in person? Did you know? How dare he? He will definitely be scolded by Zhang Yan. Colonel Zhang is famous for his poisonous tongue. The iceberg beauty and the aloof schoolgirl. Those are not just reputations for nothing. Everyone was expecting Zhang Yan to yell at them. In their minds, that was the reaction Zhang Yan should have. Or maybe they had already guessed something, but they still hoped that Zhang Yan would react like this. Even if it was just a sentence like, "Who is your wife?" But soon, they saw a hint of shyness flash across Colonel Jiang's face. Everyone was stunned. Shy, the posture of a little woman. Is that the expression and demeanor that you, Colonel Zhang Yan, should have? Shouldn't you just glare at him and curse at him? If you don't want to argue with others, why not give a rebuttal? What does this mean? Some people held their breath, finding it hard to accept. And Xiao Yang did indeed stretch out his hand. In full view of everyone, that hand was placed on Zhang Yan's face. And then, pinch it. Everyone was dumbfounded. Was he touching Zhang Yan's face just now? Someone gasped and looked at the person next to him in disbelief, hoping that he could give him the answer he wanted. How dare he? I'm going to chop his hands off. I am outraged, but it is useless. The focus of the whole audience. Xiao Yang slowly spoke. You didn't go home yesterday. I missed you. This is the truth. Xiao Yang has become accustomed to Zhang Yan's presence every day. Even if they don't sit down, they just stay together quietly. But when these words came out, the whole audience went crazy. Without back home. So this is what they are. The team members next to Zhang Yan were also full of disbelief. So what Zhang Yan said just now about finding a husband was also true. Is this really her husband? And they live together. Just because you didn't go home yesterday, I came here to find you. What the hell? There's an earthquake. This is undoubtedly the biggest earthquake for business schools. Zhang Yan. Colonel Zhang is an icy beauty. Boys who reject her can just go around the business school. But now, she is actually taken? And the way they are so intimate. They seem to be living together. Grass. I don't know who cursed first. Suddenly, the whole audience was in an uproar. My mentality completely collapsed. And shouts of fuck appeared in the venue one after another. How is this possible? I don't believe it. I must be dreaming. How come my wife has a husband? But no matter how much they don't believe it, I can't change anything at this moment. Zhang Yan was seen biting her lower lip lightly. Looking like a little bird. She showed a mischievous smile, which was absolutely lethal to everyone. If it were any other time, if Colonel John could show me such a smile, it would be enough to charm everyone. But this is a smile to others. Envy, jealousy, and hatred. It was useless at this moment. Everyone seemed to have suffered a breakup and their hearts ached. Zhang Yan's face turned slightly red. In fact, she didn't expect Xiao Yang to come. She asked someone to call Xiao Yang over just because she wanted him to be closer to her. Who knew he would pinch his own face in public and make the relationship public? Under the eyes of so many people, even Zhang Yan, who is usually carefree, couldn't help feeling shy. At this feeling, very nice, Zhang Yan felt warm in her heart, and said proudly, "Come on, just sit back and watch your wife kill everyone." The voice fell. There was no more sound around. If they were still imagining that this was a dream just now, this boy was just wishful thinking. But at this moment, all the dreams were shattered. It's not a dream, it's not wishful thinking. Their Colonel Zhang really has someone. And he calls himself the other person's wife in public. Unacceptable. I totally cannot accept this. A hatred of having my wife stolen from me is irreconcilable. Looking at the two of them, everyone had no other thoughts. At this moment, Xiao Yang undoubtedly became the enemy in the eyes of everyone. I am so upset. How could my goddess fall in love with another man? Amidst the wailing, Xiao Yang sat down in the seat that the boy had taken previously. But the boy was still standing there in a daze, totally not knowing how to accept the reality before him. Seeing this, Zhang Yan hooked her finger with him. The boy looked distraught. But he couldn't refuse Zhang Yan's request. He blushed and stepped forward to ask, Zhang, is there anything else? Can you switch seats with my boyfriend? I want him to watch my game here. Ah, oh. Okay. Thank you. Zhang Yan smiled. The boy didn't know why. But he agreed for some reason. He turned his face away, as if he had thought of something, and turned back with his face flushed. Well, come on, classmate Zhang. But when he looked again, he saw that Zhang Yan's eyes were already on Xiao Yang and she didn't notice him at all. He sighed and turned back to the back row. Woohoo. Everyone is heartbroken. But it's okay. The goddess spoke to me several words. And he smiled at me, full of happiness. However, just as Xiao Yang was talking and laughing with Zhang Yan, a voice attracted everyone's attention. Student Zhang Yan, you've been deceived by this scumbag. Chapter 271 Classmate. As soon as the words fell, everyone's torn hearts suddenly became lively again. That's right, Colonel Zhang Yan must have been deceived and fell in love with another man. A fairy like her must be detached from the mundane world. It must be this bastard who used some sweet words to deceive Colonel Zhang. Everyone looked at the person who was speaking in the venue, and couldn't help but agree with him in their hearts. Brother, what you said is exactly what everyone is thinking. I dare to ask, apart from myself, who else is worthy of Colonel Zhang? Does not exist. Hearing this, Xiao Yang looked at the boys on the field. There was no trace of surprise on his face, as if he had already guessed it. He just frowned slightly, looking a little annoyed. But Zhang Yan's brows were furrowed at this moment, and her eyes were directly on the boy. What did you say? Zhang Yan's voice suddenly turned cold. Zhang Yan asked herself who Xiao Yang was, and she knew it best. Indeed. Well, I am a little indecisive. And in her opinion, Xiao Yang really couldn't leave Lin Qiu. If they had to choose between the two, none of the three would be happy. When the word scumbag is applied to Xiao Yang, only he can use it. What kind of monster are you, slandering my husband in front of me? Her face was stern, and at this moment, she had returned to the look of an icy beauty, completely different from before. But the others breathed a sigh of relief. This must be the school they were familiar with. But I always feel something is weird. At this moment, the game was no longer important and the ball had not been played. Everyone looked at the boy, waiting for his speech. Exposing the scumbag and making Colonel Zhang single again is what everyone wants. I say, classmate Zhang Yan, you were deceived by him. I know him. Xiao Yang, the man of the hour at Zhongde University of Finance and Economics. The most handsome boy on campus. As the voice fell, everyone in the audience was shocked. Everyone looked at Xiao Yang. And some people suddenly had a picture in their minds, which were some videos they had just seen a few days ago. Zhongde University of Finance and Economics confessed his love 100 times and finally got the girl. That boy is the campus idol of Zhongde University of Finance and Economics. Xiao Yang. And this person, He seems to be the boy singing passionately in the video. For a moment, everyone's face was filled with excitement. Zhang Yan's face was extremely gloomy, and Xiao Yang also frowned slightly. Some things really cannot be put on the table. However, Zhang Yan also knew that this matter would not have any impact on their relationship. Student Zhang Yan, I'm afraid you don't know yet, but your boyfriend confessed his love to Lin Qiu, the president of the University of Finance and Economics. A few days ago the two of them are still together. This matter has caused a lot of buzz and it's become a good story. The boy sneered and looked at Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang, do you still recognize me? Xiao Yang smiled and took a step forward. I seem to remember. What's that one called? Student clown? Small? Clown. The boy's mouth twitched fiercely. I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, so I'll just call you classmate clown. I still remember that the last time we met, you were as funny as a clown and made everyone in our University of Finance laugh. We all have a deep impression of you. Go to the University of Finance and Economics and ask around. Maybe there are still people talking about it after all. Your performance is so popular. Xiao Yang smiled. He really can't remember. What's his name? Fake? Forget it, he is just like his appearance. Not very good, can't get hard. Just like Lin Qiu said. Who would remember who was the second place? Wait. You seem to have a name. What is it? Constipation face. Yes, Shuoi said that you looked constipated during the competition. As soon as he finished speaking, Yang Wei suddenly felt unwell. After Lin Qiu said those words last time, the word constipation was like a thorn in his heart. The worst thing is that after he came back, he was actually constipated. I saw a doctor and he said it was a psychological problem. And I haven't recovered yet. As a result, now that Xiao Yang brought it up again, he felt numb all over. The sound was not loud and not many people could hear it. And it's fine as long as people in the first few rows can hear it. This kind of thing, if heard by one person, would quickly spread throughout the school. Yang Wei has always been a person who attaches great importance to face. Who would have thought that he would be insulted to this extent by Xiao Yang? At this moment, Zhang Yan couldn't help but sneer when she saw this, and took a look. He couldn't help laughing, and seemed to be gesturing at something. They really are a bit similar. Shuoi's adjective shocked me. Zhang Yan couldn't help but laugh softly. Stop laughing. Yang Wei couldn't help but scold, and saw that several teammates nearby were also laughing. Their faces looked so gloomy that they looked more like they were constipated. Student Zhang Yan, are you listening to me? I told you that this guy named Xiao Yang just confessed his love to Lin Qiu a few days ago. He is a scumbag into timing, do you understand? As soon as she finished speaking, Zhang Yan's face changed. Seeing this, Yang Wei immediately sneered. But who knew that Zhang Yan did not ask Xiao Yang any more questions, but instead looked at him coldly. Whether he is a scumbag or not has nothing to do with you. You are a monster or a demon, you don't need to sow discord between us. How can this be considered provocation? I was there at the time. There's also a video, everyone has seen it. Yang Wei said excitedly. I think what Xiao Yu said is right, you just deserve it. You have a constipated face, what the hell are you doing? You are meddling in other people's business, do you believe that I will tear your mouth apart? Zhang Yan suddenly stepped forward, raised her eyebrows and said coldly. Yang Wei was frightened by Zhang Yan's words and took a step back. Little Yu? This. Do they know each other? He was not feeling well. So no way. How is this possible? He seemed to have guessed something. But it was hard to believe. Or Lin Qiu and Zhang Yan. How could this be possible? At this time, Xiao Yang pulled Zhang Yan back. He glanced around and knew that if the public opinion got out, it would definitely have an impact on Zhang Yan. He immediately smiled and said to Yang Wei. Student clown, I know you are very unconvinced, but we are still in the competition. If you still have any questions or dissatisfaction, I will satisfy you in a while. I'm here to watch Shitsound's competition, not to argue with you. I don't have to care about you. I know you're unhappy about being fired by Xiaozu, but I still want to tell you not to meddle in other people's business, especially when you don't have the ability. But speaking of it, you do have some skills, you can even play tennis? Xiao Yang was a little surprised. No wonder he has a good resume. This is all-round development of his intelligence and physique. However, Xiao Yang's words were not a compliment. His next sentence quickly followed. But when it comes to playing tennis, it should be the same as your finance, right? Always the second best? No, I heard that your men's tennis team doesn't even seem to be the second best. Isn't it a bit shameless to compete with the women's tennis team? What did you say? Not to mention Yang Wei, seeing Xiao Yang's sarcasm, the others also became angry. Nothing to say if you have the ability. Just continue the game. Xiao Yang turned his head and ignored them. He said softly to Zhang Yan, come on, play well. I will. Zhang Yan said confidently. Xiao Yang spread his hands to indicate. Start your performance. Chapter 272, Physical and Mental Destruction. The game continues. Zhang Yan spoke out, and on the other side, the referee saw this and blew the whistle. This time, Xiao Yang did not return to the audience seats, but sat next to the contestant seats with Zhang Yan. Hello, I'm Zhang Yan's boyfriend Xiao Yang. I often hear her talk about your tennis team. Xiao Yang greeted the girls in a friendly manner. Unlike his enemies among the boys, Xiao Yang is quite popular among the girls. One reason is because of the relationship between Xiao Yang and Zhang Yan. The second is Xiao Yang's face. His good looks also make several girls like him more. Naturally, Zhang Yan did not participate in the competition in this match. She just sat aside and taught Xiao Yang some tennis knowledge. This was Zhang Yan's hobby, so Xiao Yang naturally listened carefully and occasionally asked some ridiculous questions, which made several people laugh. But it's different in the eyes of other boys. Especially when he saw Xiao Yang carefully wiping Zhang Yan's sweat with a towel, and Zhang Yan's hand was on Xiao Yang's arm, he felt like his heart was being cut by a knife. Captain, your boyfriend is so handsome, he looks like he came out of a TV show. Yeah, his skin is better than our girls. Zhang Yan was all smiles beside her. No, don't you see whose man this is? But while chatting, they were also paying attention to the situation on the field. This is called backspin, or slice, which is a common defensive method in tennis. When the trajectory is very low, it will bounce very low after landing, making it difficult for the opponent to return the ball in an offensive way, increasing the difficulty for the opponent to return the ball. Zhang Yan spoke slowly, but her brows were furrowed. Obviously, the situation on the field is not optimistic. Really? Soon, followed by a whistle. The tennis ball had already hit the ground, and the girl on the court had already fallen to the ground. Boys are much stronger than girls. The speed of the balls they hit is also very different, and it takes a lot of energy to catch the ball. Wang Lan's energy is obviously not up to par, and the rhythm is controlled by them, Zhang Yan said with some concern. Are you okay? Zhang Yan asked the girl who fell. Fine. She let out a long sigh. But at this moment, everyone knows that in terms of momentum alone, boys already have too much. Soon, another swift serve landed. A whistle sounded again. The girls were unable to receive this serve. Finish. It's 21. It's my turn, Zhang Yan suddenly said. She took a roll of tennis racket adhesive and slowly wrapped it around her. Come on, Xiao Yang sighed. Don't worry, Zhang Yan smiled. On the other side, two boys were also wrapping their tennis rackets with rubber. Zhang Yan and her partner slowly came on stage, but at this moment, she was stunned. On the other side, two boys also came out. Shameless. The girl slowly uttered a few words. What do you mean? Xiao Yang asked with some confusion. These two are the weakest players on the boys' side. When the captain saw their hand gestures just now, he thought it was the captain of the boys' team who came out. He didn't expect that they made a temporary substitution. Aren't the weakest to better? Xiao Yang was stunned. No, these two people are just giving points to the captain. Regardless of whether we win or lose, we just need to use up the captain's playing time. Xiao Yang then remembered that the boy who knew a little bit about it had said before that each player on each side could only play twice. Including this time, Zhang Yan has played twice. This is the fourth game, and a substitution must be made in the fifth game. Zhang Yan and her partner are the strongest players in the women's team. This is like Yanji's horse racing. The strongest player on the women's team beat the weakest player on the men's team, and then their strongest player will play the fifth game, with 3 wins and 5 losses, and the girls' side are already weaker. It is almost a losing game. From Zhang Yan's point of view, the strong should be used against the strong, and the weak against the weak. After all, it's just a friendly match. But who could have thought that the men's team would play such a dirty trick? Can't we change people now? The game has already started. No substitutions can be made. Xiao Yang frowned slightly, then looked to the other side, only to see a few boys sneering at him, as if they had already secured victory. At this time, Zhang Yan had a cold look on his face and said nothing. This arrangement was a tactical mistake made by her as captain. She let out a long sigh and threw the tennis ball high in her hand. Bang! The ball landed on the racket. It flew down at an extremely fast speed in an instant. Even Xiao Yang, who doesn't know much about tennis, can see that the quality of this serve is obviously much higher than that in previous games. The ball flew straight forward at a speed that was difficult to see with the naked eye. The captain's serve is as fierce as ever. The captain is angry. She rarely serves such a spin ball. The boy quickly waved his racket to catch the ball, but this ball hit the ground directly in an extremely strange arc at an astonishing speed. Soon, the boy's face turned extremely bad. It was just a serve, but neither of the two people on this side could catch it. The ball hit hard near the edge of the field and flew out. This point, just one serve, is won directly. Suddenly, the whole audience cheered. At this moment, Zhang Yan shrugged his shoulders and tilted his head slightly, as if he was stretching, looking extremely handsome. With such a handsome and cold expression, even Xiao Yang couldn't help swallowing his saliva, and his body and mind were completely conquered. Is this still my first wife? This action, this momentum, so damn handsome. At this moment, everyone else had forgotten that Zhang Yan was hugging other boys just now, and they all stood up and shouted her name. This is a combination of strength and good looks, and he is extremely handsome. Xiao Yang had to be thankful for what he said to Zhang Yan. She has her own hobbies and her own life, not a world that only belongs to her. Now it seems that what I did was absolutely correct. I didn't keep him in a cage and watch him like a canary. Zhang Yan is the most beautiful at this moment. On this side, Zhang Yan couldn't help but look at Xiao Yang. The two smiled at each other, as if they remembered what they said that day. Although the opponent was the weakest on the men's team, Zhang Yan did not relax at all. Her style is to give her all in every game. One after another, fierce tennis balls were thrown out. Every spike is thrilling and makes people's blood boil. Pretty. Xiao Yang couldn't stop cheering. In this round, the men's team had their heads shaved bald and didn't get a single point. But even so, the fifth game was not optimistic for Zhang Yan. The expressions on both sides were not very good. The boys were punished because their heads were shaved, which was like being nailed to the wall of shame. This is a fight between a man and a woman. Boys have far more advantages than girls, but they didn't expect to lose this game so badly. The girls are very clear that the fifth game will be very difficult, as their opponents will be the two strongest players on the boys' team. Zhang Yan took a long breath and patted a girl on the shoulder. Come on. Xiao Yang handed over a bottle of water and wiped the sweat off Zhang Yan's face. The two looked at the field again. Game 5 ready. Sure enough, the captain and vice captain of the men's team both stood up. The two strongest men's team. Xiao Yang didn't expect that Yang Wei was actually the vice captain of the men's tennis team. I have to say that Yang Wei is indeed capable, as he can win awards in a financial competition and serve as the deputy captain of a competitive event. It's a pity. People can't do it. Yang Wei glanced at Xiao Yang with a hint of anger in his expression. Xiao Yang ignored the other person and instead rubbed Zhang Yan's shoulders. Are you tired? Fine. Come home after the fight, and I'll cook for you. Okay. Zhang Yan smiled slightly, and Xiao Yang felt completely satisfied. This sweaty Zhang Yan, with a ponytail and sportswear, is so seductive. With a wife like this, what else could a husband ask for? Chapter 273. We can win. Let's watch the game, Zhang Yan said, frowning. Just do your best. Zhang Yan encouraged the girls on the field. Don't worry, Captain. The two girls looked determined. They had participated in national competitions with Zhang Yan, and their faces were filled with the desire for victory. Like Zhang Yan, she tried her best in every game. Xiao Yang couldn't help but admire these girls. Looking at the other side, Yang Wei and his captain both looked calm with smiles on their faces. I always feel like the men's tennis team seems to be missing something. Xiao Yang shook his head. It's the awe of competitive sports. Zhang Yan looked a little helpless. A business school's tennis team is famous for its women's team, which is ranked among the best in the country. But on the other hand, the men's team has never made it to the provincial competition. The two looked at each other and smiled. This is just like the men's and women's teams in a certain football team. The whole team's momentum is completely different. Unfortunately, the boys' advantages are obvious, and even a strong women's team like them finds it difficult to beat the boys' team. This is a natural advantage for boys. Watch the rhythm. As the tennis ball hit the racket, Zhang Yan spoke up. Bang! The serve is fast. It can be seen that the girl is trying her best to serve the ball, and she seems to be gritting her teeth to serve the ball. Xiao Yang couldn't help but exclaimed. After reading for half a day, he finally understood some of it. I have to say that compared to the boys in the previous game, the serving speed of this team of girls is much more fierce. If it was as Zhang Yan expected, with the strong against the strong and the weak against the weak, they might have won. However, the two opponents in this match are the two strongest players in the men's team. Yang Wei just stepped back. Although the ball was fast, he successfully caught it. A beautiful arc floated in the air, and the tennis ball hit back. Bang! The girls are not to be outdone. They fought very well, Xiao Yang sighed. Well, but there is still a big gap. Zhang Yan seemed a little helpless. Suddenly, a whistle sounded. The first point was successfully won by the men's team. Yang Wei and the captain of the men's team both smiled and looked extremely relaxed. Come on, Zhang Yan said in encouragement. It's my fault for making the wrong decision. Zhang Yan seemed to blame herself a little. It was normal to lose to the men's team, but she found it hard to accept losing like this. Zhang Yan just drank some water and held her forehead. Xiao Yang hugged Zhang Yan and said softly, Are you okay? It's okay, it's my fault for being careless besides. We haven't trained together for a long time. Zhang Yan bit her lower lip, her face full of desire for victory, but she knew that it would be difficult to win. Xiao Yang couldn't help feeling a little distressed. The first time I met Zhang Yan was at the train station. At that time, all her belongings had been stolen as a rich girl. She found a piece of shock and begged for help in the crowded train station. She wasn't so depressed at that time, she was lively and smart. The next time she was seen with this expression was when she was at the Fang family's holiday villa. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh, feeling a little distressed. He understood Zhang Yan's thoughts. Although she looks carefree on the outside, she must feel guilty inside. It has been a long time since we met. During this period, Zhang Yan had not trained tennis at school, and she didn't have a clear understanding of her opponents or her teammates. She blamed herself for the failure. This was the biggest reason for her frustration. Xiao Yang held Zhang Yan's hand, but he didn't say any words of comfort. He just started to think deeply. At this time he knew that it was useless to talk nonsense and the game was not over yet. The only way is, if I could win, she will definitely be very happy. Xiao Yang looked at Zhang Yan's profile and couldn't help but reach out and rub her head. Maybe I can win, Xiao Yang said casually. But at this moment, Zhang Yan looked at Xiao Yang in surprise. She knew that Xiao Yang seldom boasted. And for a moment, she was actually looking forward to it. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh and just smiled slightly. I remember I still have an all-purpose skill point. This sentence was not said to Zhang Yan, but to the system in his mind. These were the skill points given for completing a task a long time ago. And Xiao Yang had never used them before. A host does have a universal skill point, which can be used to improve a certain skill. What can you get by adding it to tennis? Xiao Yang asked. And greatly enhance the host's knowledge and proficiency in tennis. Anything else? Host, would you like to ask if you would like to add the universal skill points to the tennis skill? The system ignored Xiao Yang and asked instead. Note. Universal skill points are extremely valuable. Do you think twice before using them? Just use it. Xiao Yang responded without hesitation. For him, Zhang Yan's happiness is the most important thing, and everything else is secondary. He didn't know if the skill points would be useful, but Xiao Yang knew that he knew nothing about tennis. And this was the only way he could help Zhang Yan, regardless of success or failure. At this moment, with a ding sound, Xiao Yang's mind suddenly filled with countless knowledge about tennis. He couldn't help but frown, and felt a sharp pain in his eyebrows. This was a huge amount of knowledge that suddenly flooded into his mind. And he was used to it. But after a while, Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. When I looked at the tennis ball on the court again, it felt as if it was my own professional skill and I knew it very well. If I were to play tennis now, what level would I be at? Xiao Yang asked casually. The first fixed skill upgrade is the average level of professional level. So my tennis skills are now at the average professional level? The system replied affirmatively. Xiao Yang couldn't help but feel more confident. He slowly observed the situation on the field. Zhang Yan looked at Xiao Yang from the side, as if her man's eyes had changed. He's so serious. Zhang Yan couldn't help but be a little surprised, as if Xiao Yang could really help the team win the game now. She couldn't help but look at Xiao Yang and said softly, "You." But before he finished speaking, Xiao Yang's voice quietly rang in his ears. "We can win." What? Zhang Yan was stunned. "I said we can win." Xiao Yang turned his head and said softly. Zhang Yan heard it clearly this time. If someone else said this at this moment, she would definitely not believe it. But when Xiao Yang said this, Zhang Yan did not have any doubts and actually believed what Xiao Yang said, who originally did not even understand tennis. She has always believed in Xiao Yang from beginning to end. Double matches require a good level of coordination between the people. It can be seen that the two captains of the men's team are not partners. It's like they are playing as a temporary team. There is no tacit understanding between them. After the words fell, Zhang Yan also nodded. They are definitely not a team. Win. As soon as the words fell, with a bang, the tennis ball lands. The women's team lost another point. Buzz. Xiao Yang spoke directly. Zhang Yan didn't hesitate at all. She had absolute trust in Xiao Yang and made a pause gesture. The game is suspended. Zhang Yan was on high alert and didn't relax at all. But at this moment, the men's team sneered. No matter what, there is no way they could lose. It's not like I'm going to hit Zhang Yan. They shook their heads, wiped the sweat off their faces, and slumped casually in their chairs, chatting and laughing, saying things like Tiger Head has kidney deficiency. Chapter 270 for tactical arrangement. At this moment, Zhang Yan waved her hand and everyone immediately gathered around. Team leader. Captain, we might lose. The girl who just came on the court shook her head helplessly. The outcome is still undecided. As soon as he finished speaking, several girls looked at Xiao Yang in surprise. Xiao Yang glanced at the boys. trying hard to replay the scene of their playing basketball in his mind, and tried his best to integrate the knowledge he had just acquired into it. Zhang Yan looked at Xiao Yang without saying anything. She understood Xiao Yang and knew that he was trying to find a solution. In fact, the two boys have no tacit understanding at all, and their pace is disordered. They are just holding on with their individual strength. You are different. The degree of cooperation is very high. So you can win, Xiao Yang said first. Several girls immediately looked at Xiao Yang, frowning slightly. You know, Xiao Yang had asked them some basic questions about tennis before. And now he is ready to guide them? Isn't this just nonsense? However, considering that Xiao Yang was Zhang Yan's boyfriend, they didn't say anything. Instead, they all looked at Zhang Yan. Zhang Yan was also anxious, but she believed Xiao Yang and said slowly, "Go on. I have been observing for a long time Yang Wei. There are big problems with his pace. He is not very tall, but he always sways with a large stride, and his chassis is very unstable. This is Yang Wei's weakness. We can use it to our advantage. You can see that Yang Wei's grip is a Western grip. The advantage of this grip is that it can hit high and powerful tops in balls, keeping the opponent outside the baseline. But this grip also has a disadvantage, which is that it makes it very difficult to hit low balls. Which of you is better at handling high balls?" Xiao Yang suddenly asked. Several girls were stunned for a moment and did not answer Xiao Yang's question. How could Xiao Yang's words sound like those of a person who knew nothing about tennis? Although these were the basics, before this, Xiao Yang asked a lot of questions and didn't even know what golf was. But now you even know the advantages and disadvantages of each grip method. Seeing this, Xiao Yang couldn't help but repeat, "Which of you two is better at dealing with high balls?" Finally, a girl stood up. Although Yang Wei is a boy, in fact, his physical strength is not very good. I have observed that basically after the first 3 beats, the main rhythm is in the hands of the captain. This is another shortcoming of Yang Wei. I observed that the characteristics of these two people are that they are fast and offensive, and use speed, accuracy and ruthlessness as a means of scoring. They use serve and volley to try to score in the first 3 shots. Yang Wei was the main actor in the tactics they used. The reason you lost earlier was because you followed the rhythm of his high balls. Basically, you were defeated by his 3-pronged attack. So the key lies in Yang Wei's early rhythm. His high balls are very distinctive. But the very fixed landing point, you have to move and advance and wait until the ball bounces to the highest point, which is basically above the shoulder, before you make a big move. First, it is easier to exert force, which means you have to use more leg strength. Physically, you should be fine. No problem, just do this? The girl was stunned and asked subconsciously. You have been defending blindly. That is your weakness. This is already the last game. You don't need to defend to save energy, you need to fight to the death. You need to take the initiative to change their rhythm and break Yang Wei's high ball rhythm. After the words fell, the girl was slightly stunned. Zhang Yan looked at Xiao Yang with surprise. He actually knows how to deal with high balls. I don't know when Xiao Yang learned tennis. Xiao Yang naturally didn't have time to answer Zhang Yan's questions at the moment. And the girl just now nodded slowly. Xiao Yang continued. As I said just now, Yang Wei's lower body is unstable. His main advantage lies in the 3-axe rhythm in the front. We can break his rhythm and turn a double fight into a single fight. 1-on-1? But it wasn't enough to win the game. His lower body is unstable, so you need to keep changing the ball landing point. But make sure you hit it near the baseline. Your skills are superior to theirs, but you are inferior in physical fitness. I have also seen that your control over the landing point of the ball is quite good. If he can keep changing the ball's landing point to block Yang Wei's 3 attacks, then he will be useless. But the constantly changing landing point of the ball has a huge impact on our rhythm. Zhang Yan frowned. We don't need rhythm. What kind of rhythm is needed for technical crushing? Xiao Yang suddenly said. You mean? Literally. But there is also Li Chun. His ability is enough to reverse their offensive rhythm. They don't have enough tacit understanding Li Chun, right? He has been in the middle line all the time. If they have good cooperation, it would be fine, but if they are like this, Yang Wei will definitely be stubborn and not let Li Chun get near the baseline. The ball kept changing its landing point, and it kept hitting Yang Wei's baseline. He would never allow Li Chun to help. Why? Because of people. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh. Men are like this. In fact, this is a 2-person tennis match between men and women, and several people within the men's tennis team are also fighting. From Yang Wei's facial expression, it was clear that he was somewhat disdainful of Li Chun. This is a match between a female team, and Yang Wei couldn't possibly ask Li Chun for help when he was soloing with the opponent. That would be a huge shame. Xiao Yang still remembers how proud Yang Wei was when he was at the University of Finance and Economics. This is the psychological game. I think I understand. This will help you in the first goal, but they will definitely change their strategy later. At this time, we have to adopt the double bottom line play, which is the main play in the defensive system. We should defend actively and not rush to attack. They are both impatient and will get anxious if they can't score quickly. At this time, we defended in the middle and counter-attacked, seized the opportunity to get to the net, and changed into a front and back formation. Quick fight to end. The looks of several girls were suddenly filled with surprise, eyes full of disbelief. Thinking carefully, Xiaoyang's words seemed to make some sense. At least it is definitely feasible. And these words don't sound like those of a person who doesn't understand tennis. For the third ball, you must maintain your formation. Xiaoyang continued to speak quickly. At this time, several girls also put away their contemptuous thoughts and savored it carefully. On the side, Zhang Yan interrupted and added something. The two of them cooperated well and completed all the tactics for the last 3 goals. We are already 2 goals behind, and we must win all 3 goals. Time's up. The whistle blew and it was time for a timeout. There was no communication from the boys, but Xiaoyang hurried to finish what he wanted to say. The 2 girls came on stage again. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh. And Zhang Yan bit her lower lip and glared at Xiaoyang fiercely. When did you learn tennis? Let's watch the game first. Xiaoyang showed his white teeth and changed the subject. Chapter 275. It's really like that. The ball was thrown high. Sure enough, just as Xiaoyang thought, Yang Wei's serve was a high ball that drew an arc in the air. The girl standing at the bottom line breathed a sigh of relief. She had anticipated this and took a step back. The tennis ball landed precisely in front of him and bounced up. She didn't rush to hit the ball when the high ball fell to the highest point above her head. She held the racket with both hands and bent her body slightly. With the strength of the legs and the grip of the racket with both hands, the power of this ball is quickly maximized. The tennis ball instantly made a bang and, accompanied by a hitting sound, drew an arc and rushed towards Yang Wei. This ball seemed ordinary, but there was a hint of surprise in Yang Wei's expression. The speed of this ball was completely different from the previous ones. And the landing point was also tilted backwards, which was completely different from the speed of a girl's ball. In fact, this is exactly the case. The girl frowned slightly. This ball used the strength of her whole body and thighs. The speed of the ball was very fast, but it was also extremely physically demanding. The first ball must break the opponent's rhythm. This is what she had in mind. Xiaoyang couldn't help but give a thumbs up. This shot was very powerful. From Yang Wei's expression, I knew he was also surprised. His rhythm was disrupted. We need to cut the Gordian knot in the first ball and break his 3-pronged attack. With Yang Wei's personality, he will definitely not accept it. But the most important thing on the court is to have a stable mentality. Once he loses his composure, he will lose his composure. Xiaoyang spoke to Zhang Yan slowly, but his eyes were always on the field. Zhang Yan glanced at Xiaoyang and felt sweet in her heart when she saw how serious he was. He actually secretly learned tennis. Zhang Yan bit her lower lip. The corners of her mouth slightly raised, revealing a smile. Xiaoyang definitely didn't know how to play tennis. Did you cram for tennis because you knew you were not good at it? If that's the case. She tilted her head and looked at Xiaoyang, whose face was full of concentration, her eyes full of love. What's wrong? Xiaoyang suddenly turned around. It's nothing. I just feel really good being with you. Zhang Yan clenched her arms around Xiaoyang's arm a little tighter. Because I play basketball, I learned relevant knowledge and put it into practice. What kind of treasure boy is Xiaoyang? This is so heartwarming. At this moment, on the court, another ball fell quickly. Yang Wei's face was no longer as calm as before. The third ball. A fourth ball. No matter how he hits, the opponent will hit back with a faster high ball. He looked at the girl in the distance, and seemed to have gotten into her rhythm. Only, the opponent has no rhythm at all. It's just catching the high ball with great force. And there is no pattern at all to where the ball lands. It's like, I can't play basketball at all, and have no idea how to play. And with a ball like this, it seemed like I was forced to play one-on-one with her. But a one-on-one fight. How could I lose to a girl? He swung the racket hard and hit another ball. But soon, the ball came back. This time, it hit the baseline again. But the distance was a little further. Suddenly, Yang Wei felt his legs and feet loosen. He rushed towards the tennis ball and swung hard. Only this time, my ears were not filled with the crisp sound of the tennis ball hitting the racket. The racket fell. He didn't catch the ball. In an instant, a burst of cheers rang out. On the other side, the girl who hit the ball also collapsed suddenly. The whistle sounded. The score is valid. The girls scored a point. Captain Li Chun was full of disbelief. Yang Wei, what are you doing? It's nothing, just bad luck. My foot slipped, but I didn't lose. Why are you so anxious? Yang Wei just snorted in response. This scene was also seen by Zhang Yan and Xiaoyang. Just as you said, Yang Wei's lower body is unstable. Zhang Yan said in surprise. He was running back and forth without any rhythm. And he stayed at the baseline for a long time to hit high balls. His lower body was unstable, and he would definitely have problems dealing with high balls that were hit back quickly over time. It's just expected, Xiao Yang smiled slightly. Zhang Yan turned her head and looked at Xiao Yang's confident profile. And her heart melted. They say that the feelings between an old couple will fade over time. But no matter how I look at this guy, I will only love him more and more. How can he be so good? Zhang Yan continued to hold Xiao Yang, feeling completely safe and secure, with her heart filled with warmth that was almost overflowing. Second goal. The double bottom line defensive tactics are adopted. This is mainly because the girl who was soloing with Yang Wei in front consumed her physical strength too quickly. And this double bottom line tactic can greatly alleviate her physical strength consumption. The two girls cooperate well with each other, so there won't be any problems with this defensive tactic. Hit the ball high, extend the battle line, and keep it steady, Xiao Yang said casually. There was a sudden bang on the court and the tennis ball flew into the air. This ball has already started. This kind of defense requires patience. Unless they can hit a very tricky ball, with the skills of the women's team, they should not lose the ball, Xiao Yang said slowly. Well, but this style of play has enough defense but not enough offense. No need to rush to attack, the other side will give you a chance. Zhang Yan believed Xiao Yang and didn't say much, continuing to watch the game. The boys obviously did not change their tactics. Yang Wei hits high balls as always, which is his strong point. At this moment, the ball is kept at the baseline. Li Chun took a half step back. I'll do it myself, Yang Wei's voice rang out. The former was stunned for a moment, but still chose to believe Yang Wei. The one-in-one back fighting continued. This ball was obviously much more durable than the previous ones. The tennis ball hit back and forth, and several girls felt their hearts were in their throats. Although Zhang Yan was very confident in Xiao Yang's prediction, her expression gradually became solemn. With unlimited defense, the physical strength will never be able to keep up with the boys. If you keep going, you will definitely lose. Only, Xiao Yang glanced at Yang Wei, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Here comes the chance. Sure enough, beads of sweat the size of beans were seen ripping from Yang Wei's forehead. His physical strength was also consumed very quickly. Li Chun took over this ball. He took a few steps back. But at this moment, the girls finally stopped using the double bottom line tactics. One in front and one behind, they were compressed in an instant. Bang! The ball just passed the net. With a bang, it was a backspin ball. This ball was not difficult to catch. But Li Chun's face changed. After taking the ball, the next second, the original front and back formation changed again. Double net style of play. This formation mainly relies on fast break, attacking in front of the net and trying to score in the first 3 shots. They are going to kill this ball. The ball just fell back. I saw a girl suddenly jump up. Bang! The crisp sound echoed in everyone's ears. The tennis ball fell violently to the ground, bounced high, and hit the court. It's too late. Li Chun and Yang Wei were both stunned and tried to save the ball. But it was too late. The whistle sounded. Second ball. Get it. Chapter 276, Defeat Part 3. Pretty. Zhang Yan clenched her fists and exclaimed. This beautiful goal immediately ignited the whole stadium. The girl scored another point. 20 to this is the last ball of the inning. I won. Xiao Yang smiled slightly. So confident. That's right after all. It was the tactics deployed by your husband. You know, I'm nicknamed the Tennis Prince. Xiao Yang smiled. Just blow it. Zhang Yan poked Xiao Yang's forehead. But it didn't look like he was saying anything about him. Instead, he seemed proud of himself. Yang Wei, what are you doing? Let's use the double bottom line tactic. We must have more physical strength than them. We can kill them just by exhausting them. Li Chun glanced at Yang Wei and said directly. No need, I can defend the baseline by myself. Besides, there are a group of girls across the street. What are you afraid of? Besides, aren't you afraid of being laughed at by the entire college for winning over a group of girls in this way? Yang Wei snorted coldly. If we lose, we will be nailed to the wall of shame. Now is not the time for us to have personal grudges, Li Chun said with a frown. He and Yang Wei have always had some conflicts, but it was fine on weekdays. Who would have thought that at this point? Yang Wei actually started to lose his temper. We don't have any personal grudges. I have confidence in myself. But because of your confidence, we have lost 2 goals. Li Chun's voice lowered. Li Chun. What do you mean? You know what I mean. What do I know? If you hadn't stopped me from playing in the provincial competition last year, we wouldn't have even made it out of the group stage. That's because you're not in a good condition, Don. Do you know what condition you're in? After the words fell, Li Chun shook his head. I don't want to discuss this issue with you now. Double baseline, I'll press the middle line, and you defend the baseline. We can't lose this one. Yang Wei snorted coldly and said nothing. At the same time, the third goal officially began. The boy serves the ball. Li Chun's serve is a normal serve that is fast, accurate and fierce. The ball is very fast. His position was also between the baseline and the center line, taking a defensive stance. Are they planning to use a defensive tactic? Bubble baseline play, planning to use your physical strength to wear us down. We have already consumed a lot of energy if we fight a protracted war. We will definitely lose. On the women's team, several girls looked solemn. This is inevitable, but did you notice the expressions of Yang Wei and Li Chun? I felt that these two people were not getting along. Hold on for now, they will definitely reveal their flaws. Xiao Yang said slowly. This time, neither side was very offensive. And the ball speed was not particularly fast, so the game was back and forth. There are quite a few students in the business school who know about sports. After all, it is their school sport. Seeing this, I don't know who started the booing. But after a while, the booing spread throughout the stadium. This is too shameless when a boy fights a girl, his physical fitness is already an advantage. Now he is using defensive tactics to fight a battle of attrition. I used to think that the reason why men's tennis failed to win was because their skills were not up to par. But now I realize that their mentality is not right either. They are so calculating when playing against a women's team. In the last round, the weak team faced the strong team. It was fine if they were just being clever, but now they have completely lost their dignity. These two girls are considered weak in the women's team. If Zhang Yan came out, she could beat them all by herself. But they let the two captains of the men's team come out to fight against such a combination. It's really embarrassing. For men's tennis like this, just disband it if you try to be clever now, you will win if you really go out to compete. It's like you can be so clever in a formal competition. I finally understand the men's team is heading for disbandment. In the audience, people were talking about it. On the men's team, apart from the two on the field, several others also looked embarrassed. A men's tennis team was not well received because of their poor performance. And naturally some of the rumors behind them reached their ears, making them extremely unhappy. After winning against the women's team in this way, they themselves didn't want to admit that they were a men's tennis team once they left the court. Even if we win, we'll still lose face. I thought it would be a relaxed friendly match. But who could have imagined it would end up like this? This is something that can't be won any other way. It's hard to imagine that the two people on the field are the two captains of the men's team. Indeed, the strongest has to be a little clever when beating the weakest. Which means that he has no strength at all. It's just a civil war. I suggest the school disband the men's tennis team immediately. Keeping this kind of rubbish around will only bring shame to the school. At this moment, even some spectators who originally supported the men's tennis team showed contemptuous looks. A shame. Yang Wei and Li Chun on the field also looked unhappy. It was unacceptable for Yang Wei to lose 2 goals in a row. And now, the boos from the audience made him feel even more frustrated. Not lost yet, but already lost. Unless he can play an extremely high-level offensive ball to prove himself. Get back to your inner lane. Bang! As soon as the ball was hit, Yang Wei said to Li Chun with a stern look, I don't want to lose the ball again. Li Chun shook his head and refused. Bang! Didn't you hear what was said on the court? If you want to play like this, well, I'll go inside myself now. As soon as he finished speaking, the tennis ball came flying towards him. Li Chun caught it and immediately pressed forward to the front of the net. One in front and one behind. In theory, this formation has both offensive and defensive capabilities. But it's different for the men's team. Yang Wei is good at high balls. But the way he holds the racket makes it difficult for him to hit low balls. And Li Chun had ideas. The low ball in front of the net was swift and fierce. His strength at the baseline is not as good as Yang Weiqiang. It would have been fine if the areas were allocated reasonably. But now all the weaknesses have been exposed. Xiao Yang's expression brightened. And the corners of his mouth slightly raised. When? Well, I don't know what they were thinking. It's obvious that the double baseline can wear us out. Otherwise, they would let Yang Wei stand at the baseline and Li Chun play in front of the net. But the positions have changed. Zhang Yan was full of confusion. Bang! The ball fell to the ground. This ball was hit right in front of the center of the net. Li Chun didn't move. Yang Wei in front of the net would be responsible for this ball. And Yang Wei was also swinging his racket towards the ball. But at this moment, his body was bent into a strange posture. Normally his net shots wouldn't be like this. But the weakness of his grip is low balls in front of the net. His mentality is also problematic, and he was physically exhausted from the first 2 games. He subconsciously wanted to turn this low ball into a high ball. The racket brushed across the court and Yang Wei was stunned. The ball was caught. But, the ball hit the net hard, bounced back and hit him on the head. This ball hit the net. Yang Wei's standing posture was not good at the moment. and when the tennis ball hit his head, his body instantly lost balance. The whole person fell flat on his face in an instant. But no one paid attention to him because the game was over. The girl scored this goal again. Come back from 2-0 down to 3-0. The whole audience cheered. The girls even jumped up. Win! We won! Several girls immediately hugged each other, including Zhang Yan. Xiao Yang just sat aside with a smile on his face. As for the men's team, their expressions were still in shock and full of disbelief. They actually lost to a group of girls. The corner of Yang Wei's mouth twitched fiercely. Was he annoyed? He got up from the ground. Li Chun's voice, which sounded hateful, came to my ears. Do you want to quit the tennis team on your own, or do you want us to apply for your forced withdrawal? Chapter 277. Do you dare to fight me? Li Chun, what did you say? Yang Wei looked at Li Chun with a hint of anger. And I understand. I will report today's game truthfully when I get back. You want to put all the blame for the game on me? Yang Wei said angrily. I'm not dumping you, this is something you should take on. Li Chun snorted coldly and led his team to leave the scene immediately. At this moment, the audience was filled with cheers and shouts. Undoubtedly, the cheers were for the women's team. It would only be more embarrassing for them to stay here now. The women's team was extremely excited. Although this was just a friendly match and there were no medals or rankings, beating the men's team was a hurdle, and they successfully did it. Thanks to Xiao Yang, someone said. Yeah, Xiao Yang. How do you know so much? Zhang Yan asked curiously. It's just some basic stuff, I just learned it casually. But I didn't expect it to come in handy. It's not like you don't know these things. You just haven't used them. Xiao Yang smiled and looked at Yang Wei. If you ask me, you might as well thank him if he can get his mindset right. It will be difficult for us to win. Xiao Yang's mouth corners slightly raised. And he did not forget to bring Yang Wei along. Whether playing ball or doing anything else, knowing yourself and your enemy will ensure victory in every battle. Yang Wei's thoughts were all shown on his face, so it was too easy to figure him out. This remark immediately caused everyone to burst into laughter. At this moment, Yang Wei was already very angry. He walked forward, but was too embarrassed to catch up with the men's tennis team. The entire team, led by Li Chun, ignored him after all. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that the loss of this game was basically caused by him. Steady progress will indeed lead to victory. At this moment, he heard the laughter of the girls and saw Xiao Yang looking at him, which made Yang Wei even angrier. Their laughter was like silver needles piercing my heart. What are you laughing at? It's nothing but a friendly match. We just don't want to fight with you. Yang Wei looked at Xiao Yang and immediately scolded him. Xiao Yang immediately looked over and said with a smile. Look at him now, does he look like he has a constipated face? Aha, stop talking. Zhang Yan was already very happy. And after being teased by Xiao Yang, she couldn't hold it back anymore. She tapped Xiao Yang and started giggling. The other girls didn't like Yang Wei in the first place. And when they heard Xiao Yang say that, they couldn't help laughing, pointing at Yang Wei and saying, "Thank you, Xiao Yang. You. What do you know? We just let the women's team win. I don't care about winning or losing this time." Xiao Yang shook his head and said with a smile, "I know why you are always the second best. You are a captain of a lousy men's tennis team. Or even a vice captain. Because you're really stubborn. You Xiao Yang, you don't understand tennis, so what's the point of pointing fingers? It's just talk. Don't think you're a successful person just because you're with Zhang Yan. You're targeting me everywhere because you're jealous of my talent." Yang Wei was immediately furious. It would be fine if other girls laughed at me. But who the hell are you, Xiao Yang, to dare to mock me? Last time at the University of Finance and Economics, you hid behind Lin Qiu, and then behind Zhang Shangzhu. And now you're hiding behind Xiangyan Yurei, just a coward who relies on the power of others to bully others. You have no real ability, and you think you are nothing. Until now, Yang Wei thought he understood. Xiao Yang asked Zhang Shangzhu to fire him. But he was just using Zhang Yan's name. Zhang Shangzhu is Zhang Yan's sister, so naturally she would help Xiao Yang. So in his eyes, Xiao Yang was just a pretty boy who had no real ability and was just relying on women for help. As soon as these words came out, Zhang Yan's face suddenly darkened. Yang Wei, what did you say? If these words were directed at herself, Zhang Yan might not be angry, but she could say them to anyone except Xiao Yang. But as soon as he finished speaking, Yang Wei couldn't stop laughing. Look, Xiao Yang, you can't do anything without a woman. And now you still need Zhang Yan to show off for you. What kind of man are you if you hide behind a woman? If you really understand and really want to mock me, then show some real skills. You know nothing about tennis, so you're just talking nonsense. Seeing this, Xiao Yan calmly stood up and couldn't help but find it funny. As for tennis, I should know a little more than you. Okay, if you understand, do you dare to play a game of ball with me? Yang Wei thought Xiao Yang was showing off, so he spoke directly. I can't beat Zhang Yan, But does that mean I can't beat you either? Sure. What he didn't expect was that Xiao Yang agreed right away. Yang Wei was waiting for Xiao Yang to say this. He had to find someone to slap in the face and vent his anger today. Xiao Yang was undoubtedly the best candidate. As for Xiao Yang, he had just learned a new skill and wanted to try it out. But who knew that Yang Wei would jump out at this moment? That's perfect. As a man, every man wants to be in the spotlight. Although Xiao Yang is low-key, he cannot be timid in front of his beloved woman. Zhang Yan, on the other hand, stopped Xiao Yang and said, "You just started learning tennis, so you can't beat him. Yang Wei is also a semi-professional player after all." After that, Zhang Yan stood up and said, "Yang Wei, if you have the guts, fight me. Xiao Yang can't play tennis. Do you think you are a man if you use what you are good at to bully others?" As soon as he finished speaking, several more girls stood up. "Yes, Yang Wei, if you have the guts, play with us. What kind of ability is it to play with Xiao Yang? Who doesn't know how to play basketball?" Seeing this, Yang Wei's face was full of sarcasm. "I'm right, Xiao Yang. You are just a coward standing behind a woman, a waste." Xiao Yang didn't expect that these girls would stand up. So he quickly stopped them. "No need for them, I'll fight you." Xiao Yang, Zhang Yan frowned slightly and wanted to say something. "Don't worry." Xiao Yang raised the corners of his mouth, full of confidence. Zhang Yan had seen this kind of look more than once, and her heart suddenly calmed down a little. "Well, be careful. Xiao Yang, can you really play basketball?" The other girls asked hesitantly. "I know a little bit, but it's enough to deal with Yang Wei." After saying that, Xiao Yang took the racket from Zhang Yan. "Honey, lend me the racket." Zhang Yan nodded and had to agree. "Come on, I'll fight you." 5 goals and 3 wins. When Yang Wei saw Xiao Yang agreed, his face was immediately filled with pride. "It's up to you." Xiao Yang didn't care. At this moment, everyone thought the competition was over. And since the goddess Zhang Yan was holding another man's hand, many people lost interest and left. As for those who stayed, they basically just wanted to take a closer look at the goddess. The most important thing was that they were curious about what ability this boy had to win Zhang Yan. At this time, Xiao Yang had already picked up the racket and walked onto the tennis court. For a moment, many viewers were confused. What was this going to do? Is there any competition? No, this is Zhang Yan's boyfriend? Can he play tennis? Is it because of this Zhang Yan that she is with him? For a moment, some of the audience who wanted to leave stayed. They wanted to see what Zhang Yan's boyfriend was capable of. At this moment, a boy in the back row was stunned. This was exactly the boy who had been chatting with Xiao Yang before. Can he play tennis? Not only was he confused, but everyone else was also confused. And they immediately refocused their attention on the tennis court. Xiao Yang versus Yang Wei. Let me let you serve first, so that you won't be accused of bullying you. Yang Wei raised the corners of his mouth, full of confidence. Chapter 278, Waist Tennis. Okay. Xiao Yang looked at his right hand. There are many different ways to hold a tennis racket, each with advantages and disadvantages. Xiao Yang was still wondering how he should hold the racket. After all, the knowledge in his brain was directly stuffed into his head by the system, and Xiao Yang himself had never put it into practice. Sometimes knowing too much can be a torture. Seeing this, Yang Wei couldn't help but laugh at him. "You don't even know how to hold the racket." Xiao Yang smiled and said, "Of course I can, but I'm just thinking about how to hit you faster. After all, time is limited." As Xiao Yang spoke, the knuckle of his index finger touched the upper right edge, and his palm naturally placed above the handle. Seeing this, Yang Wei couldn't help but burst into laughter. "What kind of grip is this? I've never seen it before. Do you really know how to play tennis? You're not here to show off, are you? If you do that, I won't feel any sense of accomplishment if I defeat you." Zhang Yan couldn't help but frown when she saw this, and whispered, "Xiao Yang, using an uncompletely Western one-handed backhand is a better grip method to deal with his high balls." "I know," Xiao Yang nodded, "but I just want to use this grip. And I feel like my serve will be more powerful." After saying this, Xiao Yang was a little surprised. The additional knowledge that came to my mind is that this grip is called the continental grip. But judging from the expressions of the people, it seemed as if they had never seen it before. It's a bit surprising. However, most tennis grips are named after the region. So what does this continental grip mean? Never mind. I guess it was invented by that place called Earth. The knowledge in your head tells you that this grip is suitable for serving, volleying at the net, slicing in defensive play, especially when volleying at the net. Since there is no need to switch between forehand and backhand, you can react quickly, because the impact point of this grip is closer and lower to the side of your body. It requires much higher accuracy than other grips, but serving is much more comfortable than other grips. Therefore, it will be more comfortable to serve with this grip. After some mental consideration, Xiao Yang weighed the tennis ball in his hand. "Raise up." Xiaoyang used all his strength for this goal. After all, it was Xiaoyang's first time playing tennis, and he didn't know how much strength to use. Bang! A tennis ball and the racket came into close contact. At this moment, the tennis ball drew a flashing arc in the air at an astonishing speed. Just this one goal made Zhang Yan and several other girls look amazed. This ball speed. It seems a bit against the will of heaven. Xiaoyang didn't care too much about it after all. He had too little experience. The speed of this ball does seem to be much faster than the serve speed of the previous few girls. After all, Xiaoyang's physical fitness is there, and his strength is also very great. At least this ball cannot be compared with that of the girls. As for his level in men's tennis, Xiaoyang himself was not quite sure. But at least he looked very fierce. Just at this moment, Yang Wei on the opposite side panicked. The first thought that came to my mind was, what a fast ball. This ball is hard to grasp even with the naked eye. It's just a low ball in front of the net. He predicted the location and rushed over. After the ball hits the ground and bounces up, you need to use top spin to pull the ball higher. Hitting high balls is an area where you are good at. Already having a plan in mind, Yang Wei could only bounce the tennis ball. But the next second, he was stunned. Not only him, Zhang Yan was also stunned. Several girls were even more surprised, with their mouths wide open, unable to speak. The audience in the auditorium couldn't help but gasp. Xiaoyang also had a dazed look on his face, and the corners of his mouth twitched in reluctance. A tennis ball did not bounce up at this moment, but smashed into a big round shape. This ball directly smashed the tennis ball into pieces. Is this Xiaoyang's serve? Yang Wei couldn't help but feel a chill on his back and looked at Xiaoyang in surprise. How could he smash the tennis ball directly when serving? With that speed, if he tried to receive the ball, he would probably break the racket directly. What if it hits a person? He picked up the tennis ball, which had ended its life, with lingering fear. He took it in his hand, took a look, and swallowed his saliva. Well, it was my first time playing tennis, so I used a little too much strength. Xiaoyang still felt a little embarrassed, scratching his head and said. As soon as the words fell, the whole audience burst into exclamations. He broke the tennis ball into pieces. This is the strength that humans should have. This is the first time I've seen it. It's not the first time. I remember Cosby also missed a ball. Kurzbia? He's the men's tennis world champion from last year. Yes, that's him. He's a world champion who is Zhang Yan's boyfriend? He's so powerful. The crowd who were originally just watching the show couldn't help but focus their attention on Xiaoyang. He has something. At least he is not a useless pretty boy. Xiaoyang looked at Zhang Yan and asked hesitantly. Does this ball count as a point? It counts. Zhang Yan nodded directly. The ball didn't hit the net, there was no foul, and it didn't go out of bounds. So of course it counts. Is that so? Xiaoyang couldn't help but smile and looked at Yang Wei. Okay, you score. Yang Wei frowned and waved his hand helplessly. After thinking for a moment, he added, just this once. How can we play if you break the ball every time? Indeed. Just this once. Yang Wei finally felt relieved and picked up another tennis ball. It's my turn to serve this time. He glanced at Xiaoyang and knew his own advantages. Hit a high ball. The tennis ball was thrown high into the air. Xiaoyang also let out a long sigh, with a hint of a smile on his face. Suddenly I realized that tennis is quite fun. He also became interested. And a spherical shape flashed through his mind. If you hit that kind of ball, it must be fun. After thinking about it, Xiaoyang also changed the way he held the racket. The ball flew through the air. Xiaoyang took a deep breath, prepared himself for battle, and was extremely serious. Zhang Yan was also worried. There is no doubt about Xiaoyang's serving strength. But receiving the ball is not serving, not to mention that the opponent is Yang Wei, whose serving is his specialty. It is definitely not that easy for a novice like Xiaoyang to deal with him. However, seeing Xiaoyang's confident look, Zhang Yan was not so nervous anymore. Xiaoyang took action. The ball came over instantly, and Xiaoyang's racket shaft tilted slightly. He wants to slice the ball? Zhang Yan was surprised. Beginners all start by hitting the ball. Although slicing the ball is not difficult, it is not something a novice can master directly. Not to mention Yang Wei's serve. Got it. Zhang Yan was pleasantly surprised. Xiaoyang raised the corner of his mouth and swung the club slightly. The ball was received and the tennis ball was hit back instantly. It seems like I didn't use enough strength. Zhang Yan couldn't help but whiten her eyes before she was surprised. A smile suddenly appeared on Yang Wei's face opposite him. The arc and speed of this ball. It will hit the net. He is indeed an novice. He actually wants to cut his own high ball. The audience at the scene immediately saw the problem with this ball. If Xiaoyang's previous serve could be described as strong, then this ball could be described as weak. The curvature of this ball. It hit the net. Zhang Yan and the other girls couldn't bear to look at it. Failed? Xiao Yang stared at the tennis ball. The tennis ball is getting closer and closer to the net. It seems like it is trying hard to climb. This is? Suddenly someone stood up. The next second, everyone was stunned, with disbelief on their faces. The whole stadium was as quiet as a library. This ball. It can only be typed in animation. Chapter 279 Prince of Tennis. It has to be said that even Zhang Yan had only seen this ball in animations. The tennis ball slowly climbed onto the net, but did not fall down. Instead, it kept spinning above. At this moment, Yang Wei was already standing there in shock. Motionless, staring at the tennis ball intently. Gradually, the tennis ball rolled along the white net line. It doesn't roll directly off the net, but rolls on the net line. It's like it's walking on a tightrope, staying on the network cable and refusing to come down. The whole audience was silent, shocked and amazed. It was like an acrobatic performance, and all eyes at the scene were fixed on the tennis ball performing the acrobatics. Bang! Finally, the tennis ball climbed a long distance and suddenly fell off the net. Yang Wei just stared blankly but did not go up to remedy the situation. Or it can no longer be made up. The tennis ball clung to the net and floated downstream. It fell to the ground, right next to Yang Wei. This point was once again won by Xiao Yang without any dispute. Until the tennis ball hit the ground, the hearts of everyone present seemed to start beating the moment the tennis ball hit the ground. Instantly, the whole audience cheered. Screams rang in my ears, as if cheering for this incredible acrobatic tennis ball. Did I see it right? This tennis ball is walking on a tightrope. Damn, if there weren't so many people screaming, I would have thought it was an illusion. What a miracle! How did this come about? From the perspective of quantum mechanics, I can explain it at the moment when the tennis ball touches the racket. The racket shakes wildly and uses appropriate force to slice the ball. A man with glasses slightly raised his eyes and forced an analysis. It makes sense, but it doesn't seem to make that much sense. It's a bit too sci-fi. After all, being able to control strength and precision to this extent is indeed exaggerated. It's hard for professional athletes to do this. Who on earth is this man? He is totally out of character. My evaluation is Superman. Xiao Yang also let out a long sigh to hit this ball. He really needed to control the strength well, be accurate, and hit the right position. If there is a slight error in the position, the ball will either hit the net or be a low ball. What I didn't expect was that I succeeded in one try. The most crucial point is that because I have learned martial arts, Wing Chun is very particular about how to control strength. It is precisely because of this that the force control of this ball is so precise. Zhang Yan, who was standing by, was already stunned. When the ball hit the ground, she rushed over and opened her arms to hug Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang, you are so amazing. Xiao Yang directly caught Zhang Yan and said affectionately, "Of course, don't you see whose man this is? My family. My family, my Xiao Yang is the most powerful." Zhang Yan's face was full of pride. Even when she won the provincial championship, she had never been so happy. Several other girls also ran up and asked Xiao Yang how he made that shot. As for this game, although it was only 20, but anyone with a discerning eye could see that the game was over. Can Yang Wei win the next ball? If he can't win, how can he win? At worst, Xiao Yang can just serve another ball and smash it to the ground, and see how you catch it. Yang Wei no longer had the intention of fighting any further. To continue would only bring humiliation upon himself and make him nothing more than Xiao Yang's background. While everyone's eyes were on Xiao Yang, he found an opportunity and slipped away. But if you can escape the first, you can't escape the 15th. I believe that whenever there is a story about tennis in school and the future, I will definitely be included. I will become the topic of conversation among students. A lifetime of reputation is ruined in an instant. For Yang Wei, there is only one good news. That is, he is already a senior and will soon leave school, leaving this place that makes him sad. What about Xiao Yang, Zhang Yan, and Lin Qiyu? I'll just take a detour from now on. He counted them carefully, and it seemed that every time he met Xiao Yang, nothing good happened. On the other side, Zhang Yan also stared at Xiao Yang closely and snorted. Tell me the truth, when did you learn to play tennis? I just learned it not long ago. You fight pretty well, right? This is not just a good fight. It's professional level. Before Zhang Yan could say anything, someone jumped out and praised her. Yes, including the tactical arrangements above. He is simply a professional level player. At this point, someone suddenly realized, no wonder the captain likes you. You must be a professional player from some team, right? Such a high standard, it must be national level. That serve alone is better than most professional players. Someone said. Xiao Yang couldn't help but hold his head and shook his head. I'm not a tennis player, I really just learned tennis. If you don't believe me, ask Zhang Yan. Really? Really? I'm studying economics and I don't have much time to play tennis. Just now was my first time playing tennis, and I only learned it because Zhang Yan likes tennis. Xiao Yang responded with a smile. Then you are really amazing. This may be the power of love. Learning is twice as effective with half the effort. Right? Everyone was teasing her, but Zhang Yan had a hint of shyness on her face. But more of it was pride. This is my man. Look, how dazzling. It seems like there is light shining wherever you go. Zhang Yan hugged Xiao Yang's arm and said with a chuckle, okay, it's already this late, let's go eat. Okay, Xiao Yang smiled and nodded. However, judging from Zhang Yan's appearance, she might not be able to hold on until she gets home for dinner. So she took Xiao Yang and the girls from the tennis team to the cafeteria for dinner. Along the way, Zhang Yan took the lead and created a shining landscape, attracting countless eyes. Is this Zhang Yan's boyfriend? I just heard that it seems her boyfriend is a very good basketball player. It's not amazing, it's exaggerated. Yang Wei was beaten to tears. I've only seen that shot in anime, I can't imagine that he can hit a shot like that in real life. So Zhang Yan is with that boy because he's good at tennis. It's possible. I'm going to learn tennis now. Don't even think about it. He's a professional. So what, I can also train to the professional level. He's handsome, like a celebrity. That's okay. Looking at his face full of acne, the young man decided to give up the idea. At the same time, this news quickly became popular on campus forums. Zhang Yan's mysterious boyfriend was soon given a new title, Prince of Tennis. Xiao Yang didn't know about this because he and Zhang Yan had already finished their meal in the cafeteria and then took a walk on the campus. A wailing sound. At this moment, all the boys were heartbroken, and all the dogs in the business school were killed, without any escape. Chapter 280 Interview. Zhang Yan was also very happy today. She just liked Xiao Yang accompanying her like this. Seeing the more or less envious looks coming from all around, the arrogant Zhang Yan became even more proud. Both boys and girls were killed. After all, Xiao Yang's looks are there, and even several girls on the net team admire him a little. But he's already taken, so you guys can just be envious. Accompanying Zhang Yan, he lay on the grass. Today was a rare sunny day, and the sun was shining brightly on both of them. Zhang Yan rested her head on Xiao Yang's arm and fell into a deep sleep. Xiao Yang simply closed his eyes, feeling extremely comfortable. The other side is different. Huan Qian was sitting on a sofa at this moment, frowning slightly. This is not Xuan Yang, but another music company. Hello Miss Wan, Mr. Zhang's schedule is full at the moment, so he has no plans to arrange a song. After receiving the expected reply, Huan Qian heaved a sigh of relief and said, if Mr. Zhang has any ideas, please ask him to call me immediately. This is my business card. Huan Qian handed over a business card, and the other party took it politely. Then just as Huan Qian walked out of the company, the secretary slowly threw the business card into the trash can nearby. Back in the car, Huan Qian let out a long sigh. She never expected that Jingliu Entertainment's ban on her would be so strict. She asked all the entertainment companies in the entire Jie province, and visited all the famous producers, including some original singers. But no one was willing to take on the job. Without songs, Shanyek Xian can't cover other people's songs. Finally, an original album was produced. She had no choice but to go back to the company. Here, the company has already moved. A new company has rented a standalone office building and has already grown to the size of a large company. A new recording studio is also being built, and the entire company is busy. When I entered the company, there were some new people greeting me. There is a new atmosphere throughout the company. What made Huan Qian helpless was that she had already prepared everything. But there are no songs, and that's the real flaw. Shanyek Xian went back to continue the live broadcast. After all, that was part of her job. After becoming famous, bigging out past live broadcasts can further increase popularity. Back to the office. This office has also been newly renovated. The money is high and the work efficiency is fast. It only takes a few days. Huan Qian flipped through her notebook to see if there was any music producer she hadn't asked yet. Unfortunately, she has invited some famous people in the circle, but they either explicitly refused or have not responded to her at all. As for those who said they would consider it, Huan Qian knew that it was basically impossible. Unless Jingliu Entertainment can retract its statements in the mass media. For Xuan Yang, or for Huan Qian herself, they have been labeled as uncooperative by the entire circle. Soon, Manager Li also gave some news that was a little hard to accept. Even some students from art schools who have not yet made their debut have no intention of making a splash and are regarded as rats crossing the street in the circle. And all this is thanks to Jingliu Entertainment. Liu CG. Huan Qian bit her lower lip, and looked at the notebook in her hand. Suddenly becoming furious, she subconsciously tore the notebook into pieces. Then he looked at the torn notebook in his hand. I'm so fucking. Forget it, I've already found them all. Huan Qian let out a long sigh. Looking dejected. He can't ask Xiao Yang to find someone to write songs. With his power, he should know some famous songwriters. After all, he is so rich. But wouldn't it be too embarrassing to tell him that I can't even find someone to write songs for me? After all, I received so much money. Wan Qian held her forehead with her hand, her face full of distress. Why do I suddenly feel like I am of no use at all? At this moment, there was a knock on the door outside. Boss Wan, the media we have arranged to meet with are here. This was the media that had already gotten good news a few days ago. Wan Qian originally thought that the matter had been settled. So she was thinking about contacting the media, and then confirming the release time of the album and getting the promotion done. But who could have thought that there was a problem with the core song? The songs can't be released now, and there's no way to confirm the album. How to tell the media? Let them go back. Wan Qian let out a long sigh. That was impossible. After all, they were the media, and a few words they wrote casually would affect Xuan Yang. And Xuan Yang, who was already at the center of controversy, could not be hid any further. I had no choice but to go. This is the recording room. The media had already set up the recording equipment. Wan Qian first put on some makeup to tidy up her tired face so that she would not look so haggard. This is a Jiangdu media with a good reputation. It was broadcast on TV. So Wan Qian did not dare to neglect it. After arriving, the two of them sat on the sofa, just like they were having an interview. Mr. Wan, please introduce yourself first. Hello everyone. I'm Wan Qian. I used to be a singer and actress, and now I'm the head of Xuan Yang Music Company. Wan Qian tried hard to keep smiling. Speaking of Xuan Yang, some viewers may not know that Xuan Yang's previous name was Xuanhua. You may all know this name, the host also said with a smile. Xuanhua was once the most famous music company in Jiangdu and produced some great songs. President Wan was a popular female, but so why did you switch to working behind the scenes? After the words fell, Wan Qian was stunned. She didn't expect the first question to be like this. She looked at the host with a question mark on her face. This shouldn't be a problem in the script, right? But the host didn't react at all. Instead his face was full of anticipation. Wan Qian understood immediately. And although she was angry, she had nothing to say. I could only bite the bullet and say, our Xuan Yang is a traditional family business. My father passed away due to illness, and there was no one to take care of the company. So I chose to work behind the scenes and take over the company. Isn't it because of some scandal? The host continued to ask. Wan Qian threw the script in her hand to the ground. She finally understood that this media outlet was only here to dig up these news. And that the previously clarified issues were basically not discussed at all. This is to make fun of myself. But despite this, Wan Qian couldn't act angry. After all, she now represented the entire Xuan Yang image. She smiled and said, didn't you also say that this is a scandal? The innocent will be innocent. I think before some things are clarified. Everyone should not believe in rumors and jump to conclusions without authorization. I'm not a person who likes to explain everything one by one. But today I want to say to all the fans who support me that there are some things that you need to judge for yourself. Instead of letting some so-called mainstream media distort the facts. Mr. Wan's remarks are quite sharp. Can we move on to the next question? Seeing that the host wanted to say something, Wan Qian interrupted directly. Okay. Xuan Yang's change this time seems to be very big. Before this, Xuan Yang rarely appeared in front of the public media. What everyone wants to know is, who is the new artist that President Wan wants to introduce this time? Are you optimistic about the potential of this new artist? Do you think she can become the mainstay of your Xuan Yang Music Company? The other party asked again. Wan Qian heaved a long sigh. I believe in my vision, and I also believe that the new artist our company is about to launch will definitely have the strong ability to conquer the audience who like music. Our goal cannot be revealed for the time being, but we will definitely not let you down. Excuse me, Mr. Wan, you should know the singers Lin Hang and Dong Yan. I know, Wan Qian said this almost through gritting her teeth. These two singers came out from the noise, how could she not know? Everyone knows that Lin Hang and Dong Yan came from the old Xuanhua. They are now calling out to their old club, hoping to compete with Xuanhua in the new year. Are you willing to accept this challenge? Contest? Wan Qian was stunned. She has been busy looking for a music producer recently and has not paid any attention to these things. Yes, they want to compete with Xuan Yang after the new year to compete for the Originality Award after the new year. May he ask if your goal is also to win the Originality Award after the new year? Wan Qian's face suddenly darkened. Her goal is indeed the original award. But because of the producer, she doesn't know when she will win. Now, for her, being able to release a song is already good enough. Challenge? And it's Lin Hang and Dong Yan. She knows both of these people, who are still active in the music industry, with good skills in production, and a large fan base. Compete with the... Wan Qian let out a long sigh. And for a moment she didn't know how to answer this question. I have something going on recently, not kidney deficiency. I will definitely update in the next few days. I have to cheer up. Brother. Chapter 281. The truth only exists on the edge of the sword. The questions from the media also caught her off guard. She also never expected that these two people who had already rebelled so loudly would turn around and punch her. Their old boss. Won Keon let out a long sigh. Needless to say, this host probably changed his mind temporarily because of the influence of Jingyu Entertainment. Now Xuanyang is at the center of the storm. Just a small wave can destroy Xuanyang from everlasting destruction. Won Keon knew that there was no other way except to fight to the death. Although Xiaoyang gave herself 5 billion, she had a plan for the 5 billion, and it was impossible for her to invest it all in one album of Shang Xin. After pondering for a while, her expression became much more resolute. With a smile on his face, he slowly said, "They are both very thoughtful." It was just very wide. Won Keon's face changed, and she said with a hint of coldness, "As the old boss, I should wish them a bright future. But as opponents, I want to say that they are not worthy of challenging us." Xuanyang. Of course, since they used to be noisy employees, I can take up this challenge. Here, I can clearly announce to my friends in the media, including the entire music industry, that starting today, Xuanyang will set sail, ride the wind and waves, and restore its former glory. The host looked at Won Keon and was slightly stunned, but soon continued, "Then I wish President Won and Xuanyang can ride the wind and waves as you wish." In fact, after the two singers left Xuanyang, there were many discussions on the style of Wanzong and Xuanyang. The public was quite critical of this and did not approve of your style of doing things. What do you think of these things? Won Keon had already thought about this question after the host changed his tone. She was no longer surprised like before, but looked calm and composed. It takes only one mouth to spread rumors, but it takes a lot of effort to refute them. I originally didn't bother to answer these questions. But since you asked, I can make my attitude clear to everyone. Some things cannot be explained clearly with just one mouth. After so many years in the industry, I have come to understand one thing. The truth of the matter is not important. What is important is whether you have the ability to stop these rumors. I will no longer answer questions like this and will only respond with my works. I only have one thing to say: the truth only exists on the edge of the sword. Since they want to challenge Xuanyang, let them speak with their works and strength. At this point, Won Keon stood up and said, "I have something else to do. Let's end the interview today." After saying that, he turned around and left, leaving the hosts standing there in shock. They had never expected Won Keon's attitude to be so tough. But it's also a good thing. Such topical discussions will definitely generate some heat online. After Won Keon came out of the recording room, she said to the others, "We have already recorded the interview ourselves. If they have the tendency to maliciously edit the video, just send us the full version we recorded." "Okay, Mr. Won." Won Keon also strode straight back to the office. The depression between the brows lingered for a long time. Undoubtedly, her words would offend many people in the circle, especially those who have talked about her. Those media celebrities who have close ties with Jingyu will probably make a fuss about it. And now, as she said, let her work speak for herself. But the problem now is that Xuanyang has no works yet. Can't wait. These so-called teachers in this circle are unreliable. Won Keon thought about it and called the person in charge of the publicity and promotion department to come in. Soon, the manager of the publicity and promotion department walked into the office. Immediately formulate a charter and solicit songs from all major universities. Once high-quality original works are accepted, they will receive a high-standard contract and a bonus of tens of millions. You will be responsible for the specific process. Hurry up. I need to see UTA within 3 days. Generally, this kind of solicitation activity will take several months to carry out. But time is very tight and Won Keon doesn't have much choice but to give the shortest time. The songs took 3 days to come up with, and then they had to be screened before being recorded by Shang Xin. We also need to produce some verses, albums, etc. as soon as possible. This is a huge project. Although she couldn't wait, she could only suppress her anxiety and wait for the result of the song competition. Soon, the media released the video of the interview with Won Keon. This is a rare public interview with Won Keon, but in just a short period of time, news about her has become a hot topic. Won Keon's popularity had already remained high due to the unified boycott by celebrities. And as soon as the video was released, the level of discussion about her soared instantly. Wow, my brother said this was his first love. She is indeed a goddess. Her appearance is totally incomparable to those current leading actresses. The faces of today's female stars all look like they were produced by the same factory. It's hard to tell them apart. Won Keon's face is indeed very recognizable and beautiful. I thought she was still the delicate little girl she was back then. But now she looks like a queen. Pure desire, love it? Truth only exists on the edge of a sword. I love this sentence. There are naturally a lot of positive comments under the video. Beauty is justice, and Won Ki-yeon's face has already captured a lot of justice. But at the same time, there are more voices of boycott below. Many fans of the stars also collectively rush to the comments of the video. Isn't it just relying on your looks to get to the top? I feel uncomfortable seeing your arrogant look. What kind of company is Hwanyoung? I've never heard of it. Are there any singers? It seems there aren't any. You're still talking about strength? Do you have that kind of strength? Won Ki-yeon, you have a shitty song. You are the only one in the circle who is White Lotus. Right? Everyone else is a bad person. If one person targets you, that may be that person's problem, but if the entire circle targets you, then it must be your problem. Won Ki-yeon also watched the video. Fortunately, there was no malicious editing this time. And this is basically the entire content of the video. She was too lazy to read the comments below, as they basically only harmed her mood and did not help. Jingyu Entertainment also responded quickly. A mentally ill person once told me that the whole world is crazy, and they are the only ones who are sane. For a time, all stars also expressed their attitudes. The entire circle really seems to be leaning to one side. And below the interview video, the comments were quickly taken over by the stars' fans. Fortunately, Won Ki-yeon does not have an account on Weibo. Otherwise she would have been surfed. At the same time, a piece of news spread like wildfire. A noisy college song solicitation event kicked off. Chapter 282 Mental Breakdown. As soon as the news came out, it caused a sensation again. For Won Ki-yeon, this was a helpless move. But to the outside world, this is already a sign of weakness. Colleges are soliciting songs. Is this a reflection of strength? My evaluation was exaggerated. I just said it depends on strength. Now I am soliciting songs from major universities. I made up a catchy song. Can you help me? A multi-million-dollar bonus plus a contract to get rid of a beggar. Right? Isn't this a disguised way of telling others that I don't have any cards left and can't afford them? So you can play whatever you want. I have to say, Hwanyoung is really good at putting on a show. Truth only exists on the edge of a sword. I'm laying my cards on the table. My sword is broken. Is there anyone who can lend me another one? To be reduced to soliciting songs from the public. How disgusting it must be. I heard Won Ki-yeon's legs are broken from running so much that no one is willing to write songs for Hwanyoung. We are planning to find folk masters, but where can we find so many folk masters? How can those little brats who haven't even graduated from school compare with first-tier singers like Lin Hang and Dong Yan? Indeed, it seems that Won Ki-yeon is bragging too much. Her words are very hard, and her mouth is even harder. But there was a lot of discussion and a lot of preparation. Each recorded demo was sent to the event's collection email address. Who wouldn't want to win a multi-million-dollar prize? On the other side, Lee Cheng-yu and others who saw the news burst into laughter. When I watched her interview video earlier, I thought she was going to crush us to the ground. But I didn't expect that she would choose colleges and universities to collect songs in the end. What kind of songs can those students write? I'm convinced. It seems that we are just being sentimental. She doesn't have any cards at all. Why don't we write one and send it over? After all, there are 10 million of them. Haha, sure. Several people burst into laughter. Their faces full of confidence. What can those students do? When writing songs, it's good to know some basic music theory. She's at the end of her rope. Let's not let her get back on her feet. Let's quickly set a date for the album release. It's best to kill them in one go. Several people drank tea and couldn't help smiling. It has to be said that Won Ki-yeon's actions really stunned them. In such a short period of time, the creators are still a group of students who have not yet graduated. Why are you panicking? I'm not panicking at all. Soon. Time flies. These days, Won Ki-yeon and several musicians in the company have been sitting in front of their computers. Open your mailbox and listen to music. These past few days have been truly tormenting for Won Ki-yeon. Just like what Lin Hang and the others said, many people don't even know music theory. Nor do they know what music scores are. They just recorded a casual a cappella version of a catchy song and sent it over. This is simply torture to the ears of musicians like them. Some of the lyrics are extremely vulgar, while others are so sung that you can't even make out the sound. Some simply copied popular songs and changed the lyrics randomly. After a few days, there wasn't a single song that could impress Won Ki-yeon and the others. She let out a long sigh, her face full of helplessness. That's all for today. If you have time, you can listen to it at home after get off work. At this point, she no longer had much hope for the song. I thought there would be some outstanding ones among so many students. But who could have imagined that almost all of them were unbearable to the ears and could not even be called songs? Why would he challenge Lin Hang and the others with this? Suddenly, a musician stood up. Boss Won, this is a good song. Won Ki-yeon looked over quickly. Let him out. After connecting to the speakers, the song started playing immediately. Nice melody, singing suddenly sounded. Won Keon's expression brightened. This song was indeed quite good. At least it stood out among all the crappy ones. But just halfway through the song, a laugh suddenly rang out. No, Lin Hang, I can't bear it anymore. And you be serious? There's a 10 million bonus for this. I'm serious already. It's the voices of Lin Hang and Dong Yan. Won Keon finally heard it clearly, and the surprise on her face suddenly faded. This is an insult, an absolute insult. Do bastards. Won Keon bit her lower lip and squeezed out a few words. Won Keon finally couldn't help herself and smashed the small speaker on the table to the ground. The other few people also looked at each other with a hint of indignation on their faces. Mr. Won, someone shook his head, trying to comfort Won Keon. Won Keon waved her hands, feeling extremely depressed. It's alright, let's go off work. Let's stop here and stop wasting time. After saying that, he shook his head and slumped in the chair. Seeing this, the few people could only sigh, say hello and leave. It's already evening. There are lights and feasting outside. Won Keon looked at this and felt very uncomfortable. The lights suddenly dimmed, and Won Keon was the only one left in and outside the entire company. Her breathing became heavier and her nose felt sore. Finally, a tear rolled down from the corner of his eye. This strong woman who was always decisive in front of outsiders finally couldn't hold on any longer. She covered her face in pain and sobbed silently. There was no other sound. In the quiet office, there was only the sound of sobbing. Won Keon knew very well how difficult it was for her to get to this point. She thought about her past and how she worked hard to move forward, and finally became a famous star that attracted everyone's attention and was known to every household. But even so, it was knocked off the top by Jingyu Entertainment. She really wanted to take it all back. She had fame and fortune, but they were all just passing clouds. She tried hard to prove herself, and tried hard to hold on. She also wanted to tell everyone that she was not wrong from the beginning to the end. She refused to admit the dirty water that was thrown on her. She has been keeping up the noise step by step until now. Waiting for Xiao Yang, waiting for Xuan Yang. She wanted to take back everything that once belonged to her. But now, she felt deeply powerless and frustrated. How difficult it is for a woman to stay clean in the entertainment industry, which is full of mud. She was a little desperate. If all the 5 billion in hand were spent, the current downward trend could be reversed. But the 5 billion is a long-term plan. It is impossible to spend so much money just for an album. How can it be so difficult? Won Keon's mentality collapsed. Lamp. Suddenly, it went dark. The power is out. Suddenly, she burst into tears. Originally this was just a small matter. But when accumulated, it became the key to breaking the defense. Won Keon couldn't bear it anymore. In the dim office, her stunningly beautiful face looked haggard. She was very unwilling. But I really can't think of any solution now. For a long time. Maybe I was tired of crying. Won Keon wiped her tears and picked up the phone beside her. Biting her red lips, she looked at a phone number on her cell phone. After hesitating for a long time, I still didn't know whether I should call out. Finally she sighed and chose to dial the number. Chapter 283 Am I Completely Useless? Part 3. Won Keon is a person who never gives up. But at this point, she couldn't think of anyone else except Xiao Yang. There are only so many people in the circle. I thought that with so many students participating in the song contest, there would definitely be a talented student, but who would have thought that all we received were these disgusting things? In the end, Lin Hang and the others broke my mentality. Hello. Soon, Xiao Yang's voice rang in his ears. Hearing Xiao Yang's voice, Won Keon couldn't help sobbing again. Xiao Yang was bewildered, and could only hear sobs in his ears. Won Keon didn't know how to start talking for a moment, and was unable to speak. Hello? Xiao Yang asked again, looking confused. I'm afraid I dialed the wrong number. He was just about to hang up the phone when Won Keon's voice finally came over. Is this it, Mr. Yang? Won Keon's voice is very recognizable, and Xiao Yang can still recognize it. At this time, he had just finished visiting Lin Qiyu at school and was about to go home. So he was still in the car. Hearing Won Keon's condition, he frowned slightly. Is it Won Keon? Yeah, unlike usual. Won Keon nodded like a little woman, and couldn't help but burst out tears again. She stammered and couldn't speak clearly for a long time, leaving Xiao Yang confused. However, Xiao Yang also felt a little distressed. He used to be a fan of Won Keon, and his recent contact with her made him feel that Won Keon had always been a rather strong woman. At least she can be classified as the same type as Zhang Shengzhu, and can be considered a strong woman in the workplace. I didn't expect there was this side to me. I feel so sad and distressed. He let out a long sigh and interrupted Won Keon directly. Where are you? I met the company. Won Keon swallowed and finally uttered a few clear words. Address. Won Keon wiped her tears, packed up her things, and then told the address clearly. Xiao Yang didn't waste any more time. Hung up the phone and drove directly to the place Wan Qian mentioned. The company's new address was near the city center, not far from Xiao Yang, so he drove there quickly. It's pitch black here. It looks like there's a power outage. Xiao Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. What's the big deal about a power outage? I saw a few big words neatly arranged above the company's gate. Noisy music company? When did you change to Xuanyang? Is it because of me? Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile. This name is not bad. The door was not locked, so Xiao Yang walked straight up. The battery was out and the place was quite dark, so Xiao Yang turned on the flashlight on his phone and scanned the area. The environment is nice, everything is newly renovated. Maybe they just move in. Then he called Wan Qian again. Where are you? Office, Wan Qian said softly. I heard your voice. Xiao Yang hung up the phone directly. Wan Qian's voice came from upstairs. And he just went along with it. Finally, we arrived outside the office. At this moment, the lights suddenly came on. The two looked at each other. And Xiao Yang also saw Wan Qian lying on the ground with a broken speaker next to her. The moment he saw Wan Qian, Xiao Yang was also shocked. Wan Qian had disheveled hair, a hollow look in her eyes, and red eye sockets, which made Xiao Yang wonder if he had seen it wrong. Is this still the Wan Qian I saw before? He let out a long sigh, walked to Wan Qian, and helped her up from the ground. The latter looked haggard, with her hair slightly pushed back. Her pretty face was already covered with traces of dry tears, making her look quite miserable. Xiao Yang was not in a hurry. He looked around, walked to the water dispenser and poured a glass of water. Drink some water first and relax. Xiao Yang handed it over. The latter took the quilt awkwardly and drank the water in the cup. Slow down, Xiao Yang's voice had not yet finished. When Wan Qian rang suddenly started coughing and was choked by the water. Xiao Yang patted her on the back quickly, and said with a smile, Why are you so anxious? It's just a power outage. Are you afraid of the dark? Seeing Xiao Yang's gentle smile, Wan Qian almost couldn't help laughing. Okay, you don't look like the Wan Qian I remembered at all. Xiao Yang looked at Wan Qian, whose face was filled with decadence. He knew that she was definitely not afraid of the dark. So he handed her a tissue and said with a smile. Seeing Xiao Yang like this, Wan Qian couldn't help but ask, What is your impression of Wan Qian like? Well, Xiao Yang thought for a moment, then said, No, it's been so long that I almost forgot. I grew up watching your TV series and listening to your songs. 8. In your impression, Wan Qian is just an old woman. Wan Qian was amused by Xiao Yang's words. She sighed and her face became heavy again. Xiao Yang, do you think I am completely useless? Do you want to hear the truth or a lie? Is there any truth or falsehood in this? Of course. And let's just listen to the truth. Lies must be to comfort me. To be honest, I actually admire you. Admire me? Yes. Before I knew you, I envied you celebrities when I saw you on TV. You seemed so glamorous. Especially you know I thought you were my first love when I was in high school. When I saw you standing with the male lead I thought to myself, is he worthy of you? Why can he play a couple with you? He must have saved the galaxy in his previous life. Right? It's not just me, all the boys in our class like you very much. There are posters of you all over the dormitory. But then, you disappeared. As he spoke, Xiao Yang sat down next to Wan Qian and slowly recalled. I felt it was such a pity at the time. I actually didn't believe you would do those things. But everyone says that personality is the product of marketing. Who knows what you are like in private? After getting to know you, I realized that the image of you that remains on the screen is the most real. You are fighting against the entire industry with a company on your back. This is already amazing. This is also why I admire you. For so many years, I have been able to stick to my principles, not compromise, and work hard to prove myself. If it were me, I would never be able to do that. Besides, you are a girl. I think most people can't do this as well as you. That's why I chose to trust you, hand over the company to you, and support you to continue running Xuanhua. It's not only because I trust you, but also because I believe in your ability. Hearing Xiao Yang's words, Wan Qian was stunned, but lowered her head. But I can't even do the smallest things right. And now I feel like I'm only making the case worse. She bit her red lips and shook her head, her previous confidence gone. Can it be worse than it is now? Xiao Yang smiled, stretched out his hand, and almost rubbed the other's little head. This habit needs to be changed. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh and withdrew his hand. Okay, tell me what happened first. Chapter 280. For chapter 283. Do you want to make a comeback? Wan Qian bit her red lips slightly and leaned on the table in a not so elegant posture. She pondered for a long time, and then she softly talked about what had happened during this period. Xiao Yang originally thought that it must be a big deal that Wan Qian was so depressed. But after listening, he realized that it was just a small matter. He suddenly couldn't help laughing. Seeing this, Won Keon looked puzzled and asked, "What are you laughing at?" "I'm laughing at you being stupid. Didn't I tell you that I'm the one who will take care of the song?" Xiao Yang reached out and tapped Won Keon's forehead. "Why didn't you remind me? I had completely forgotten about it. If you had told me earlier, the matter would have been resolved long ago. Speaking of which, during this period of time, I was injured and hospitalized. And then I was running between Zhang Yan and Lin Qiyu. And I completely forgot about the music company. If Won Keon hadn't brought up this matter now, Xiao Yang himself probably wouldn't know when he would remember it. How do we solve this problem?" Won Keon sighed. "The whole industry is targeting Xuan Yang and me now. I have visited almost all music producers during this period. But no one is willing to help. Even though they had verbally agreed to it before, they ended up breaking the contract. I even raised my requirements a lot. But they still couldn't persuade me. I still underestimated the influence of Jingyu Entertainment. They can silence everyone with just one order," Won Keon said a little dejectedly, and her face did not look very good. "The most important thing is that Lin Hang and his bastards didn't even forget to add fuel to the fire. I hate these two people now." Won Keon talked incessantly. At this moment, she didn't seem like a strong woman, but more like a complaining little girl, pouring out her heart to others. "It's less than 2 months away from the selection of the Fengyun Awards after the New Year. We need to prepare the music and MV before the New Year. And also increase publicity efforts. But now, there's not even a song. I spent a lot of money to recruit songs on campus. And I thought that with so many people, there would be at least 1 or 2 decent songs. Who knew that all of them were unbearable garbage?" Won Keon sighed. Her face full of melancholy. She even forgot the original intention of calling Xiao Yang over, and instead treated Xiao Yang as a listener. Xiao Yang couldn't help but smile and said, "Okay, there are no songs, right? I've said before that I can try to write some songs. So let me be responsible for it. It's a bit late in terms of time, but if you can find some producers to write songs with you, maybe." Hearing Won Keon's words, Xiao Yang waved his hand. "I didn't say to find someone, I can just write it myself." "Huh?" Won Keon stood there in a daze. "You wrote it yourself? But an album must have at least 7 or 8 songs. And there must be 1 or 2 high-quality hit songs. How can you write them all by yourself?" It's not that Won Keon didn't believe Xiao Yang, but this was too exaggerated. It is undeniable that if Sunny Day and Secret were both written by Xiao Yang, and he is indeed extremely talented, but she also doesn't believe that Xiao Yang could write an entire album of songs in just a few days. Seeing that Won Keon didn't believe him, Xiao Yang smiled and said, "And how about we write all the songs tonight?" "Ah, you are not kidding." Won Keon was slightly stunned and looked at Xiao Yang. "I'm not kidding. Since time is tight, let's not waste time. Let's write songs now." "Now?" "Yes, now." Xiao Yang didn't waste any time and directly took the paper and pen from the table. During this period, Xiao Yang also listened to a lot of songs in the system's music library, and almost regarded the system's music library as a built-in speaker, with true 360-degree surround sound without dead angles. So far, there are 9 songs that can be brought up. Xiao Yang took a pen and paper and thought for a moment. The most important thing is to choose which song is more suitable for Shang Xin. There was enough time after all. He only had to copy down the music scores and lyrics from the music library. So he only had to think about what song to write. Won Keon, who was standing by, saw that Xiao Yang didn't move for a long time and seemed to be thinking about something. So she didn't dare to disturb him and could only sit aside and watch quietly. Won Keon was a little anxious at first, but when she saw Xiao Yang's confident face and his calm thinking, she felt safe. "I don't know if it's because I have had too few contacts with men since I was a child, and I have focused all my attention on my career, but in this free time." Won Keon actually took the time to look at Xiao Yang carefully. She doesn't have sharp edges, but her skin is even and fair. Her facial features are 3-dimensional and balanced. And her quiet eyes move slightly with her eyelashes, as if she walked out of a painting. Won Keon suddenly couldn't help swallowing. Xiao Yang in front of her actually made her immersed in it. Whether it is the side face or the front face, there is no blind spot in the 360 degrees. In the quiet office, Won Keon only felt her heart beating violently, and she could even hear her own heartbeat. How can someone be so handsome? She sighed in her heart and wiped the saliva that almost overflowed from her red lips. Suddenly Xiao Yang turned his head and glanced at Won Keon, who was in a daze. The latter seemed to be startled and turned his head away quickly. There was a hint of blush on the originally haggard face. "Have you figured it out?" Won Keon asked timidly, not daring to look at Xiao Yang. "Thinking about it." Xiao Yang's mouth corners slightly raised. "By the way, do you want to make a comeback?" Xiao Yang suddenly asked. "Raid debut?" Won Keon was stunned. At least Xiao Yang had asked herself this question, and Wan Qian's answer at that time was naturally affirmative. But she was not sure whether Xiao Yang could help her. After all, it was Jingyu Entertainment that banned him, not some small company. What happened in the past few days made her more certain of the power of Jingyu Entertainment, which almost covered half of the entertainment industry. She didn't even have a place to survive, so how could she talk about making her debut? But when Xiao Yang asked this question again, looking at the face in front of her, Wan Qian didn't have time to think about the difficulty of implementing this question, and nodded subconsciously. In fact, after being banned by Jingyu Entertainment for so long, how could she not want to make her debut? Her childhood dream was to stand at the center of the world stage and become the focus of everyone's attention. She loves being in front of the camera, whether she is singing or acting. And isn't it this dream that keeps her going forward with heavy burdens and all the noise? She doesn't want to leave the entertainment industry yet. Before leaving, you must take back what you lost. Looking at Wan Qian's reaction, Xiao Yang also understood. He turned his head and said softly, "And I understand in that case, why don't you debut with XIN? I remember you sing really well, why don't you sing this song on her album?" As he spoke, Xiao Yang slowly picked up the pen and wrote 3 words on the paper. Chapter 285. He understands me. The Lone Warrior. The Lone Hero? Looking at the 3 words on the paper, Wan Qian was stunned. "You mean, you want me to sing this song on Showtime's album?" "Yeah." Xiao Yang continued writing for him. It was just a matter of copying the song from his mind. It was not difficult. This is also the song he listened to recently. Although it is sung by a man, it is not impossible for a girl to sing it. The most important thing is that Wan Qian really needs a song like this that can give her strength at this time. "But this is XIN's album," Wan Qian said. "You can choose to sing with XIN, or sing by yourself. I think this song is very suitable for you." Xiao Yang didn't look up, but continued to write. "It's suitable for your current situation. Perhaps you need such a song to announce your return to everyone. Nothing is more suitable than this song." Wan Qian didn't say anything else, but just focused her eyes on the lyrics written by Xiao Yang. "They are all brave. The wound on your forehead, your differences, the mistakes you made. No need to hide. Your worn out doll. Your mask yourself. They say you need light to tame every monster. They say they'll sew you up. No one loves a clown. While loneliness is not glorious. Only imperfections are worth praising. Who says those covered in mud are not heroes?" Looking at the smooth lyrics, Wan Qian's eyes widened. "Who says those covered in mud are not heroes? Now in this circle, am I not like a lone hero covered in mud? Lonely but brave. They all stand on the commanding heights of justice. As if they are a monster or a clown, and they hold the light in their hands and want to tame themselves." Wan Qian bit her lip lightly, although the music score had not been written down yet. She could already understand what Xiao Yang meant by the words he had just said from the lyrics. This song must be sung by yourself. She needs a song like this to deal with everyone's sarcasm and relentless pursuit of her. Throw dirty water. So what if I'm covered in mud? I am still that lonely and brave hero. For a moment, her tears couldn't help but fall. The lyrics have touched her heart. Regardless of the melody, the lyrics alone are enough to move her to tears. Love you walking alone in the dark alley. Love the way you don't kneel. Loving you has always been desperate. Don't want to cry. Love your tattered clothes. But dare to block the gun of fate. Love you. I am so like you. The gaps are the same. Are you going to wear this ragged cape? Fight, fight with the humblest dream. To the sobs and roars in the dark night. Who says only those who stand in the light are heroes? Seeing this, Wan Qian had already clenched her fists. She looked at Xiao Yang writing hard with his head down. And her heart was already deeply moved. Walking alone in a dark alley. Doesn't it describe how I have come to this point, alone despite all the noise over the years? A look of not kneeling also shows that he still does not compromise despite being banned by Jingyu and betrayed by everyone. Wan Qian was touched by every word and every sentence. She had experienced all of this personally, and had thought that she was the only one who understood what she was carrying. Only you know how difficult it is. In the eyes of outsiders, I am like a fool. I can clearly retreat or advance, but why do I insist on doing so? But why did they confront a behemoth like Jingyu Entertainment for so long and even use up all their savings without compromising? Not to mention people like Xiao Yang who he had only met a few times. Even the veterans in the company, those people didn't know why he insisted on running Xuanhua. It is my unyielding character that determines that I am destined to be like this. She thought no one would understand her. But after reading these lyrics, Wan Qian realized that the person who understood her best was Xiao Yang, who had seen 2 sides of her. Almost every word between the lines tells its own story. Wan Qian believed what Xiao Yang had said before, that he had been her fan since high school. From now on, he is not only a fan, but also an absolute die-hard fan. Otherwise, how could you know yourself so well? Keep reading. Fight, fight, with the most humble dream. This is a declaration of war against those people in the circle through the lyrics. Just use your humble dream to fight against everyone in the entire circle. Her expression became more resolute. Xiaoyang used the lyrics to support me in fighting to the end. So how could I give up? Who says only those who stand in the light are heroes? I, Wan Qian. Those of you who stand in the light and on the moral high ground must be dragged down one by one. She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and tried hard to stop sobbing. Don't cry. The lyrics say it all. I won't cry. How could I let Xiaoyang down? They said to stop your madness. Just like wiping off the dirt. They said to go up the stairs. The price is to bow your head. Then I can ride the wind. You are just as proud of your courage. Who says that those who are mediocre at playing chess are not heroes? More and more lyrics. Wan Qian was almost cheering in her heart. She felt so refreshed. It turned out that in Xiaoyang's eyes, although he was covered in mud, although he was standing in the darkness, he was ordinary. But he is a hero. He understands me. How can he understand me so well? Wan Qian's tears almost fell again. Now she was almost certain that Xiaoyang was her die-hard fan, and must have been paying attention to her all these years. Otherwise, how could he know himself so well? Not only that, he also deliberately bought the company, although he said he had no idea that he was buying his own company. You must be lying to me. He deliberately bought the company to help himself get back into the entertainment industry. The money transfer could be made by mistaken amount of 5 billion. How is that possible? He really? I cried. How can he be so good? Wan Qian's heart was already filled with ripples looking at Xiaoyang's face as he wrote the lyrics seriously. The love in her eyes was about to overflow with tears. Finally, the last line of the lyrics was completed. Xiaoyang waved his wrist. His hands were a little sore after not writing for a long time. Okay, this is the song I wanted to write for you. Xiaoyang let out a long sigh and turned around. Only then did he realize that Wan Qian behind him was covering her mouth. Tears streaming down her face, staring at him as if she was crying. Why are you crying again? Xiaoyang took the tissue and handed it to Wan Qian. The latter was indeed silent. Xiaoyang had no choice but to use a tissue to wipe the tears off Wan Qian's face himself. What surprised Xiaoyang was that Wan Qian didn't even try to dodge. And a hint of blush flashed across her face. Okay. Stop crying. You are just like this song, a lonely hero. No matter you are in a dark alley or in despair, no matter it is against the wind or in a desperate situation, I hope you can fight hard for yourself and fight for your dreams. No matter what kind of difficulties you encounter, you can always resist the fate and ride the wind and waves. Xiaoyang's words had just fallen. Suddenly, Wan Qian in front of him dived into Xiaoyang's arms. Chapter 200 Itesis the real lone hero. Wan Qian's action caught Xiaoyang off guard, and he didn't even know where to put his hands. After a long time, I felt as if my clothes were soaked by something. Only the sound of sobbing could be heard in the office. Okay, if you continue like this, I really don't know when I can finish writing these songs. Xiaoyang smiled. Wan Qian then broke free from Xiaoyang's arms. But Xiaoyang's clothes were already soaked with tears. They say women are made of water. This time I believe it. How can I cry so much? Wan Qian smiled awkwardly, but her heart was filled with warmth. Xiaoyang didn't seem to care about what happened just now. He just held the manuscript of the song and said slowly, "This song is considered to be written. I rarely write songs like this. Let's mark the music score first." After saying this, Wan Qian said awkwardly, "Have you thought about the music score?" "Well, I have a rough idea of it," Xiaoyang said shamelessly. "This is the song given by the system, and it is naturally complete from the music score to the lyrics. Write the music score on it." Wan Qian watched quietly from the side. After a while, she made a cup of coffee and handed it to Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang took a sip, praised the coffee, and continued writing. After a long time, he finally wrote out the name of the shop and handed it to Wan Qian. Wan Qian is also an old musician, so naturally she can understand the music score. He hummed a few words and was immediately filled with surprise. "Did you just write this? Is there any problem?" Xiaoyang asked back. "No. I just find it hard to believe that such a high-quality song could be written in such a short time." Wan Qian sighed. After thinking for a while, Xiaoyang said, "I have thought about it a long time ago, but this is the first time I have written it down. What do you think? It's simply a masterpiece." Suddenly she handed the manuscript to Xiaoyang. "Why don't you sing it for me?" Wan Qian knew Xiaoyang's singing ability, which was almost impeccable. And she also wanted to hear Xiaoyang sing. She had no idea how many times she had secretly played the song Sunny Day and Secret. "Yes, let's go to the recording studio. I have asked someone to set up everything there. It has the best equipment on the market. It has a good opportunity to see what the quality of the song will be like if it is recorded. And test the equipment at the same time," Wan Qian suddenly suggested. Xiao Yang naturally had no objection. The two of them also went directly to the company's recording studio. Won Qian is also an old musician. He grew up in a music company, and the equipment in the recording studio is child's play for her. However, it was Xiao Yang's first time to sing in such a professional place. He couldn't help being curious and asked a lot of questions. Won Qian was also very patient and explained everything to Xiao Yang one by one. Then give it a try. Xiao Yang put on his headphones and put the manuscript away. On the other side, Won Qian made an okay gesture. As for the accompaniment, it is naturally impossible to make it now, so it all depends on the a cappella singing. Xiao Yang let out a long sigh and spoke directly. All of them are brave. Xiao Yang often plays this song on repeat in the system music library, so he is quite familiar with it. Of course, after taking this song out of the music library, the singing techniques and other aspects of this song were also integrated into Xiao Yang's subconscious mind. Therefore, in terms of singing skills and emotions, Xiao Yang can be impeccable. As soon as he opened his mouth, Won Qian on the other side widened her eyes. The deep voice is full of charm, as if telling its own story. Xiao Yang's expression also changed with the emotional outburst of the song. At the beginning, it seemed as if he was telling a story, and then as the lyrics and song gradually broke out, his facial expressions became richer and richer. Who says only those standing in the light are heroes? When singing this line, Xiao Yan's gaze fell directly on Won Qian. The latter seemed to feel the other's emotions. Won Qian clenched her fists tightly, always immersed in the singing. The time of a song goes by very quickly. Although Xiao Yang had listened to this song many times through the system's music library, this was the first time he sang it so heartily after the roar. He felt extremely relaxed. How is it? Xiao Yang looked at Won Qian impatiently. I want to reject you now. You shouldn't sing this song to me. I feel like I can't sing as well as you do, Won Qian said, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. This song was written for you, so of course you should sing it. Xiao Yang smiled. I feel I am not worthy now. You sing so beautifully. There was a hint of admiration in Won Qian's moist eyes. It feels like it's a complete waste for you to give me this song. Before this, Won Qian always felt that her singing skills were much better than those of ordinary people, and there were not many singers who could compare with her. But who knew that Xiao Yang's voice would really shock me as soon as he opened his mouth? The worst thing is that she suddenly lost confidence in herself. As such a precedent, she no longer had the courage to continue writing. This is your sonnet, that's your first step back into the entertainment industry. And it's also your first step to slap those people in the face, Xiao Yang said with a smile. Won Qian raised her head and glanced at Xiao Yang. Eyes met. She took the manuscript and said, You gave me this first step. Thank you, Xiao Yang. She took a long breath and walked into the recording studio. After putting the manuscript away, she closed her eyes, and all the grievances she had suffered over the years replayed in her mind like history repeating itself. They are all brave. He spoke with a hint of resentment, yet also a hint of despair. Xiao Yang widened his eyes. He had heard Won Qian singing almost always on music software, and that was when she was a teenager. Now, her voice and singing skills have also changed a lot. Just by opening her mouth softly, it was as if she pulled people into the story. She is telling her own story. Xiao Yang put away his smile and looked at Won Qian, who was singing passionately, as if he saw everything she had suffered in the past few years. Finally, the chorus. She suddenly opened her eyes, as if awakening, with unyielding spirit and pride. At this moment, a tear had already fallen from Won Qian's eyes. When he started to sing and roar, he clenched his fists and vented his emotions with all his might. Looking back, we have encountered many difficulties along the way. Xiao Yang couldn't help but let out a sigh. This song is indeed the most suitable for Won Qian. Compared to his own outburst of emotions, the dense cycle of catharsis is not as appropriate as Won Qian's step-by-step handling. Just after listening to himself singing it once, he had his own unique understanding, and it surpassed the original taste. Her story is like a movie with gradual preparation. The preparation and foreshadowing in the first half add layers in depth of the second half, bringing out the sharp contrast and making it more colorful, intriguing and memorable. I have to say, she is a genius. In other words, only with a story like hers can one sing out such emotions. Xiao Yang felt very relieved. Won Qian's first step back into the entertainment industry. It will definitely shock everyone, at least those clowns will be slapped hard in the face. Finally, after a roar, the song ends. Won Qian's face flushed red. Unlike her previous decadence, she now looked full of fighting spirit. Xiao Yang gave a thumbs up. Just like you said, I gave you this step. But only you can walk well. You are the real lone hero. Chapter 287, Come and See the Gods. Won Qian couldn't help but smile. He wanted to say something else, but Xiao Yang didn't appreciate it at all. He just picked up the pen and said, While there is still time, Write all the songs for XIN. Ah, continue writing? Won Keon's face was full of surprise. Yes. Didn't you tell me the time is very tight? Finish writing it all and start recording tomorrow. Xiaoyang said directly, as if he didn't care at all. But we need at least 7 or 8 more songs. Wow, about that, Xiaoyang calculated that he could still come up with 8 songs. It just so happens that I wrote them all down at once. Seeing Xiaoyang's serious look, Won Keon was completely stunned. Are all 8 songs really written tonight? This is too crazy. Xiaoyang's song had already given him a great surprise. If I finish writing it, regardless of the quality, if it can be half the quality of this song, no, even 1/5 of it, it would be enough. Xiaoyang didn't care what Won Keon was thinking and just started writing. The wind is blowing. This time, Xiaoyang also marked the music score simultaneously, which stunned Won Keon. The whole song was written very smoothly without any lag. It's like copied. Won Keon read the lyrics and music of the entire song, the chorus casually, and looked like a statue. The quality of this song is unexpectedly high. Could it be that he had already written it? How can such a high-quality song be written in such a short time? But before she could ask, Xiaoyang moved his wrist, took out another piece of foray paper, and continued writing. Sibe, crazy. Is this still a human being? Won Keon felt like her head was full of question marks. She casually glanced through the lyrics and music and almost collapsed to the ground. Another song of explosive quality. What on earth is his head made of? Won Keon had only one idea at this moment, which was to open Xiaoyang's head to see if there was a computer inside. Thoughts flowing like a spring could no longer describe Xiaoyang at this moment. This is a completely ruthless creative machine. She didn't dare to disturb Xiaoyang, so she walked out of the recording studio first. After taking a look at Xiaoyang, who was still writing furiously in the recording studio, Won Keon took out her cell phone, took a photo, and then made a call. Hello? Hey, XIN, are you asleep? Not yet, what's wrong? Sister Keon. Come to the company. Won Keon let out a long sigh. After thinking for a moment, he added, come and see the gods. Hang up the phone. Inside the room, Xiaoyang put a finished manuscript aside, drank a sip of coffee, and then took another piece of manuscript paper and continued. It is undoubtedly a god. Won Keon let out a long sigh. This guy is simply a monster. Won Keon came in and thoughtfully helped Xiaoyang get another cup of hot coffee, then stepped aside and sent a message to Shang Xin. Hasn't it arrived yet? It's almost there. Shang Xin replied quickly. What's the matter, Sister Keon? When they arrived at the company, Won Keon went downstairs directly to pick up Shang Xin. As soon as they met, the latter asked, your album, Won Keon said with a smile. Come out? Well, the song is out, Won Keon said with emotion. Shang Xin nodded. She knew all this, but she was also very nervous at the moment. But it be that the results of the school's song contest were out? But how good songs can those students write? She let out a long sigh. And seeing Won Keon's smiling face, she felt more confident. How many songs? I don't know, but it's a lot. As they said that, the two of them had already walked out of the recording studio. Are you here directly to audition the song? Shang Xin asked, puzzled. Lie. No, I'll show you the gods. Dang 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 dang. Won Keon opened the door of the recording studio a crack. Then raised her finger and looked at Shang Xin in a low voice. Shh, don't disturb him. Xiaoyang. She hadn't seen Xiaoyang for a while. She had always had someone in her heart. And when she saw Xiaoyang so close, she immediately wanted to go in. But he was quickly stopped by Won Keon. Wait a minute. I'll get you some manuscripts. Won Keon walked into the recording studio cautiously, and looked at the several manuscripts piled up nearby. She took it without hesitation and walked out of the recording studio. Xiaoyang didn't care and didn't even look at Won Keon. The latter walked out quietly again, dragged Shang Xin into another office, took out the manuscript and handed it to him. This is the song written by your brother Xiaoyang. Take a look. Won Keon had actually seen it before, and now she was more or less showing off. Shang Xin blushed slightly and murmured, "But brother." It's no secret to Won Keon that Shang Xin likes Xiaoyang. The two have had a very good relationship since they met, and now they are basically good friends. Won Keon took the manuscript and started reading it. It's really a song. Just give it a try. Shang Xin is also an outstanding student in the music conservatory, so naturally she can understand the music scores. After watching for a while, I couldn't help but humming. Soon, his expression changed from calm at the beginning to one of extreme surprise. The wind blew, just like the wind blew in her heart. So subtle. This song. After reading it, Shang Xin was so surprised that she was speechless. Did Xiaoyang really write this song? Yes, there is more. Shang Xin couldn't wait any longer. his face full of excitement. The song The Wind Rises in her hand seems to be tailor-made for her. The confidence and spirit between the lines always make people feel excited. She likes songs like this, and it can also be seen that the quality of this song is absolutely top-notch. Seabed. Zhang Xian recited the song title silently, then looked at the music score and hummed softly. She had an excited look on her face at first, but after a while, she looked sad, with a hint of despair in her eyes. When the song ended, his eyes turned slightly red. Different from The Wind Rises, this song is extremely depressing. The lyrics alone can make Zhang Xian feel the helplessness and despair of the protagonist in the story. As if everything has lost its meaning, she is alone being swallowed up by the cold and deep sea. While others are just watching coldly, a feeling of suffocation and helplessness fills her whole body. She has tried to struggle and resist, but all is in vain. It is too late now. Two very different songs with very different styles. Zhang Xian's eyes turned red while singing. This. Was it also written by Xiaoyang? Zhang Xian couldn't help but ask. Yes, I saw him write it with my own eyes. After hearing Wan Qian's answer, Zhang Xian was completely confused. Isn't this too incredible? Seeing Zhang Xian's reaction, Wan Qian also sighed. This is also why she asked Zhang Xian to come and see the gods. The two looked at each other, and they were thinking the same thing. Two songs of different styles, one is uplifting and the other is desperate. To be able to write these two songs at the same time in such a short time, you must be a god. Chapter 288 How to Lose When the Dragon Rides on Your Face? For a long time, Xiaoyang finally finished writing the rest of the songs. These songs are not the best among all the songs, but they are of good quality, so Xiaoyang is relieved. However, just as Wan Qian and Zhang Xian thought, the songs he wrote were rather casual. Basically, he would just pull out any song suitable for girls from the system. As for the different styles, he didn't have to worry about them. Zhang Xian's ability is definitely enough to carry these songs. Including The Lone Hero, there are 9 songs in total, and the music library can only display 10 songs in total. He has already mentioned Secret before, so this benefit ends here. After writing for so long, Xiaoyang was naturally a little tired. He didn't pay attention to it but leaned back, spread his hands, yawned, and loosened his muscles. But as soon as he opened his hands, he felt like he touched something wrong. Xiaoyang turned around immediately, only to see 2 people appear behind him, staring intently at the manuscript of the song. Xiaoyang also knew that he had touched something wrong with his hand. No wonder it's so soft. Xiaoyang looked at Zhang Xian behind him. He had just encountered. It's a pity that the time was too short and I haven't felt it properly yet. Zhang Xian was so absorbed in watching the song that she didn't even notice that Xiaoyang had just touched her most vulnerable spot. Or try again? Xiaoyang swallowed this bold idea and smiled to collect the 2 people's thoughts. Xian, when did you come? Have you finished writing? Zhang Xian did not answer Xiaoyang's question, seeing him like this. She seemed to be unsatisfied. Yeah, Xiaoyang was too lazy to ask and just nodded. Are these songs all written for me? Zhang Xian widened her eyes. The 2 of them had stood behind Xiaoyang for a long time, and had seen almost every song he wrote. The quality of each song is outstanding. Zhang Xian herself was also ecstatic. She loves singing, and she is excited just thinking about the fact that these songs will become part of her album. Of course, Xiaoyang nodded. After hesitating for a moment, he slowly said, but the styles of these songs are all different. Some are high and some are low. Since you are here, just give it a try. If you have any questions, you can ask me directly. Good. Zhang Xian naturally wouldn't refuse. Normally at this time she would be a little sleepy and should go to bed. But now she was full of energy. They couldn't wait to pick up a manuscript and rush directly into the recording studio. Wan Qian turned on the equipment and gave a few more reminders. Let's get started. The wind is blowing, Wan Qian murmured. She had already thought that this song would be just like its title, creating a huge storm in the music industry. The 2 began to look forward to hearing what Zhang Xian's singing would taste like. Zhang Xian first hummed a few songs casually, like a prelude. Yes, Xiaoyang even remembered the score of the prelude clearly. If there were musical instruments, he might be able to make the accompaniment of this song directly. After humming for a while, Zhang Xian's voice suddenly rang out. We walked and stopped along the way, following the traces of the boys drifting. The song started. It was a standard pop song without any fancy ornate arrangement. The magic of this song comes with Zhang Xian singing. It's a bit bland, like a commentary on a story. However, it is such a song that you can hardly explain clearly what is good about it. That it can make people feel extremely happy and comfortable from the bottom of their hearts to their ears. Xiaoyang nodded slightly. This is where Zhang Xian's strength lies. Her ability lies in her ability to handle songs of many different styles. This song is obviously different from the song she sang in previous live broadcasts. But she can sing it in her own style. The sound is so pure and sexy that it makes people unable to stop. Soon, the chorus. Xiaoyang and Shang Xian looked at each other. They both knew that the difficulty of this song lies in the chorus. Compared with the main song part, the pitch is more than one level higher. And this high note is also the most important part to prove the singer's ability. It's hard to extricate yourself from the world. Also indulge in dream talk. Don't struggle. Don't be afraid of being laughed at. I once turned my youth into her. I also used to play the summer with my fingertips. Heartbeat. Just let it go. This is the charm of music. Although there was no accompaniment, Xiaoyang and Wan Qian were both fascinated by the music. Shang Xian sang in a high-pitched voice with great penetrating power. And the subsequent part had her own unique singing style. Even Wan Qian herself felt inferior to her in this regard. Although Shang Xian's voice is a little immature, she actually sang like a queen. The voice, which was sometimes firm, sometimes warm, and sometimes tough, also amazed Xiaoyang and the others. As the voice gradually became lower, the song ends. Xiaoyang and Wan Qian couldn't help but applaud in unison. Xiaoyang had heard this song in his mind more than once, and he had to say, Shang Xian's singing was stunning. This was her first time hearing this song, and no one sang it first to help her get a feel for it. She looked through the score, hummed a few times, and then sang the song based on her own feelings. Xiaoyang couldn't help but give a thumbs up. This is also a treasure girl. This is your first time singing, and you've already made people so shocked. Once the accompaniment is ready and you make some adjustments, I feel the entire music industry will go crazy about you. Wan Qian expressed her praise without hesitation. Shang Xian blushed, but her brows were full of confidence. It sounds really good, you are really a genius, Xiaoyang also praised. Shang Xian took out another manuscript. Let me try this again. No rest? Well, no need, I really can't wait, Shang Xian said with a bit of fanaticism in her eyes. Another song. A completely different style of seabed. Shang Xian once again demonstrated her singing skills, singing to completely different songs with ease. Xiaoyang and Wan Qian both felt their scalps tingling after listening to the song. They didn't know how Shang Xian could sing out that kind of deep-seated despair. The third song. Red Ling. What surprised Xiaoyang was that Shang Xian could also sing in this unique opera style. When the song ended, Wan Qian looked at Shang Xian and then at Xiaoyang. Why do I feel like I shouldn't be here? Why am I such a loser? I am just a mortal, how can I be in the same frame with two gods? I have to say, Wan Qian is almost feeling inferior. But he was also full of joy. The quality of these songs alone is enough. Not to mention there is still. This album is amazing. They are all high-quality title songs. At this moment, Wan Qian really wanted to say arrogantly to Lin Hang and the others. Come on, let's have a fight, right? How could I lose when I'm riding a dragon on my face? Chapter 289. Who are you cheating on again? Shang Xian basically performed the remaining songs smoothly. After hearing this, Wan Qian and Xiaoyang were naturally astonished. However, there will be some problems after all. Although Shang Xian is capable, she lacks experience. Some songs cannot be sung with their own flavor based on the original score, which will result in points being deducted. Therefore, Xiaoyang and Wan Qian also gave some appropriate suggestions and changed the score. This change also makes time pass extremely quickly. It was already late at night, but Wan Qian and Shang Xian, as if they had been given a shot of chicken blood, did not feel tired at all and continued to perform. They ordered some midnight snacks, and after they finished eating, they sang for a while longer, just like they were in a KTV. Xiaoyang even took out a guitar to serve as accompaniment. But soon, Xiaoyang himself felt a little sleepy and fell asleep on the table in the recording studio. The two girls singing did not stop. The next morning, Xiaoyang slowly opened his eyes. He shook his head and then remembered some things that happened yesterday. I must have fallen asleep on the table, where am I now? When he opened his eyes, he was shocked. What caught my eye were two objects filled with collagen. Although they were wearing clothes, the magnificent scene was indeed somewhat shocking. Especially because of sleeping on their side, they were squeezed together. Although there was clothing between them, the loose clothing always revealed a semicircular object. But it also made Xiaoyang Xiaochao pull his butt and open his eyes. The hot air he exhaled fell on his head, and only then did Xiaoyang see clearly who was in front of him. Shang Xian closed her eyes and breathed lightly. Xiaoyang was trying to recall the past. But he had lost all memory. Perhaps he had fallen asleep and was carried to the bed by the two women? At this moment, the heavy feeling coming from the little hand made Xiaoyang move involuntarily. The electric shock-like feeling made him dare not move. A spherical object pressed against the palm of her hand, which was a completely different feeling from Zhang Yan's. The first feeling is that it is big. But it's still within controllable range. He measured it slightly by feel. What about the other one? He turned his head slightly, and only then realized that there was someone lying behind him. And he was forced to squeeze in the middle? Gently pulled his hand out. The elasticity is just right, Xiaoyang commented in his mind. And slowly got up from the bed. Sure enough, Wan Qian fell asleep behind him. This is a relatively wide bed looking at the scene outside the window. Xiaoyang also recognized that it was still noisy. This is probably the bedroom that Wan Qian built herself. And she arranged it in the company. The furnishings here are all new. But they are well organized, and all the necessary clothes and everything are there. I plan to live in the company during this period of time. After all, time is tight, and she has been working hard for the company and treating this place as her home. Xiaoyang took a quick glance. Some can't take their eyes away. Too long, white legs swung out from the hem of her clothes. Shang Xian and Wan Qian are both of good height, although not as tall as Zhang Yan. They are definitely good-looking. Xiaoyang couldn't help but read a few more sentences, sighed, and quickly ran into the bathroom. I was grouchy when I woke up in the morning. Although everyone likes to appreciate beautiful things, Xiaoyang was afraid that he could not control himself. Washing my face with cold water made me feel much more awake. As soon as I turned around, I saw the laundry basket in the bathroom was full of clothes. These were naturally the clothes the two of them took off after taking a bath last night. Xiaoyang could also tell that these were the clothes they wore yesterday. Only, can you be more careful and put your bodysuit aside? Xiaoyang complained. There was a cute Sailor Moon printed on a small white strip of cloth. I don't know whether it belongs to Wan Qian or Shang Xian. The upper body is easy to distinguish. The size difference between the two is quite big. Although Wan Qian is older, it is obvious that her nutrition has not kept up and she is not as good as Shang Xian. Why the hell am I studying this? Xiaoyang quickly looked away and walked out of the bathroom. When I opened the door, the scene in front of me looked familiar. It turned out that this was Wan Qian's office, and the bedroom was behind it. I sat down casually and glanced at the time. It was still early. 7 o'clock, and not many people came to work in the company at this moment. At this moment, Shang Xian in the bedroom had already opened her eyes. He looked at the empty space in the middle as if something was missing, and pouted, not knowing what he was thinking. There seemed to be a hint of joy on his face, but there seemed to be some loss in his eyes. In fact, she had already woken up. She remembered what happened last night better than Xiaoyang. After Xiaoyang fell asleep, she and Wan Qian felt very distressed. So they worked together to help him to the bedroom to sleep. Later, the two of them were tired of singing and felt sleepy. But it's just one bedroom with one bed. Fortunately, the bed is big enough. Shang Xian herself glanced down secretly. Her face suddenly filled with shyness. I don't know if it's because I forced Xiaoyang to bear the weight just now. Seeing Xiaoyang go out, Shang Xian got up this time and went to the bathroom. Looking at her beautiful self in the mirror, Shang Xian couldn't help biting her lower lip and looking left and right. Seems to be looking for his own shortcomings. Is it so unattractive? She originally thought that Xiaoyang would at least show some interest in her, but who knew that he would go out as soon as he woke up? Is it because I'm not charming enough? But it was just a small doubt. And Shang Xian naturally wouldn't think too much about it. After all, their relationship had not developed to that stage. Wan Qian yawned and slowly woke up. In fact, he couldn't help but touch the place where Xiaoyang was originally lying. The place was still a little warm, as if he had just left. She moved her body and lay down where Xiaoyang had been lying before. She couldn't help but sniff, as if there was still the scent of Xiaoyang left behind. After they finished washing up, naturally no one mentioned sleeping in the same bed last night. It seemed that they had completely forgotten about it. As if nothing had happened. Of course, nothing really happened. After saying hello to the two of them, Xiaoyang had no intention of staying in the company and left first. He also had to go home and explain to Zhang Yan why he didn't go home last night. Of course, before going back, I should find a place to take a shower first. It seems that there is still some smell of Shang Xian and Wan Qian on my body. I don't know why, but when I recalled the scene in the morning, Xiaoyang couldn't help but feel a sense of pleasure of stealing the sunshine. Fortunately, nothing happened. There's enough at home. First, they drove to a breakfast shop, sat down and ordered something. At this moment, a voice full of surprise came from behind. Turning back, Xiaoyang's mouth twitched. What a coincidence. Yeah, what a coincidence. The girl wearing a mask sat directly next to Xiaoyang. Pulled the mask down a little bit, and moved closer. What are you doing? Are you sick? Xiaoyang pushed the other person's head. You smell like another girl's perfume. It's not Zhang Yan's. It's not King Xuantong's, and it's not Zhijia Yu's. Who did you cheat on again? Chapter 290. Do you have a system? King Xuantong. You are a dog, you can smell this, Xiao Yang gasped. The person who came was King Xuantong. The little girl was still wearing a mask, but Xiao Yang naturally recognized her. After all, I have seen those without any clothes. For some reason, Xiao Yang suddenly remembered the scene when they last met. And his lower abdomen and face turned hot. You are the dog. Seeing Xiao Yang's expression, King Xuantong seemed to remember something and immediately turned her head away, as if trying to cover up the fact that she was blushing. I'm very sensitive to smells. That's why I went to medical school. Just by smelling the medicine, I can tell what it is. Isn't that amazing? After showing off a little, King Xuantong sniffed it again. No, that's enough. I don't think it's a coincidence. You must have come here following the smell. Xiao Yang took a step back. What do you care about me? King Xuantong snorted coldly, then widened her eyes. The smell of two women. You can smell this? Xiao Yang was shocked. You are the reincarnation of Roaring Sky Dog. You are the dog. How could anyone call such a beautiful girl a dog? King Xuantong widened her eyes, her face full of dissatisfaction. I'm just making a metaphor. Xiao Yang chuckled. It was indeed not nice to say that to a girl. King Xuantong snorted, ordered some food angrily, and sat back next to Xiao Yang. Why are you here? Zhang Yan arranged for me to be here. I live in the building over there, King Xuantong said, resting her chin on her hand. Suddenly the topic changed and he asked. Xiao Yang, tell me the truth, how many women do you have? What do you mean by just a few women? Who do you think I am? Xiao Yang's face suddenly turned red. Aren't you a scumbag? It's a well-known fact, don't worry, don't get excited. King Xuantong waved her hands, signaling Xiao Yang not to speak too loudly. The latter turned his head away. It seems to be like that. Let me count. King Xuantong seemed very serious and said slowly while counting on her fingers. Zhang Yan, Lin Qiu, Shijie Yu, King Xuantong. Did you count wrong? Who the hell is King Xuantong? Don't add them randomly. Xiao Yang hurriedly stopped him. Damn it, how can you count yourself? So Shijie Yu is also one of them. I've already told you. We just met then, and she was the one who sent us to the hospital that day. When did she become my woman? TSK, do you think I don't know what you men are thinking? King Xuantong pouted and counted on her fingers. Stop. Two, just two. Zhang Yan and Lin Qiu stopped counting. Xiao Yang suddenly felt guilty. And who were you with last night? Don't tell me that you just got up from Zhang Yan's bed early in the morning and went to have sex with two other women. King Xuantong raised her eyebrows. That's work. It's only 7 o'clock. Whose company starts work so early? It's really work. Xiao Yang didn't know whether to laugh or cry. But he soon recovered. No, what does it have to do with you how many women I have? King Xuantong? Sure enough, the old scumbag spoke. King Xuantong spread her hands. I've read a lot of harem novels online recently, and the male protagonists all say what you said, but in their hearts. Have they already? Stop, Xiao Yang interrupted quickly. Why are you, a girl, reading harem novels? Can you do something serious? Who told me to still be recuperating? I have nothing to do. King Xuantong chuckled and whispered, tell me the truth. Do you have a system or something? As soon as he finished speaking, Xiao Yang almost jumped up. What are you talking about? You must have been obsessed with reading novels. I'm just kidding. Don't be so impatient even if you tell me you have a system. I won't believe it if you have a system. You have to confess to Lin Qiu 100 times to pursue her. How low must this system be? King Xuantong giggled. Xiao Yang turned his head away and secretly cursed the system in his heart. Listen. What a low-level system. Why don't you kill King Xuantong? She is definitely a prophet. Xiao Yang gave the system a suggestion in his mind. At this moment, King Xuantong came over again. Actually, Xiao Yang, why don't you dump me too? Who would take the initiative to come over and let a man be a scumbag? Xiao Yang rolled his eyes at King Xuantong. The latter, however, held his head high with a look of dissatisfaction on his face. Logically speaking, in the novel, I am also as pretty as the heroine. So you won't lose out if you scumbag me. You're at a loss. Big sister, please read less novels. Xiao Yang poked King Xuantong's little head. He didn't know whether King Xuantong had gone crazy, or what during this period of time she was becoming more and more crazy. I'm serious, Xiao Yang. If you don't cheat on me, I'll tell Zhang Yan that you have two other women out there. Xiao Yang was full of questions. Is there such a requirement? You should go back to school. He didn't dare to continue the topic and said directly. If I don't go back to school, who knows what will come out of King Xuantong's head? At this time, the ordered breakfast has been served. The two ate breakfast in silence without talking about anything else. Send me back to school, King Xuantong suddenly said. Good. After getting in the car, King Xuantong fastened her seatbelt and suddenly turned her head away. Xiao Yang, I like you, be my boyfriend. The voice fell. Bite. Ask release. King Xuanton's third confession. Option 1. Accept the confession and receive a reward of 1 million yuan. Option 2. Reject the confession and be rewarded with 9-turn golden needle. Okay, don't hang yourself on this tree of mine. It's so miserable to be your husband. I can smell all kinds of odors on your body, not to mention cheating. I'll even have to report you if I see someone wearing perfume when I go out. As if he was afraid that King Xuanton would be sad. Xiao Yang made a joke. You are different. I promise that if you go out to cheat, I can keep it a secret for you and not tell Zhang Yan. Xiao Yang couldn't help but hold his forehead and smile bitterly. That's enough. Don't you read that kind of novel anymore? What's in your head? Xiao Yang, how about this? If you accept me, I will help you pick up Chijia. You were